I finally let it go. 20 years of my youth, completely wasted. On the first day of cutting ties, I clarified to the whole class that the school belle and I were nothing but neighbors. On the second day, to her absolute shock, I returned every single gift she had ever given me, telling her I didn't care anymore. On the third day, I changed my college application, choosing a university as far away from her as possible. Stepping out of the exam hall, she yelled at me from the school hunk's embrace, declaring that the three of us would go to Tsinghua University together. On the surface, I nodded in agreement, but in my heart, I knew it was over. The moment I turned around, I secretly changed my choices and headed to the Northeast alone. That night, she came to me with a bright smile and a plate of dumplings herself. I knew she was showing weakness, trying to apologize. I knew it was rare for her to swallow her pride like this, so I didn't refuse. I figured it would be our last meal together. After I left, she called me, demanding to know why I didn't tell her my plans. My voice was dead calm. The 20 years of feelings we shared had already shattered on Mid-Autumn Festival. During our two families' dinner, she publicly humiliated me, calling me a pathetic simp who couldn't get a hint. That was the moment I finally realized the girl I had cherished in the palm of my hand actually despised me. That was the last birthday she ever spent with me. Every year, my only wish was to marry Wei Yu-tong as soon as possible. After all, since I could remember, I was told she was my future wife. The adults even joked that it was time to set a wedding date. The corners of my lips curled up, my heart secretly rejoicing until Wei Yu-tong did something completely unexpected. As the chatter grew louder, she suddenly slammed her hands on the table and stood up, nearly flipping the whole thing over. I jumped, instinctively turning to look at her, half a piece of shrimp still in my mouth. I had never seen her like this before. She stood there trembling with rage, tears pooling in her eyes as if she had suffered some massive injustice. "Who gave you the right to arrange my life?" she screamed. "He is him, and I am me. I will never marry him in this lifetime, so just give up." I froze completely. The shrimp fell from my lips, hitting the floor. It felt like something was blocking my throat, suffocating me. All the blood rushed to my head, and a loud, ringing sound echoed in my ears. Uncle Wei was the first to react, sharply scolding her. "Watch your mouth." But she didn't back down. "Why shouldn't I say it? To me, he's just a neighbor, at most an older brother. I don't like him at all." Then she pointed her finger dead at me, her eyes piercing and cold. "And let me tell you, stay away from me. Stop hovering around me all the time, it's so annoying." Her resentment was suffocating. Those words were heavy, basically pointing at my nose and calling me a shameless lapdog in front of everyone. My parents' faces turned completely pale. Furious, Uncle Wei raised his hand and slapped her right across the face. The crisp smack echoed through the room, making my entire body flinch. It was the first time I had ever seen Uncle Wei hit her. The force sent her small frame spinning, and the back of her head slammed violently against the corner of the wall. Her mother and I instinctively rushed forward to help her up, but she viciously shoved me away. Caught off guard, I crashed hard onto the floor. Bright red blood dripped steadily from her forehead as she glared at me with pure hatred, looking as if she wanted to kill me. "Are you satisfied now?" she hissed. My eyes widened in shock. As she wiped her tears and turned to leave, I grabbed her arm. "What do you mean by that?" "Explain yourself." She yanked her arm back. "I'll tell you. I hate how shamelessly you follow me around every single day. I don't want anything to do with you, not for the rest of my life." After that day, we didn't speak a single word to each other. Even under the bright morning sun, we were total strangers. I stepped into the classroom first, and Wei Yu-tong followed right behind me. In the past, she always walked in front, and I walked in the back. Now the roles were reversed. Thinking about it, it was actually quite ironic. Our classmates always loved teasing us, calling Wei Yu-tong and me lovebirds, who were never apart. Seeing us walk in one after the other, several guys in the back row pinched their lips, letting out sharp, piercing whistles. They started jeering and laughing. "Look, the lovebirds are here." They used to say this all the time, and I used to feel secretly happy. Today, the words were exactly the same, but my mindset had completely changed. I instinctively glanced sideways at Wei Yu-tong. Her face was freezing cold. Without a shred of emotion, she walked straight to her seat, pulled out her workbook, and started writing. Looking at her icy demeanor, my chest throbbed with a needle-like pain. Some words once spoken can never be taken back. Some things, once they happen, their endings are already sealed. Since you want to cut all ties with me, then let me help you. I dropped my bag at my desk, walked straight up to the podium, and faced the 50-something students in the class. For the very first time, I publicly clarified my relationship with Wei Yu-tong. "Everyone, Wei Yu-tong and I are just neighbors who live across from each other. The only reason we come and go together is because our houses are too close. I apologize for causing any misunderstandings, but let me make this clear. Wei Yu-tong and I are nothing more than neighbors. Please stop making random guesses and stop joking about us. Thank you." As I stepped down from the podium, I saw the shock and confusion in my classmates' eyes. Passing by Wei Yu-tong, her face looked even uglier than before, maybe because of her injury, or maybe because of what I said. From that moment on, we never agreed to go to school together again. Even though we would still inevitably bump into each other on the way, I would only give a polite nod. I never initiated a single conversation. There were so many times she stopped by the side of the road, looking as if she was intentionally waiting for me, biting her lip as if she had something to say, but I just walked right past her, pretending not to notice. Of course, the classmates didn't buy my little speech at the podium. After all, we had been inseparable for over a decade. My desk mate told me they even held secret meetings behind my back to analyze the situation. Their final verdict? I was just throwing a tantrum at Wei Yutong. Once I cooled down, they believed I'd go right back to trailing behind her like a loyal dog. I couldn't even be bothered to argue. If they didn't believe me, fine. I couldn't exactly pry, open their brains, and force my thoughts inside. Time and facts would prove me right anyway. Thursday afternoon, the third period was PE class. As high school seniors, we were buried in textbooks and mock exams every single day, tortured until our eyes were glazed over and our spirits crushed. The teachers were terrified we'd fall into depression, so whenever PE rolled around, they would ruthlessly herd us all onto the field. No one was allowed to stop until we ran at least 3 to 5 laps. Because of a bad cold, I took sick leave and stayed in the classroom. About 20 minutes later, a classmate violently kicked the door open and rushed in. Seeing me, he grabbed my arm without a word and yanked me outside. Hao Feng. Wei Yutong tripped while running. She's bleeding a lot. Go check on her right now. Hearing that I had arrived, the crowd of students parted in unison, leaving a wide, clear path just for me. And Wei Yutong suddenly raised her head, looking at me from afar. A strange emotion flickered in the depths of her pitch-black eyes, before quickly freezing over into her usual icy indifference. That look felt like a slap to the face, instantly waking me up. I stopped dead in my tracks. Only then did I realize what I was doing. The moment I heard she was hurt, I forgot everything and instinctively rushed over. A self-deprecating smirk tugged at the corner of my lips. What the hell was I doing? Was I just a natural-born masochist? Had I not been humiliated enough, 50 pairs of eyes were staring at me, waiting for me to panic, waiting for me to run around buying water and medicine, catering to her like a loyal servant just like I used to. But I wasn't that guy anymore. She didn't need me to do that, and I had absolutely no reason to step into her orbit ever again. Take her to the infirmary to get patched up, I said coldly. Leaving that single sentence behind, I turned around and walked away without the slightest hesitation. My departure completely shattered everyone's expectations. The second I left, the crowd erupted into heated whispers and debates, but I treated it all like white noise. I didn't slow down, and I never looked back. Time slipped by quietly. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed since that day. My life was a bit lonely now, but incredibly freeing. After the evening study session, I hugged a heavy stack of review materials, waved goodbye to my desk mate, and walked home alone. Maybe the night sky was just beautiful, but I was in a great mood, quietly humming a random melody I had heard somewhere before. Just as I was trying to remember the next lyric, a figure stepped out from the shadows of the corner and blocked my path. It was Wei Yutong. She truly was beautiful. Delicate features, bright eyes, a graceful presence that naturally made guys obsess over her. But no matter how beautiful she was, she had absolutely nothing to do with me anymore. Seeing her suddenly appear, my chest tightened. All those unpleasant memories flooded back, twisting my heart with a dull, suffocating ache. I didn't want anything to do with her. I took a step to the right, trying to bypass her, but to my surprise, she mirrored my movement, blocking my path once again. Annoyance flared up inside me. I raised my eyes, forcing my gaze to remain completely flat and indifferent. Do you need something? She stared back. Do I need a reason to wait for you? Didn't we used to walk home together every single day? I let out a bleak, sarcastic laugh. The past is the past, and right now is right now. They aren't the same. If you don't need anything, I'm leaving. Goodbye. I took another step to the side, ready to walk away. When? She suddenly reached out and grabbed my arm. Brother Hao Feng, what are you doing? Do you really have to be this ruthless? I looked at her hand. Wei Yutong, I want to go home. Please get out of my way. Hao Feng, she gritted her teeth, her voice trembling with frustration. What exactly do you want? Are you really planning to never speak to me again for the rest of our lives? I just said a few harsh words. Do you really have to hold a grudge for this long? Didn't I already apologize? Since when did you become so petty? I looked at her in silence. She really didn't understand. It was never just about a few harsh words, it was the vicious intent behind them. That was what shattered me. She would never realize that what she considered a trivial outburst had caused me an unimaginable level of damage. Hearing her brush it off so casually, my temper finally flared. I raised my head, staring directly into her eyes. Wei Yutong, isn't this exactly what you wanted? I did exactly what you told me to do, and you're still not satisfied. Tell me what the hell do you want from me? Say it. As long as you say it, I'll do it. I could hear the sound of her grinding her teeth in the dark. It was almost chilling. You want to draw a line between us so badly, she sneered. Why don't you just move away then? Wouldn't that be a cleaner cut? I didn't blink. My dad is already looking at houses. But moving is a big deal, so it probably won't happen overnight. I'll urge him again when I get back. But don't worry, even if I can't move out immediately, I promise I will never bother you again. You're ruthless, she spat. Her face turned incredibly pale. She stared at me for a long time, trying to figure out if I was just throwing a tantrum. Realizing I was dead serious, she fiercely tossed those words at me, turned around and stomped off. quickly vanishing into the darkness of the night. Time drifted by uneventfully. Our two families basically resumed their normal relationship, though it was noticeably less enthusiastic than before. As for me and Wei Yutong, a thick, invisible barrier remained between us. I never stepped foot into her room again, and rarely even visited her house. Whenever our families had dinner, I found every excuse to skip it. If I absolutely had to be in the same room as her, I stayed far away and kept my mouth shut. On New Year's Day, my mom had planned for us to celebrate at home, but Uncle Wei and his wife kept insisting. My parents tried their best to decline, but eventually caved. I had no intention of going. But to my surprise, Wei Yutong actually came looking for me. I was slouched on the sofa, wearing headphones and listening to music. She just stood quietly beside me. I knew she was there, but I just didn't know what kind of mindset I should use to face her anymore, so I simply pretended not to notice. Eventually, she reached out and pulled off my headphones. "What is it?" I asked flatly. She sat down next to me. Without making it obvious, I quietly shifted further away, earning a displeased frown from her. "Brother Hao Feng, I actually came to say I'm sorry." "What?" I thought I had misheard her. "I came to apologize," she repeated. "I was wrong that day. I shouldn't have said those things to you. Even though I won't ever like you romantically, I never actually hated you. No matter what happens in the future, I will always treat you like a good older brother." "And so?" I replied coldly. "So Brother Hao Feng, let's go back to walking to school together, okay? Otherwise, our moms will keep worrying about us." I clenched my jaw hard. This so-called apology was practically ripping my scars wide open. She would have been better off saying nothing at all. I had finally managed to bury some of the pain, and here she was reminding me of it all over again. "Wei Yutong, you truly know how to kill someone without spilling a drop of blood." Time flew by. The grueling college entrance exams finally ended, and the massive burden I had carried for over a decade vanished in an instant. Completely liberated, I slept like a corpse for 2 straight days. Other than eating and going to the bathroom, wild horses couldn't drag me out of bed. On the 4th day after the exams, Wei Yutong came over. By then, I couldn't sleep anymore and was sitting at my desk slowly flipping through my old diaries page by page, trying to decide if I should keep them as memories or burn them all to ash. Given our current relationship, burning them was probably the wisest choice. But honestly, I couldn't bear to do it, not because of her, but because of all the genuine love and effort I had poured into those pages. I got the habit of journaling from my dad. Since the 1st grade, I had filled several thick notebooks, all filled with every little detail about me and Wei Yutong. Those diaries were my entire youth. Suddenly, a soft giggle broke my concentration. I turned around to see her leaning against my bedroom doorframe, watching me with a teasing smirk. My heart panicked for a second, but my hands remained steady as I locked the diary inside my drawer. I forced a polite smile. "Wei Yutong, you're here. Our great sleeping god has finally awakened," she teased. She strolled over and casually hopped up, sitting right on the edge of my desk, her voice laced with playful banter. How long had it been? The distance between us had become as cold and sterile as water. Her sudden proximity didn't feel intimate. It just felt glaringly wrong. Feeling an uncomfortable strangeness, I instinctively leaned away from her. In the past, her closeness would make my heart race with excitement, but now it only made me want to escape. "Brother Hao Feng, how did you do on the exams?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with some strange, eager excitement that I couldn't quite understand. "I came over a few times, but you were always asleep." "You really can sleep." "It went all right," I replied, keeping my head down and refusing to meet her gaze. I focused entirely on fiddling with a small ornament on my desk, subtly creating even more distance between us. In truth, I had crushed the exams. But because my heart had already built an impenetrable wall against her, I simply couldn't chat with her freely like I used to. I was even terrified of making eye contact with her. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to control my own heart, afraid I would fall back into the abyss of liking her. Whenever I saw her, I had to violently remind myself, she is just a younger sister. You are just an older brother. Do not cross the line. Brother Hao Feng, tell me the truth. Are you still mad at me? Perhaps sensing my icy demeanor, her voice shifted, growing strangely serious. I looked up at her in confusion. She stared back at me for a moment before letting out a helpless little laugh. "Brother Hao Feng, let's go to the same university, okay? That way we can still go to classes together." I offered a hollow smile. "I haven't decided yet," I said. Our conversation about which university to apply to ended with no conclusion. She didn't get a solid answer out of me, and she left looking slightly disappointed. I didn't tell her that someone had actually sought me out recently, subtly hinting that they hoped I wouldn't go to the same school as her. Deep down, I was actually a very stubborn person. I didn't just blindly obey others. Whether I listened to that person's advice or not was entirely up to me, and the choice I ultimately made had absolutely nothing to do with their demands. I am my own person. The choices I make now are for myself and my parents alone. That evening during dinner, Wei Yutong showed up yet again. She walked in holding 2 steaming plates of fresh dumplings. "Auntie, chive and egg dumplings fresh out of the pot. They smell so good," she cheered. "And I know. These are Brother Hao Feng's favorite. Eat them while they're hot." By that point, I had already scarfed down a massive bowl of rice and 3 pieces of braised pork ribs. I had absolutely no room left in my stomach, but under her intense, expectant gaze, I symbolically took a single bite before putting my chopsticks down. After she left, my mom brought up the university applications again. She said she had thought about it and believed it would be best if I went to the same school as Wei Yutong. After all, we had grown up together, we knew each other well, and we could look out for each other. I didn't say a word. My mind was already made up. There was a guy in the class next door named Hua Chu, a transfer student from out of town who was widely recognized as the school hunk. I had seen Wei Yutong walking with him multiple times. Seeing their hands intertwined had pierced my heart over and over again. And on the day we returned to school to check the exam answers, I saw it with my own eyes. He pulled Wei Yutong into a quiet corner, telling her he wanted to apply to the same university as her. He said he wanted to be her knight and protect her forever. At that moment, the pain in my chest was so agonizing, I felt like I was going to die. She and I submitted our applications on the exact same day. The moment she finished hers, she sprinted into my room like a little rabbit, eagerly asking if I had made my choice. Her eyes were completely filled with stars, but I knew those stars weren't for me. "Did you finish picking?" she asked. "Is it Jinghua University? They're expanding enrollment this year. You can definitely get in." I looked at her. "Wei Yutong, is Hua Chu going to Jinghua too?" I didn't want to ask. I already knew the truth, but I opened my mouth and asked anyway, just for that pathetic, tiny sliver of false hope that still existed inside me. How stupid was I, still holding on to hope for her? But what could I do? I just liked her that much. Wei Yutong paused for a second before a massive beaming smile spread across her face. Yes, his goal since he was little has always been to go to Jinghua. I lowered my eyes, desperately trying to mask the bitter sting in my heart. Wei Yutong's smile slowly faded. She stared intently at the fake, forced smile on my face, her eyes turning dark and unreadable. "Brother, Hao Feng, thank you," she whispered softly. And, "I'm sorry." She had said sorry way too many times, but those few lightweight syllables could never heal the massive scars carved into my heart. I just gave a faint smile and shifted my gaze to a specific spot on my desk. Sitting there were 4 little tiger figurines, each in a different pose, looking majestic and fierce. She had given them to me on my 18th birthday. And I still vividly remembered what she said that day. "Brother Hao Feng, I prepared these for my future boyfriend. I'll let you hold on to them for protection. Once I find a boyfriend, you have to give them back." Back then, I was so naively happy, completely convinced that the future boyfriend she was talking about would be me. But now, I finally understood. She really just wanted me to be a storage unit. 3 years had passed. She had finally found the boy she liked, and my career as her loyal keeper was officially over. I picked up the 4 little tigers and placed them gently into her hands. She looked at me, completely confused. "What are you doing?" "What am I doing?" I echoed. "Wei Yutong, you were the one who said it. You were the one who made the rules. Are you really going to play innocent right now? Years ago, you entrusted me to keep these safe until... You said you prepared these for your future boyfriend. Now that you found him, it's not right for me to keep holding on to them. It's time to return them to their rightful owner." In the very last minute before clicking confirm on my college application, I wiped out Jinghua University and changed it to a prestigious school far in the north, Ling University. Their traditional Chinese painting major was famous nationwide, having produced countless great masters. Since I refused to go to Jinghua, it was my absolute best choice. Uncle Wei and Auntie had both asked if I applied to Jinghua, but I always brushed them off with vague answers. The day the acceptance letter finally arrived, I sat there in a daze for a long time. She and I, we truly belonged to different worlds now. Going to college was just another milestone in drawing a permanent line between us. Not long after, she burst into my house, waving her acceptance letter with pure excitement. "Brother Hao Feng, bring out your letter. Let me see it. Look at mine." She was smiling so beautifully it was the exact same smile buried deep in my memories, the one that used to keep me awake all night long until... I calmly handed my acceptance letter to her. She stared at the school's name, her eyes widening in sheer disbelief. She was shocked, completely caught off guard. I had always listened to her. She probably never expected that on something as massive as college applications, I would dare to make a decision that went against her wishes. She probably hadn't realized it yet. I was no longer the old me. She was the one who changed me. "Brother Hao Feng, why?" she asked, a flicker of hurt flashing in her eyes. "Wei Yutong, losing you was already painful enough. I can't lose myself too. Since you don't love me, just let me go." "Honestly, the traditional painting major there is just a better fit for me," I said with a faint smile, not looking into her eyes, nor waiting to see her reaction. You must still be holding a grudge against me," she muttered. "If my mom finds out you didn't apply to the same school as me, she's definitely going to beat me up." "She won't," I replied with dead calm. "If Auntie really tries to hit you, our houses are so close that I'll definitely hear it. I'll personally go over and explain everything to her. I won't let you get hurt." Suddenly, she leaned in, stopping right in front of my face. She was so close I could literally count her eyelashes. Damn it, my heart traitorously started pounding all over again. I truly, deeply loved those eyes of hers. They looked as if they held an entire sparkling galaxy. "Brother Hao Feng, look at me," she demanded softly. "Are you still hung up on what I said that day? Have you been blaming me this whole time? Have you really not forgiven me, brother Hao Feng? I was just talking nonsense that day. Can't you just forget it? Forget it, how could I? You cut me so deep. How could I not care? How could I just easily forget? Losing love is already pathetic enough. I absolutely refuse to lose my dignity too. Besides, when I already know it's a dead end, why should I force us both to carry that heavy burden? I forgot about it a long time ago, I lied smoothly. She left, her face looking terrible. I truly didn't understand her. I had already backed off this much, so what exactly was she still unsatisfied with? But whatever, I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth were just the price of growing up. The southern city I lived in was in the deep south, while Ling University was over 3,000 kilometers away in the freezing north. It was practically the ends of the earth. My parents couldn't bear to see me go that far away, worrying that I wouldn't adapt to the brutal climate or get used to the food. The night I got my acceptance letter, my mom actually cried. She asked if I wanted to repeat a year so I could apply to Jinghua again next year. Even the local normal university is fine, she pleaded. At least it's close by, so we can take care of you without worrying day and night. I completely understood my mother's heartache, but what about my heartache? I desperately wanted to forget Wei Yu Tong. I wanted to start completely over, and to do that, I needed an environment suited for forgetting. I didn't say a word, just looking at my mom with pleading eyes. A mother truly understands her child's heart better than anyone. She grabbed the corner of my shirt, wiping her red, teary eyes. Ling University is fine, she finally relented. Their traditional painting major is even more famous than Jinghua's. Go there and study hard. Try to get into their combined master's and doctoral program. Your dad and I will retire in a few years anyway. If you want to stay up there, we'll just move north to be with you. Why are you crying? My dad chimed in. Isn't Yu Mang up there too? With her looking out for him, Hao Feng won't be lonely. My parents' immense love and understanding instantly swept away the melancholy and reluctance buried in my heart. At the time, I was so single-mindedly focused on escaping Wei Yu Tong's orbit that I had completely forgotten one crucial detail. Uncle Wei had another daughter, and she happened to be doing her postgraduate studies right at Ling University. Maybe some things really are just predestined. After spinning around in circles, I was still going to end up living near a member of the Wei family, but thankfully it wasn't Wei Yu Tong. It was Yu Meng, the older sister who had always genuinely doted on me like a little brother. Wei Yu Tong's departure date was exactly one day before mine. I really wanted to go see her off, but remembering those vicious words she had spat at me, I completely lost the courage to step out of my door. Instead, I could only peek through the peephole, quietly watching her. She stood outside her door, gripping her luggage, and stood motionless in front of my house for 2 full minutes. It wasn't until Uncle Wei hurried her that she finally took a step and left. Standing on the other side of the door, I watched her walk away step by step, completely walking out of my world. The moment her figure vanished down the stairwell, I stumbled frantically onto the balcony, hiding in the corner just to watch her walk further and further into the distance. One last time. In the end, we had truly parted ways. My unspoken, decade-long love was now completely homeless. College life was fresh, exciting, and incredibly busy, yet my mind would constantly drift back to all the years, all the countless minutes and seconds I had spent with her. I kept wondering what she was doing. Was she thinking of me at all? Since the day I was born, I had never been separated from her for this long. The sheer distance felt agonizingly unfamiliar, leaving my heart feeling entirely hollow. So to desperately shift my focus and distract myself, I joined several different clubs. Whenever I had free time, I volunteered, forcing myself to spin like a top until I was as exhausted as a dog. That way, the moment I crawled into bed, I would instantly pass out. After we both arrived at our respective universities, we still kept in touch. Though it was always her messaging me on WeChat, asking how I was doing and demanding I send her some photos. I tried my absolute best to suppress my racing heart, keeping all my replies brief, bland, and straightforward. As for the photos she wanted, I wasn't entirely sure if she wanted pictures of me or the campus. Figuring it was highly likely the latter, I just snapped a bunch of generic scenery and landmark photos and sent them over. Over time, our contact dwindled. We would frequently go 10 days, even half a month without saying a single word. She had the boy she loved keeping her company, and I didn't want to cause any misunderstandings or let my pathetic feelings disrupt her life. So no matter how much I desperately missed her, I forced myself to never initiate a conversation. Right before the winter break, she finally messaged me once asking when I was heading back. Gripping my phone, I stared at those few simple words, a chaotic mix of joy and sorrow swelling in my chest. After thinking for a long time, I finally typed out a short reply, haven't decided yet. We're not on the same route anyway, so don't worry about me. That very afternoon, she posted a new moment on WeChat. It only had 3 words, we are home. Below the caption were 2 pictures. One was a screenshot of 2 booked flight tickets. The other was a picture of 2 hands tightly intertwined. My heart twisted in pure agony. Dragging my luggage alone, I crossed mountains and seas on my lonely journey back home. The winter break in the north was significantly longer, meaning I could comfortably hole up in my house for quite a few days and eat my mom's home-cooked meals every single day, something I had been aggressively dreaming about at school. Wei Yu Tong had returned a few days before me. Once she knew I was back, she would frequently knock on my door, coming over to sit and chat. Every time she came, she was all smiles. She would eagerly tell me all the crazy rumors from her university, bragging about how close her dorm was to Huachu's, and excitedly recounting all the places they had explored together, shoving photo after photo of them into my face. In return, I told her about the massive goose feather snowstorms in the north and the long, sharp icicles hanging from the eaves. I told her about the fearless locals who would smash open the thick ice just to jump into the freezing river for a swim. Most of the time, she just listened quietly, occasionally flashing a faint smile. Sometimes she'd tease me for being a glutton. Other times, she'd strictly remind me to bundle up and not catch a cold, or nag me to take better care of myself since I was all alone up there. I immediately categorized everything she said and did as pure, platonic concern from a younger sister. I didn't dare overthink it, and I absolutely didn't dare to take her words straight to heart. Regardless, I still had to live my own life, and everything else was just fleeting clouds. One day, she walked into my house just as I was lounging with my legs propped up on the coffee table, ruthlessly devouring a watermelon and getting sticky juice absolutely everywhere. She rolled her eyes at me, marched into the bathroom, and chucked a wet towel straight at my face, her tone dripping with absolute disgust. "Look at how you eat. So barbaric. What girl would ever want to be with you?" The words hit me like a truck. "Is that why you treated my love like garbage? Is that why you humiliated me so thoroughly?" My heart violently seized in my chest. "Wei Yu Tong, please just stay far away from me. I'm begging you." Ultimately, our two families still ended up spending the spring festival together. My parents and I were dragged over to Uncle Wei's house bright and early. Paper cutouts were pasted on the windows, tiny colorful lights hung from the balcony, and the constant crackle of firecrackers outside, combined with the festive New Year broadcast on the TV, made the holiday atmosphere incredibly thick. I had absolutely nothing to do. I tried several times to sneak back home and hole up in my own room, but Auntie caught me every single time, practically dragging me toward Wei Yu Tong's bedroom, insisting I go play with her. I didn't outright refuse, but I didn't go either. Instead, I just curled up in the corner of the sofa, scrolling through my phone alone. The things that had happened between us hung over my head like a razor-sharp guillotine. I didn't dare forget the pain for even a single second. Yes, Wei Yu Tong had apologized for it, but I simply couldn't get over the massive hurdle in my own heart. I didn't know if I was just being overly petty and vindictive. I just knew that there was still a long, jagged scar across my heart that was constantly bleeding. Suddenly, my phone was forcefully snatched right out of my hands. I jumped in shock. Wei Yu Tong had one arm propped on the armrest next to me, holding my phone up to her face, blatantly snooping at my screen. "I'm watching a show, give it back," I snapped, reaching out to grab it. But she was too quick. She dodged my hand, flashed me a provocative smirk, and sprinted away. "If you want your phone, come to my room," she challenged. I didn't want to go to her room, and I certainly didn't want to chase her like a dog. But then I suddenly remembered my phone still held an enormous amount of her photos. She didn't know about them, and if she saw them, she would definitely overthink things again. Left with no choice, I begrudgingly got up and walked over to her room to retrieve my phone. By the time I got there, she was already sitting at her desk. "Come in, let's watch it together," she giggled, her eyes sparkling with delight. "Wei Yu Tong, the person you like isn't me, so why do you constantly insist on bothering me? I'm not coming in. Bring it out here," I said coldly. "Ah, too scared to come in," she teased. "Brother Hao Feng, since when did you become so thin-skinned? Fine, if you like it so much you can keep watching. I'll just go watch the TV." Lowering my eyes, I spoke with complete indifference and turned around to leave. "Hey," she called out, clearly unhappy. "Are you really this much of a sore loser? You can't even take a tiny joke? You're just as sensitive as him. Here, take it back. It's not like I actually wanted to watch it anyway." She forcefully tossed the phone right at me. I hurriedly fumbled to catch it. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught her childish, frustrated pout, and a massive headache began forming at my temples. Suddenly, I genuinely had no idea how I was supposed to interact with her anymore. With my phone finally back in my hand, I completely lost the mood to continue watching my show. Instead, my mind fixated entirely on the exact words she had just carelessly thrown at me. "You're just as sensitive as him." Who was she referring to? Ever since she was little, she had a distinct personality and absolutely despised interacting with boys. I used to be the sole exception in her life. So, that him? I didn't even need to think to know it was Huachu. Realizing the truth, a bitter taste filled my mouth. I opened my photo album and, one by one, permanently deleted every single photo of her I had accumulated over the years until it was almost 9 o'clock. Suddenly, Wei Yumeng called in via video chat. Both families gathered around, excitedly chatting with her for a good while before Uncle Wei called out, "Hao Feng, come here. Your older sister has something to say to you." I walked over and sat down. On the glowing phone screen, Wei Yumeng was quietly gazing at me, a gentle, hidden smile pooling in her eyes. "How are you? Is everything going well at school?" "It's been going great," I replied. After not seeing her for over a year, Sister Yumeng had gained a captivating, mature charm. Her radiant eyes rippled with a mesmerizing light. Wei Yutong was already incredibly beautiful, but her older sister somehow completely eclipsed her. "Are you sure?" she teased softly. "Are you not used to the food? Why have you lost so much weight?" "No way," I laughed. "I actually really love northern cuisine, especially the sweet and sour pork." My greedy expression clearly amused Sister Yumeng. Her eyebrows lifted gracefully as a brilliant, doting smile bloomed across her face. "All right then. Sometime around March or April, I'll be back on campus. I'll take you out for sweet and sour pork." Sister Yumeng's call injected an unexpected warmth into my otherwise suffocating New Year's Eve. Happy days are always fleeting, and before I even realized it, it was already time to head back for the new semester. Due to the intense forced intervention of my mom and auntie, I had no choice but to book the exact same flight back as Wei Yutong. The moment we arrived at the airport, Hua Chu was already standing by the curb, waiting with a gentle smile. The second Wei Yutong successfully escaped the watchful eyes of her parents, she instantly transformed into a joyous, hyperactive bird. She sprinted happily toward him, grabbing his hand and throwing herself straight into his embrace. People deeply in love truly act as if a single day apart is like 3 long years. Swallowing down a bitter jug of vinegar, I forcibly turned my head away, grabbed my luggage, and walked into the terminal entirely alone. The academic workload this semester was significantly heavier than the last. I violently purged all distracting thoughts from my mind and threw myself entirely into my studies. Gradually, I realized my racing heart had finally completely calmed down. I even entered a massive competition organized by the department, and my results were shockingly high, practically causing a sensation across the entire faculty. My visiting professor deeply admired my artistic style. He challenged me to paint my own interpretation of blooming flowers and full moon, promising that if the piece was exceptional, he would showcase it at a prestigious exhibition and take me on as his postgraduate student. This professor held supreme status in the world of traditional Chinese painting. Being personally mentored by him was the ultimate top-tier dream for any art student. So, I locked myself away and spent over a month perfecting the painting. When I finally brought it to the professor, my heart pounding with anxiety, he was right in the middle of a video conference. I immediately tried to back out, but he enthusiastically waved me in. Grabbing my painting, he held it up straight to the webcam, asking the person on the other side to critique it. Only after the call ended did I find out he had been holding an online session with his remote students. Unsurprisingly, my artwork received extremely high praise once again. In fact, the professor heavily insisted that I add one of the female students on WeChat, claiming our artistic styles were completely distinct but highly complementary, and urged us to exchange our insights on traditional painting. I honestly didn't want to add a stranger, but completely ignoring my personal boundaries, the professor snatched my phone, pulled up my QR code, and shoved it right into the camera frame. "Professor, I already have him on WeChat." A cool, elegant voice suddenly echoed through the speakers, a very familiar voice. "Oh, you two already know each other?" The professor looked stunned. He flipped my phone screen around and shoved it right in front of my face. Seeing the person on the screen, a massive grin broke out on my face. It was Sister Yumeng. She was sitting on the other end of the network, gazing at me with a soft, amused smile. "Yeah, she's my older sister," I told the professor. "Be good, Hao Feng. Focus on your classes. I'll be back soon to treat you to some good food," she replied, her smile incredibly gentle, radiating that exact same doting warmth she had always given me. From that day on, the professor started bragging about my artistic talent to absolutely everyone he met. In his mouth, I had transformed into a once-in-a-generation genius. Almost overnight, I exploded in popularity, becoming a massive celebrity not just in my department, but across the entire campus. I instantly shot into the top 3 of the university's Hall of Fame, and my portrait was practically plastered on the main billboard, making sure that almost everyone in the school recognized me. Naturally, the number of people begging me for custom paintings absolutely skyrocketed. Some offered money, some didn't, but I was so insanely busy that my overall mood steadily grew brighter and clearer. Sister Yumeng was a few years older than me. Growing up, I had always just passively enjoyed her care, but I didn't actually know that much about her inner world. Now, as we started interacting far more frequently, I realized she was actually an incredibly fascinating person. Every few days, she would seek me out to dive deep into discussions about traditional painting techniques, generously passing down her hard-earned experience to me. Sometimes she would send over her latest artwork so we could appreciate them together, and whenever I hit a massive creative bottleneck, I would immediately run to her for guidance. She always delivered the most sharp, insightful advice, benefiting me immensely. Because our passions and hobbies aligned perfectly, our conversations flowed seamlessly, and spending time with her felt ridiculously effortless. And occasionally, when I managed to squeeze out some free time, I would actively scroll through Wei Yutong's WeChat moments, using it as a sick way to train my own emotional tolerance. Completely ditching her previous cold, unapproachable persona, Wei Yutong was now violently flexing her happy love life almost every single day. If it wasn't selfies of them acting lovey-dovey, it was photos of them holding hands on romantic dates. Basically, she was shoving dog food down everyone's throats in endless waves. It made my throat burn with a bitter taste. I desperately wanted to wash that bitterness away with the sweet and sour pork Sister Yumung had promised me, but her return date kept getting delayed over and over again. Left with no other choice, I had to drag my roommates to the restaurant to eat it twice. When summer vacation finally rolled around that year, Wei Yutong didn't contact me and I absolutely didn't bother her. Once again, I carried my luggage entirely alone and began the long journey home. I think I had finally gotten completely used to a life without her. I was slowly learning how to grow up all on my own. Because I took a red-eye flight, I arrived home a little past 6 a.m. Without even stopping to chat with my parents, I took a lightning-fast shower and dive-bombed straight into bed to catch up on sleep. By the time I finally clawed my way out of my chaotic, tangled dreams, it was already noon. My mom was busy bringing hot dishes to the dining table. Seeing that I was finally awake, Auntie waved me over with a warm smile. I originally wanted cold noodles, but got dragged to a newly opened private restaurant on the corner instead. By the time I pushed open the private room doors, there was only one empty seat left. Brother Hafeng, you're so slow. The whole family is waiting for you. Before I could even sit down, Wei Yutong's voice rang out. I raised my eyes, about to reply, but the sight before me drove a vicious knife right into my eyes. The pain was suffocating. I hadn't seen her for half a year. She looked more mature now, but the thick, melting tenderness in her eyes was given entirely to the man beside her. She leaned against his arm with a shy smile, their fingers intertwined so tightly that not even a sliver of air could pass between them. My eyes stung, but my heart bled. She actually brought him home to meet her parents. The 19 years of history between me and Wei Yutong, memories that belonged solely to me, came to a brutal, grinding halt. In an instant, my mind went completely blank. Hao Feng, sit down. Order whatever you like. Auntie greeted me warmly. I sat there in a daze. Sitting right across from me were two people perfectly in love. In that moment, I truly wished I could gorge my own eyes out. Wei Yutong looked at him with an unbearably sweet gaze. Brother Hao Feng, this is the guy I've been telling you about. Meet my boyfriend, Hua Chu. Of course I knew who he was. He was the transfer student in our grade, the undisputed campus idol. His gentle, reserved nature was the exact opposite of my loud, carefree personality. I guess girls just naturally gravitate towards his type. And I had to admit, I really couldn't compare to him. What else could I say? I could only force out a stupid, hollow laugh. Brother Hafeng, Hua Chu is really introverted. You have to get along with him. We had known each other for 19 years. She knew exactly what kind of person I was. Yet, in front of everyone, she was silently warning me, as if I were some venomous snake. I wasn't that kind of guy. But my God, I was so utterly disappointed. As the dinner went on, Uncle and Auntie clearly weren't happy with Hua Chu's family background. They kept putting food in my bowl, completely ignoring him. Hua Chu looked visibly awkward, while Wei Yutong constantly whispered to comfort him. This was the Wei family's private business, so as an outsider, I kept my mouth shut and focused entirely on the food. Once I had eaten enough, I put down my chopsticks and slipped out to the small balcony for some fresh air. I just couldn't stomach watching them show off their love anymore. The balcony was small and hidden. I tucked myself into the shadows where no one could easily spot me. But just a moment later, a flurry of hurried footsteps stopped right outside. Not wanting to be seen, I silently shrank further into the corner. Yutong, what is so great about this Hua Chu? Is he really worth you being this dead set on him? Just look at his family background. How could he ever compare to Hao Feng? Why must it be him? I froze. It was Auntie and Wei Yutong. I desperately wanted to leave. This was their family drama and I shouldn't be hearing this. But the balcony was a dead end. Unless I jumped, I was trapped until they left. Wei Yutong was clearly hopelessly in love. Disregarding everything, she lowered her voice and fiercely argued with her mother. From my hiding spot, I could see Hua Chu standing awkwardly to the side, watching the whole scene unfold. He still had a smile on his face, but it was tainted with a pathetic, miserable sense of inferiority. For a split second, I actually felt sorry for him. Honestly, what did he do wrong? He couldn't choose his parents. He was just a guy who met a girl he liked and wanted to protect her. As for the messy history between me and Wei Yutong, that had absolutely nothing to do with him. Truth be told, neither of them were wrong. They just wanted to live the life they chose. A bitter, self-deprecating smile crept onto my face. Why could I find excuses to forgive everyone else? Yet I couldn't save myself. Outside, Wei Yutong completely lost control of her emotions. Her voice spiked in volume. Mom, can you please just think about me for once? The man I love is Hua Chu. Only with him will your daughter ever be happy. Lan Haofeng might be great, but he's just a neighbor. At most, he's just a brother to me. I don't like him, not now, and definitely not ever. Boom. It felt like a sledgehammer had just smashed directly into my skull. A rush of unbearable acidity surged up my nose. My vision blurred, my legs wobbled, and my chest hurt so much I thought my heart would rip in half. I couldn't listen to this anymore. If I didn't step out right now, I didn't know what kind of soul-crushing words she'd spit out next. Auntie went pale with rage, raising her hand to slap her. I stormed out of the balcony and grabbed Auntie's arm midair. Auntie's expression instantly crumbled. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. The overwhelming guilt in her eyes felt like an ocean trying to drown me. And then, Wei Yutong turned to look at me. Her gaze was freezing so cold it sent violent shivers straight through my soul. I didn't know where this icy hostility came from or why she was directing it at me. I could only laugh at myself. Gently patting Auntie's hand to calm her down, I forced a smile. Auntie, I don't actually like you, Tong. And she doesn't like me. It's impossible for us to be together. Besides, I already have someone I like. We're doing great right now. I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth, I'll just pretend I fed them to the dogs. That night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep as the agonizing pain in my chest kept spreading. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a message from her. Do you really have a girlfriend? Who is it? I stared blankly at the screen for a very long time, until my eyes began to water. Well, it's not you anyway. Why do you care? I muttered, tossing my phone to the foot of the bed without bothering to reply. The next morning, sporting massive dark circles under my eyes, I met up with a few high school buddies to go mountain climbing. After last night's disaster, I wanted to stay as far away from Wei Yutong as humanly possible, but our houses were just too close. Escaping her was the entire reason I organized this trip. But the moment I opened my front door, Wei Yutong and Hua Chu were right there, putting on their shoes. Talk about bad luck. I gave a stiff nod, not wanting to speak, but she looked up with a chilling stare. Right on time. Let's go. I called a car downstairs. I froze. You guys are coming too? She sneered. What else? Let you wander off alone. My heart instantly sank to the absolute bottom. Why the hell are you two joining us? Since I was the one who organized this whole thing, if I bailed halfway, my boys would absolutely murder me. I wanted to slap myself so hard. I planned this trip strictly to avoid seeing them, but now I dragged them right under my own nose. Talk about digging your own grave. When we gathered at the foot of the mountain, it was just my usual crew of close friends. Boys' friendships are simple and pure. We threw our arms around each other, laughing and shouting like idiots. They all knew about my history with Wei Yutong. They used to joke that we were the golden couple. But now, seeing her boldly holding another guy's hand right in front of my face, my bros were completely baffled, frantically shooting me confused glances. Faced with their burning gossip radar, what could I even say? That my unrequited love lasted almost 2 decades? That she only ever saw me as a brother? I couldn't say a damn word. All I could do was smile bitterly. Yutong, why don't you introduce your boyfriend to the guys? She leaned shyly against him, smiling coyly. Jiang Qing, who never had a filter, practically yelled, Whoa, since when did you get a boyfriend? These guys knew exactly how deeply I cared for her. They also remembered the time she publicly humiliated me. They even spent days cursing her out for my sake. This idiot Jiang Qing was clearly trying to demand justice for me. I could only sigh. This guy really knew exactly where to pour the salt. Wei Yutong's expression instantly darkened. Luza, seeing my total embarrassment, used his height advantage to slap a hand over Zhang Qing's mouth. Cut the crap. Start climbing. Mountain climbing is hard physical labor, definitely not meant for kids who spent their whole lives buried in books. Halfway up, everyone was exhausted, collapsing under the shade of the trees. They surrounded me, looking like they wanted to speak but were terrified of hurting my pride. It was funny yet incredibly heartwarming. I took a deep breath. I'll only say this once, so nobody ask again. That childhood engagement stuff was just our elders joking around. She's always just seen me as a brother. I was the one who misunderstood. Hua Chu is the guy she actually likes. Luzi looked stunned. Damn it, Hafeng, don't tell us your feelings for her were fake. How could they be fake? For Wei Yutong, I almost threw away my own dignity. But I just turned my head, staring at a small wild daisy blooming in the distance. A forced bond never lasts. She is her, and I am me. It will all pass. The guys sighed in unison, lamenting how unpredictable life could be. Then, they instantly hyped each other up, swearing that as soon as we got back, they'd cast a massive net and catch me a girlfriend 100 times better than Wei Yutong. I couldn't argue with them, so I just let them ramble on. Finally, we made it to the summit. The guys were loudly arguing about getting shaved ice from the only shop up there, but I glanced over and saw Wei Yutong and Hua Chu sitting under a tree, feeding each other raspberries. One for you, one for me. Their eyes were locked together, practically dripping with affection. My chest tightened violently. The taste in my mouth was 10 times sourer than those berries. Refusing to torture myself any longer, I turned on my heel and walked in the opposite direction. Lu Zi followed right beside me, muttering under his breath, Wei Yutong is so blind and ungrateful. She's definitely going to regret this. That Hua Chu guy is clearly bad news. With her naive personality, she's going to get played hard. I let him vent his righteous fury, not bothering to interrupt. Only when he finished did I tell him that she and I were firmly in the past, and to drop it. He ground his teeth, furious at my lack of backbone. I didn't have the energy to argue. I just stayed quiet, handing him water whenever his throat got dry. Suddenly, Zhang Qing called, Hey, we found a massive wild peach tree growing right on the edge of the cliff. It's loaded with fruit. Get over here. There were plenty of peach trees around, but one growing straight out of a sheer cliff face was incredibly rare. Luzi and I rushed over to see the spectacle. On the eastern slope, a massive tree was jutting out diagonally from the rocky ledge, its branches weighed down heavily by plump peaches. Looking at the branches, they seemed so close. I thought if I just reached out, I could grab one. Driven by an impulsive rush of adrenaline, I ignored my friend's frantic meowings and climbed right over the safety guardrail. I leaned forward, reaching for a branch extending over the abyss. I don't know if it was just my terrible luck, or if the ancient weathered rocks simply couldn't hold my weight. But suddenly the ground crumbled beneath me, a wave of dizziness hit me, and I plunged headfirst into the empty air. Maybe I wasn't meant to die today. In that split second between life and death, my hand desperately lashed out and grabbed a thick peach branch jutting from the rock crevices, violently halting my fall. I was left dangling helplessly in midair. Above me, Zhang Qing and the guys were screaming at the top of their lungs, but all I could hear was a deafening ringing in my ears. Thankfully, this was a tourist spot with an active rescue team. Help arrived quickly. By the time two young rescue workers finally hauled me back up to the trail, Wei Yutong was just arriving, dragging Hua Chu behind her. Lan Haofeng, how could you be so clumsy? Are you hurt? Since we were hiking, I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts. My exposed arms and legs were covered in brutal gashes, blood dripping everywhere. The sight of my own shredded skin was terrifying. The sheer terror of the fall completely paralyzed me. I couldn't even form a word to answer her. Hua Chu immediately crouched down between us, smoothly blocking the arm she was extending toward me. He used his softest, most comforting voice to soothe her. Yutong, don't panic. Haofeng will be absolutely fine. The lingering horror of nearly dying had frozen me to my core. My whole body was shaking uncontrollably like a leaf in a blizzard. Disgusted by their display of affection right in front of my bleeding body, I simply squeezed my eyes shut. Seeing me curled up and trembling, my friends' expressions darkened. They immediately rushed in, shielding me and asking if I was okay. When the rescue team carried me down the mountain on a stretcher, the ambulance was already waiting with its sirens blaring. My boys all piled into the back of the ambulance with me. As for Wei Yutong, she just held Hua Chu's hand carefully, following far behind us. The only ones surrounding me when it mattered were my true brothers. In that moment, any lingering warmth I had for her completely froze over. The ambulance screeched to a halt at the hospital doors. I saw my parents sprinting toward me like maniacs, their eyes red and overflowing with tears. My nose stung sharply. I had nearly gotten myself killed just trying to escape Wei Yutong for some peace and quiet, and she didn't even care that I was bleeding out, but my parents were weeping over me. Thank God I still had them. At least someone in this world actually loved me. I spent 4 days in the hospital, with my parents guarding my bed every single second. Uncle Wei and Auntie came every day too, bringing fruits and home-cooked meals, exhausting themselves to look after me. I felt terrible and deeply appreciated it. I knew exactly what they were trying to do. They were using their own actions to compensate because they knew Wei Yutong knew exactly how badly I was hurt. Yet she hadn't come to see me even once. If I said I wasn't disappointed, it would be a lie. On the afternoon of my third day, I had just woken up from a nap when I heard muffled arguing outside my door. The voices were familiar, Wei Yutong and Hua Chu. Separated by the wooden door, I couldn't hear every word, but it sounded like she wanted to come in and check on me, and Hua Chu was flat out refusing. They were having a nasty fight right in the hallway. I was getting discharged tomorrow anyway. Whether she visited me now or not meant absolutely nothing. If her coming in here was just going to make her boyfriend throw a fit, then it was better if she just stayed away. I truly didn't care anymore. My 20 years of devotion, consider it completely obliterated. Listening to them argue, the medication dragged me back under, and I fell asleep again. I didn't wake up until my mom pushed the door open. The hospital room was exactly as it had been. In the end, she never walked through that door. Mom asked me why my expression looked so strange, and I just smiled and shook my head. On the day I was discharged, both our families showed up in full force, packing the room to the brim. Uncle and Auntie were packing my bags, my mom was helping me into my jacket, and my dad was half kneeling on the floor tying my shoes. It was chaotic and loud, but my heart felt incredibly warm. So what if I lost love? With affection this deep and beautiful surrounding me, I was actually the richest guy in the world. Wei Yutong stood far away in the corner, with a clearly irritated Hua Chu right beside her. Several times she tried to step forward and help, but he subtly blocked her every time. So, she just stayed there keeping him company. Occasionally, she'd shoot me a glance filled with a hint of concern, but mostly she kept whispering in Hua Chu's ear to coax him. Hua Chu kept glaring in my direction, his eyes filled with undisguised hostility. I guessed Auntie had forced Yutong to come pick me up. Hua Chu didn't want her to come but didn't dare refuse the adults, so he was taking it out on her. The doctor said my wounds were mostly superficial, mixed with extreme shock, and I just needed to rest at home for a few days. But my mom had practically been scared out of her mind. She took an extended leave from work, determined to stay by my side 24/7, swearing to feed me until I gained back every single pound I lost. I couldn't win an argument with my mom, so I was forced to stay in bed every single day. She treated me like a prize pig, feeding me constantly. All I did was eat and sleep, sleep and eat. I was practically growing mold from being so idle. One afternoon, my mom's company called, saying there was an urgent matter she needed to handle. The poor woman hurriedly packed her bag, rattling off a minimum of 500 words of instructions before she left. I nodded along to everything. The second her footsteps disappeared down the hallway, I bolted upright and sprinted a few laps around the house in pure joy. After lying in bed for over 10 days, I felt like my legs were about to atrophy. If I didn't move, just as I was having the time of my life, my phone rang. It was Wei Yutong. I instantly sobered up, frowning as I debated whether to answer. After seeing her complete indifference to my near-death experience, my disappointment in her had reached an all-time high. During my recovery at home over the past few days, she had come by a few times to drop off food. It was always Auntie who cooked those nutritional meals for me, and my mom would accept them all, though I rarely ate them. Several times, Wei Yutong asked to come into my room to see me, but my mom always shut her down, using the excuse that I was asleep. "Auntie, I just want to take a quick look. I promise I won't do anything. We even used to sleep in the same bed when we were kids. I really do see Ho Feng as my own biological brother," she had pleaded. But my mom didn't even blink. "You said it yourself. That was when you were kids and didn't know any better. You're adults now, and you have a boyfriend. You need to know how to keep your distance." The day I came home, I told my mom that Hua Chu was unhappy about Wei Yutong picking me up from the hospital. If he found out she was hanging around my bedroom, they'd definitely get into a fight. I didn't want to be the spark that ignited their relationship drama. I just wanted to stay as far away from them as possible. Ever since the incident, although my mom and Auntie's friendship hadn't suffered, my mom definitely had strong opinions about Wei Yutong herself. In fact, my parents had already looked at houses in another district. It took a lot of convincing on my part to make them drop the idea of moving. I just didn't want my mom to have any regrets. However, she always assumed I refused to move because I was still hung up on Wei Yutong, which upset her for quite a while. Now that I was actively trying to distance myself from Wei Yutong, my mom was 100% on board and executed the plan. With absolute ruthlessness, when facing Wei Yutong, she no longer left any room for politeness. Honestly, I felt like if it weren't for Auntie's sake, my mom wouldn't even let her through the front door. In my mom's own words, "You didn't leave my precious son a shred of dignity in front of all those people, so why should I coddle you? Do you really think my son can't live without you?" My mom was right. I did like her, but she wasn't my oxygen. Someday I'd shake off these feelings entirely and find a girl who truly cared about me. I had been lying at home for 5 days, and Wei Yutong hadn't even touched the doorknob of my room. I thought she would have gotten the hint by now. Staring at the ringing phone, I hesitated, but my finger accidentally swiped the screen, unlocking it. Wei Yutong's voice came through the speaker loud and clear. "Brother, Ho Feng, open the door." She spoke with the exact same tone as always, a little arrogant, a little bossy. Because I was so fed up with her attitude, my tone wasn't great either. "I came to see you. Aren't I just worried about you? I've come by so many times, but Auntie never lets me see you. I've been thinking about you this whole time. From what I saw, Auntie just left. Hurry up and open the door so I can come in. My injuries hurt. I can't get up." Actually, I was standing right next to the door. Through the peephole, I could clearly see the impatience written all over her face. "Take your time getting up. I'm in no rush. I'll just wait right here at the door. I'll come in whenever you open it." Seeing how stubbornly she was standing there, I figured it wouldn't be right to just play dead forever. After a moment of thought, I decided to let her in. I slowly walked over and pulled the door open, and immediately regretted it. I thought she was alone, but Hua Chu was practically glued to her back. Seeing those two conjoined twins standing there made my head throb. I wanted to chop off my own hand for opening the door. Even though my intestines were green with regret, they were already here. I couldn't exactly slam the door in their faces now. "You're here. Please, come in." I deliberately used the formal please. Wei Yutong shot me a quick glare, grabbed Hua Chu's hand, turned sideways, and squeezed past me. She flopped down on the sofa like she owned the place, with Hua Chu pressing tightly against her side. The two of them were stuck together like Siamese twins, without a millimeter of space between them. I couldn't help but roast them mentally. "I know you guys are deeply in love, but do you really have to perform it live for me every second?" Outwardly, though, I kept up the polite host act and went to the kitchen to cut some fruit. "Brother Ho Feng, the day you fell, I found out too late and couldn't save you in time. I'm so sorry. It wasn't your responsibility anyway. Why are you apologizing? It's fine. I knew it. The handsome Lon Hao Feng I know is the most generous guy ever. He'd never be mad at me. Honestly, my mom forced me to come. She said if I didn't get your forgiveness, she wouldn't claim me as her daughter anymore. I was forced into this too." I gave a speechless laugh. "I really don't blame you. If you need me to, I can go tell Auntie Maya myself." "Hao Feng, your house is beautiful." Hua Chu, visiting for the first time, looked around curiously. "My mom designed it. She's an interior designer, quite well known in the industry. My talent for drawing is probably inherited from her." I walked out carrying the fruit platter and set it on the coffee table. Using a small fork, I handed a piece of cantaloupe to Hua Chu, then stabbed a piece for myself and popped it into my mouth. Chilled fruit on a hot summer day is absolute bliss, especially for someone like me who had been aggressively overfed by my mom for days and hadn't tasted anything this refreshing in ages. Wei Yutong stared straight at me, unblinking. I had no idea what her problem was, but her intense glare made the fruit taste like cardboard. "What are you looking at? Are you crazy?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Where's my fruit? Lan Hao Feng, is this how you treat your little sister?" I rolled my eyes. "Are your hands broken? Can't you get it yourself? Are you expecting me to feed you like I used to? You even know where our family keeps the bank books, so why pretend to be a polite guest now?" I swear on my life, I said those words completely unintentionally. I was just casually chatting. I meant absolutely nothing by it. But Huachu's face darkened almost instantly. He looked a mix of indignant, resentful, and mostly fiercely jealous. Lan Haofeng, is your family that rich? You even tell her where you keep your bank books. Aren't you afraid something might happen to them? I shrugged casually. I was just making an analogy to show how well Wei Yutong knows my house. Hell, even I don't know where our bank books are, so she definitely doesn't. But Huachu's question was incredibly loaded. By obsessing over whether my family was wealthy or not, he was simultaneously questioning Wei Yutong's character. I was genuinely amazed by this guy's bizarre thought process. My dad is a middle school teacher, and my mom is a designer. They make decent money. Our family isn't exactly rich, but we get by. What's the phrase my mom uses? Oh right, worse off than some, better off than many. I'm just telling the truth, no exaggeration at all. We're just chatting, saying whatever comes to mind. Huachu's face grew even uglier. He gripped Wei Yutong's hand tightly. Yet, he still maintained that gentle, soft-spoken facade. Actually, not having money is a good thing. I've heard that families with a bit of wealth are never happy. Either the siblings fight over the inheritance, or the parents hate each other. Sooner or later, they end up getting divorced. Classmate Huachu, are you implying that my parents are going to get divorced sooner or later? Hearing that, I immediately lost my temper. Wasn't he blatantly cursing my family? Even Wei Yutong realized he had crossed a line. She squeezed his hand. Don't talk nonsense. Uncle and auntie have a great relationship. Huachu didn't let go of her hand. Instead, he pulled Wei Yutong right into his arms, turned his head and stared at me provocatively. I didn't mean it like that at all. Yutong, you're overthinking it. Watching the two of them put on this ridiculous show, I really wanted to grab a broom and sweep them both out the door. If you want to make out, go home, lock the door, and kiss until your lips bleed. Nobody cares. Why come to my house and act like a pompous jerk? Huachu's words were heavily loaded. Even a carefree guy like me understood the subtext perfectly, so there was zero chance Wei Yutong didn't hear it. She was just playing dumb to protect him. Which meant Huachu knew Wei Yutong was here, knew I couldn't do anything to him, and deliberately came to my house to pick a fight. It's true that I haven't spoken much over the past 2 years, mostly because I was too lazy to argue. But that absolutely didn't mean I was a pushover. In the past, when Wei Yutong bullied me, I had no choice because I was foolish enough to like her. But who the hell are you, Huachu? Who gave you the right to waltz into my house and act like the boss? Do you really think Wei Yutong is your impenetrable shield, making you invincible? Let me tell you, I'm completely over it. Those 20 years of youth, just consider them gone. You probably don't know this, but my parents' relationship is rock solid. Plus, I'm an only child. Whatever good stuff we have is all mine. Even if I wanted someone to fight over it with, I couldn't find anyone. Isn't this just pure green tea behavior? Who doesn't know how to play this game? Haofeng, you misunderstood. I really didn't mean it that way. I just came with Yutong to check on you. I swear I had no other intentions. You're overthinking it. Huachu looked at me with immense grievance, acting as if I had just brutally bullied him. He couldn't stand the fact that my family had decent living conditions. I didn't care about that. After all, his family had been through a lot. But he absolutely should not have dragged my parents into it. How could I possibly let someone insult the people who gave me life and raised me? Wei Yutong stared at me in shock. She probably thought I was born to be a doormat with zero temper. Honestly, in the past, I was famous for my good temper. Especially when it came to her, I really did obey her every single word. Seeing that Wei Yutong wasn't stepping in to defend him, Huachu put on an incredibly pathetic, humiliated expression. Haofeng, please don't be like this. I really didn't mean anything by it. I just wanted to see how you were doing. If you look down on me, I'll just leave right now. I was thoroughly disgusted by his hypocritical act. Wei Yutong, thanks for coming to see me. You can head back now. I'm tired and want to rest. I coldly issued the eviction notice. Wei Yutong's face instantly darkened, a dark storm brewing in her eyes. She stared at me fixedly, clearly furious that I was kicking them out. Lan Haofeng, we came here with good intentions to see you. What is wrong with you? If you really look down on Huachu that much, fine. We'll just stay far away from you from now on. The first half of her sentence was for Huachu to hear, while the second half was aimed straight at me. I was so angry I almost laughed. Her performance right now gave me a brand new understanding of who she was. From the moment they walked in, Huachu had been subtly digging traps and throwing shade. He was the one who provoked me first, okay? She was so smart, there was no way she didn't see through his act. Yet when I fired back a few sentences, in her eyes it suddenly became me humiliating Huachu. So, what about the garbage he spewed? Did my parents deserve his passive-aggressive insults? Are you deaf? Did you not hear what he said about my parents? I don't care if you play favorites, but there has to be a limit. I don't give a damn what you guys say about me, but you do not talk about my parents. I don't want to argue. Get the hell out, and don't bother coming back unless it's an emergency. Wei Yutong froze, her eyes filling with pure disbelief. Yutong, I really didn't mean what he said. He's misunderstanding me. You have to believe me. Believe my ass. I stared at the absurd drama unfolding in front of me, completely speechless. Why the hell was my hand so itchy? Why did I even open the door? Lan Haofeng. The way Hua Chu spoke about uncle and auntie was definitely thoughtless, but he's always been someone who speaks without thinking. Why do you have to be so petty and unforgiving? Setting the facts aside, are you completely blameless? You clearly know his family went through a massive tragedy, and his parents separated, yet you bragged right to his face about how great your life is. Weren't you deliberately triggering him? Brother Hafeng, how did you become a person like this? Her evaluation practically called me malicious. I was so angry I burst out laughing. Was this really the Wei Yutong I had known for 19 years? Truly, a manipulative green tea and a loyal lapdog make the perfect match. Wei Yutong, I'm too lazy to waste another word on you. I'm tired. I kindly ask you both to roll out of my house. Thank you. Wei Yutong grabbed Hua Chu's hand and stormed out, fuming. Just before crossing the threshold, Hua Chu glanced back at me. The smug triumph in his eyes was so glaringly obvious. I just found it hilarious. Because she favored him, he felt he could act with absolute impunity. 2 days later, Zhang Qing and Luza came looking for me. Only then did my mom reluctantly agree to let me out for some fresh air. The moment I stepped out the door, my mom followed right behind me, rattling off a massive list of taboos. Don't do this, don't do that. Ignoring her, the two of them grabbed me and sprinted toward the stairs, charging out toward the beautiful blue sky and white clouds. Behind us, we could hear my mom's helpless, laughing scolding. Late Saturday afternoon, Wei Yutong suddenly knocked on my door. I really didn't want to see her. The memory of our last encounter was still fresh in my mind, but my mom quickly unlatched the door and asked what she wanted. Wei Yutong stretched her neck to peek inside. I was slouched on the sofa watching a variety show, laughing my head off. She seemed to frown slightly upon seeing me, but quickly relaxed, smiling as she said she wanted to treat me to hot pot. My mom hesitated for a second, but eventually let her in so we could talk alone. A new Chongqing authentic hot pot place just opened on Center Street. It's super spicy and fresh. The flavor is supposed to be amazing. Go change your clothes, my treat. I was completely unmotivated to move, shaking my head vigorously like a rattle drum. Too hot, not going. If this were the past, back when I was still in my ultimate simp phase, I would have been absolutely ecstatic if she asked me out. But after everything that had happened, I only wanted to stay as far away from her as possible. Besides, over the past year, every single time I was with her, something terrible happened. My bad luck went through the roof. She was practically my walking jinx. My horrific injuries had just barely healed, and I absolutely did not want to end up back in the hospital. No matter how much Wei Yutong tried to persuade me, I kept shaking my head like a rattle drum, flat out refusing to cooperate. Just go, give me some face, Brother Haofeng. Consider it my apology for what happened last time. Apologize for what? Everything's fine, I replied, my eyes glued to the TV, not even bothering to look at her. Hua Chu was definitely in the wrong that day. He's too thin-skinned to come himself, so I'm apologizing on his behalf. Talk is cheap, so hot pot is the proof. My apology is absolutely sincere. Ever since he got together with Hua Chu, he's really changed a lot. He used to barely speak, like he was half mute. He never used to say cheeky things like that. As for that incident, I've already forgotten about it. No apology needed. I can't accept it, Lan Haofeng. We grew up together. I know you better than you know yourself. You can't hide it when you're lying to me. You're clearly still mad at me, still refusing to forgive me. Don't blame me for taking his side, I just couldn't bear to see him sad. But right is right and wrong is wrong. So if you've truly forgiven me, then come eat hot pot with me. I still shook my head, rejecting the offer. Wei Yutong immediately started lecturing me on the grand philosophies of life. She chanted at me like a monk reciting scriptures until my head pounded. Left with no choice, I finally changed my clothes and went with her. It was just a hot pot meal, right? It wasn't like she was going to eat me alive. Right before we left, my mom shoved an umbrella into my hands, glaring at me unhappily. Go early and come back early. The sky looks gloomy. It's definitely going to rain. You just recovered. Do not get caught in the rain and catch a cold. Wei Yutong promised repeatedly that she would take good care of me, which finally earned a smile from my mom. The two of us walked side by side down the sidewalk, chatting aimlessly about random things. The alleyway was quite narrow, and with kids constantly running around playing, it felt a bit cramped for two people. I purposefully fell a step behind, staggering my pace to avoid walking shoulder to shoulder. She turned back and shot me a displeased glare. I acted like I didn't notice, looking away. I calmly maintained my pace, staying exactly one step behind her. No more, no less. The hot pot restaurant had a fiery name, Boiling Point. Wei Yutong picked a booth right by the window. The view was expansive, allowing us to watch the diverse tapestry of city life through the glass. We had barely sat down when it started pouring rain outside. I was incredibly grateful for my mom's psychic foresight, otherwise I would have been drenched to the bone and frozen solid. Wei Yutong ordered a split broth pot and a ton of side dishes. She tossed them into the boiling broth one by one, fishing them out when they were cooked and placing them directly onto my plate. I immediately raised my arm to block her, my eyes slightly red. You eat. I'll get it myself. She glanced down at her own chopsticks, a small smile playing on her lips. What, are you disgusted that I'm not using serving chopsticks? When we were kids, we used to share the exact same spoon to sneak dry milk powder. You took a bite, I took a bite, and we finished half the bag together. You weren't embarrassed back then. You ate most of it. I didn't see you feeling embarrassed back then. Recognizing your mistakes and fixing them is the greatest virtue. Brother Hafeng, can you stop speaking to me with such a weird, passive-aggressive tone? Half the time, I wonder if this cold, indifferent person is really the Lan Haofeng I used to know. How did you change so much? Just eat. If you boil it too long, it won't taste good. I picked up a piece of bok choy and put it in my mouth. It actually tasted pretty good. She awkwardly pulled her chopsticks back, shoved the food into her mouth, and buried her head in her meal. I didn't have much of an appetite. After symbolically eating a few pieces of vegetables, I put down my chopsticks and waited for her to finish, so we could go back. When she was about done, she stopped, glanced at me, pulled out a tissue, and reached over to wipe a speck of grease from the corner of my mouth. Since the Mid-Autumn Festival that year, we hadn't been this physically close. Her movement was too sudden. My reflexes kicked in, and I jerked my head back to dodge her hand. Her hand froze in midair. She gave a stiff smile and pulled it back. The hot pot is finished. Just say it. I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth, consider them fed to the dogs. She furrowed her brows. I didn't know what she was thinking, but the dim light in her eyes was incredibly complex. Brother Hafeng, about last time, Hua Chu was wrong. I brought him to apologize to you, but you were also in the wrong. He's deeply traumatized by what happened to his father. He's extremely sensitive and struggles with an inferiority complex. We grew up together. We have such a deep bond, and in the future we're going to be a family. I was hoping— She stopped talking. I looked at her, genuinely curious about what she was going to say next. I was hoping, for my sake, could you please watch what you say around him? Just yield to him a little. Don't provoke him anymore. I laughed. Saying she was treating me to a meal to apologize, I actually fell for it. I really was too stupid. This wasn't a treat at all. It was obviously a negotiation disguised as a hot pot dinner. She wanted me to stop upsetting her precious sweetheart. I can do everything you just asked, I replied with a cold snort. But he is your boyfriend, not mine. I have absolutely no obligation to coddle him. You were there the whole time that day. It was blatantly obvious that he provoked me first. Why am I not allowed to fight back? He gets to be sensitive and insecure, but when I defend my family, I'm the one who owes an apology. Did you treat me to dinner just to lecture me on his behalf? Wei Yutong, are you blind? Wei Yutong's expression changed instantly. She stared at me, her eyes filled with total disbelief. She clearly hadn't expected such a massive reaction from me. After all, since we were kids, I had basically obeyed her every command. This was the first time I had ever argued with her so fiercely. She stared at me silently for a long time, unable to speak. I ignored her, deciding this meal was completely pointless. I grabbed my umbrella and prepared to leave. She was quick. She grabbed my sleeve, refusing to let me go. Brother Hafeng, I'm sorry. Don't leave so fast. We haven't talked like we used to in such a long time. Can we just sit down and chat for a bit? Whenever the past was brought up, my heart would always soften. Seeing my expression ease, Wei Yutong's eyes lit up with joy. She let go of my wrist, curled her lips, and smiled. What followed wasn't much of a conversation. It was just her talking and me listening. She told me about her college life. She talked about the sweetness of being with Hua-Chu, her plans for their future, and her dreams for the life ahead. She talked a lot. She mentioned a lot of people. The only person missing from her future was me. Overall, this meal was a miserable experience. When we stepped out, the rain was pouring even harder. Thick black clouds hung violently low. I remembered the heavy rainstorm warning from noon and instantly regretted coming out. Sure enough, whenever I was with her, nothing good ever happened. We only had one umbrella between the two of us, and it was a tiny, delicate women's umbrella. It was small, but having one was better than nothing. Let's run fast. Hopefully we won't get too soaked. Standing at the entrance of the hot pot restaurant, Wei Yutong suddenly spoke up. Is it possible for me to use the umbrella alone and you just sprint back? Before I could react, she snatched the umbrella from my hand, popped it open, grabbed my arm, and dragged me headfirst into the storm. But the rain was too heavy and the umbrella was far too small. Pressed tightly together, the merciless rain still battered us. Half of our clothes and pants were instantly soaked. The rain hammered against the umbrella canopy with a loud thwack. My nose was completely filled with her unique scent, and my pathetic heart actually started racing. I quickly chanted a few calming mantras in my head and shifted myself toward the outer edge, but she just tilted the umbrella my way and squeezed closer, trapping me underneath it. Stop moving around. We'll be home soon. We hadn't walked far when I suddenly heard someone calling Wei Yutong's name. Amidst the deafening roar of the storm, it wasn't perfectly clear, but it was definitely there. The aura around Wei Yutong shifted instantly. She shoved the umbrella back into my hands and widened her eyes, searching wildly around. Brother Hafeng, I heard Hua Chu's voice. I'm not hearing things, right? No. It really is him, I said calmly. Standing across the street under the awning of a small kiosk holding a massive umbrella was Hua-Chu, the guy who had supposedly gone back to his hometown to visit his mother. Wei Yutong spotted him. The dark gloom in her eyes instantly exploded into brilliant starlight. Like an excited child, she leaped into the torrential rain. Her pure white shoes stomped through the filthy puddles, kicking up a trail of dirty splashes. As she ran, Hua-Chu, you're back. She ran toward him in pure ecstasy. Hua Chu caught her in his arms and pulled her into a tight, crushing embrace. Wei Yutong laughed happily against his chest. I stood frozen in the pouring rain, completely oblivious to the fact that my umbrella had tilted away. In that moment, my heart felt wetter and colder than the raging storm around me. Hua Chu shielded Wei Yutong as they ran happily through the downpour, leaving me completely abandoned in my tracks. Hua Chu turned his head and shouted loudly at me, "Lan Hao Feng, we're leaving first. Be careful on your way back." I guess that counted as a word of concern. The storm grew fiercer. The black clouds hung so low they felt like they were going to crush my skull. A thick layer of water rapidly pooled on the ground. Thunder exploded directly overhead, blowing my fragile heart to pieces. The torrential downpour caused severe flash flooding. The water had already risen past the curbs. Aside from the murky, turbulent water, I couldn't see the road at all, nor could I predict what was under my feet. I waded carefully, testing each step. The wind was so violent it flipped my tiny umbrella inside out. I dragged the broken umbrella along. It was supposed to be a 20-minute walk, but every step was an agonizing struggle. For every step forward, the howling wind and rain battered me 2 steps back. The umbrella became a useless drag, so I threw it away. The rain lashed my face so hard I couldn't even open my eyes. Relying purely on instinct, I blindly stumbled in the direction of home. I kept comforting myself. "I'm almost there. Just hold on a little longer. Mom is waiting for me. And Dad, and that warm orange light of home." By the time I realized something was wrong and tried to pull my foot back, it was too late. It felt like a massive hand inside the whirlpool grabbed my ankle and yanked downward. The world spun violently, and I crashed heavily into the filthy water. Rain poured down on my head like a waterfall. Suddenly, I remembered what my mom had mentioned that morning. There was an abandoned, uncovered manhole on this exact street. It was extremely dangerous. Judging by the location she described, I was absolutely certain I had unluckily fallen straight into it. It hadn't even been half a month, yet here I was, facing life and death all over again. Last time, I at least had Zhang Qing and my boys with me. This time, I was completely alone. The water level was rising rapidly. Gritting my teeth through the excruciating pain, I desperately forced myself to stand up. My right leg was so numb it felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. Leaning against the cold, slimy wall of the manhole, I stared blankly at the rapidly rising water. I regretted it. "Lan Hao Fan, have you never eaten hot pot before? Was it really worth putting yourself in this pathetic state just for a meal?" In the end, I barely ate a few bites, and now I was about to lose my life in this damn sewer. I refused to accept this. "Is anyone there? Help me!" I screamed at the top of my lungs, tearing my vocal cords. I prayed desperately that some brave pedestrian braving the storm would hear me and pull me up. The chances were astronomically slim, but I couldn't give up. Yet, aside from the deafening roar of the storm and the thunder, there was nothing. Utter despair and raw terror swallowed me whole. I decided I had to save myself. I tried several times to climb out using my own strength, but my injured right leg was completely useless. Just as the freezing water surged past my chest, an elderly street sweeper finally spotted me. Tucked inside the sleeve of his tattered raincoat was a dim flashlight. He peered down the manhole, squinting to get a better look. "Grandpa, please save me. I'm hurt." I tilted my head up, screaming for my life. Filthy rain poured into my mouth, tasting bitter and vile. "Don't be scared. I'm gonna go grab something. I'll be right back to get you out." The old man disappeared. The world instantly returned to its cold, merciless state. But I believed in the old man's kindness. I knew he would come back. And he did, very quickly. He tossed down a long, thick coil of rope. "Young man, tie it tightly around your waist. I'll pull you up." After a brutal struggle, I finally managed to secure the rope around my waist. The old man began to haul me up with all his might. The veins on his thin, weathered hands bulged painfully. I dug my fingers into the brick crevices of the manhole wall, trying to take as much of my weight off him as possible. But after several agonizing attempts, we just couldn't break free. Again and again, I slipped and crashed back down into the pit, my body accumulating more and more gashes. I was completely exhausted. For the final attempt, I gathered every last ounce of strength left in my body. Sinking with the old man's pull, I kicked violently against the wall and surged upward. I finally saw the familiar street, the raging rainstorm, and the kind, deeply worried face of the old man looking down at me. My vision exploded with stars. I forced out a weak thank you before plunging into total darkness. I had so many strange dreams. I seemed to be pulled back into the past. The memories played in broken fragments. Even in my dreams, Wei Yutong still managed to hurt me, causing me agonizing pain. "Oh right, I saw Sister Yumeng. She hasn't been back in almost 2 years, has she? It's been so long I had almost forgotten she existed. In the 2 years since we last saw each other, we only exchanged brief holiday greetings." She rarely posted on her WeChat moments, so I had absolutely no way of knowing what was going on in her life. I wondered what she looked like now. Was she still the same person from my memories? The one who would always give me lollipops and cake whenever I was sad? Sister Yumeng, she was the only source of warmth in my dreams. Following a bright, glowing path, I kept walking forward. Suddenly, a thick fog materialized in front of me. "Hao Feng, come back." I heard my mom's voice. She was calling me home. My eyes snapped open. The brilliant morning sunlight stabbed directly into my eyes. I quickly raised my arm to block the glare. Instantly, a large, warm, dry hand firmly pressed my arm down. The voice was trembling with insane, unrestrained joy. "Don't move. The blood will backflow. Honey, our son is awake." My mind slowly cleared. The sharp stench of disinfectant filled my nose. Above me, an IV drip steadily released clear fluid into the tube. I remembered now. It was that kind old grandpa who saved me. Once again, I had miraculously survived a brush with death. "Baby, how are you? Does anywhere hurt?" My mom's haggard but incredibly loving face swam into my vision. "Mom," I called out weakly, raising my hand to touch her face. She grabbed my hand and pressed it tightly against her cheek. Tears of pure joy burst from her eyes once again. "My good boy, my precious baby. As long as you're okay, as long as you're okay." Her voice gradually broke, dissolving into heart-wrenching sobs. "Mom, thought I'd never hear your voice again. It's so good to hear you call me Mom. So good. Mom, don't cry. I'm fine." I comforted her, turning my head to look for my dad. "Hao Feng, Dad is right here. Don't be scared. Dad is here." He was standing on the other side of the bed, looking at my dad's face. My heart ached so much I wanted to cry. Was this still my elegant, handsome father? His hair was a mess, his face was swollen, and a thick layer of unkempt stubble covered his jaw. Only his eyes still shone with that familiar, protective love. Mom said when they found me, my body was as cold as ice, completely unmoving, and my breathing was so faint it was almost non-existent. She was so terrified her soul nearly left her body. My dad said they thought I would never open my eyes again, and they had practically cried themselves dry. Looking at my parents guarding me, seeing their exhausted faces, I finally understood just how badly I had terrified them this time. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. This time it was my fault. It will never happen again." I asked my mom where the grandpa who saved my life was, and if we could still find him. I had passed out the second I got out of the manhole. It was the old grandpa. He dragged his heavy steps all the way to the shops ahead to borrow a phone and call the ambulance. Then he stayed with you in the freezing rain until it arrived. He came with you to the hospital and even used the last few crumpled bills in his pocket to pay for your emergency medicine. Thank God for that kind old man. Otherwise, my son, my mom couldn't finish her sentence before breaking down in tears again. My dad patted her shoulder gently. "The boy is watching. Don't make him sad, too. Mom, when I recover, I have to go thank him personally. If it weren't for him, I would definitely be dead. He saved my life." "Okay, when you're better, we will all go together to thank him." "Dad, how did you guys know I was in the hospital?" At the mention of that day's events, both my parents' faces instantly darkened. My usually cheerful mom clenched her jaw, suppressing a rage she couldn't hide. "That night, when it was almost 9 p.m. and you still weren't home, I called you only to find your phone sitting on the living room sofa. Wei Yutong's phone was turned off. The storm was so violent I was worried sick. I had no choice but to knock on Auntie's door to ask what happened. And when I looked inside, my mom was furious just recounting it. The same Wei Yutong who dragged you out of the house was sitting comfortably on her sofa. Hua Chu had one arm around her and was feeding her fruit with the other. When I asked where you were, she actually looked at me with a blank face and said, "Lan Haofeng isn't back yet." But we split up on the street. After finding out where we had separated, my parents didn't even grab an umbrella. They just charged out into the storm to find me. Later, a pet shop owner mentioned that an ambulance had been there a while ago because someone fell into a manhole, but he wasn't sure if it was the person they were looking for. By the time my parents rushed to the hospital, I was already lying in the ER, getting an IV, with the kind old grandpa standing by my side. Listening to my parents' account, I just gave a faint, empty smile. Just as I was about to say something, there was a knock on the door. Not surprisingly, it was Uncle Wei and Auntie carrying bags of gifts. Behind them was a very awkward-looking Wei Yutong. Hua Chu was nowhere to be seen. Wenhei, is Hao Feng awake? This time, it's completely Yutong's fault. I brought her here. Hao Feng can do whatever he wants, beat her, scold her. I have no objections. If he hits her too lightly, I'll be the one to step in. Seeing me awake, Auntie reached out, her eyes filled with deep guilt and self-blame. Wanting to stroke my face, she placed the gifts on the windowsill and started taking things out one by one. My mom walked over and completely shut her down. She took the items Auntie had just pulled out and shoved them right back into the bags. "There's no need. We don't lack anything here. Sorry to make you take a trip for nothing. We can take care of Haofen just fine. You should go back." Auntie clearly felt my mom's icy reception, her eyes turning red with sadness. "Wenhei, please don't be like this." She put down the bags and dragged Wei Yutong right in front of my bed. "Hurry up and apologize to Haofeng." Wei Yutong looked terrible, her eyes darting away, refusing to meet mine. Being aggressively yanked forward by Auntie, she stumbled but didn't say a word. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "Save it. You did nothing wrong. I'm fine. You can leave now." If I hadn't met that kind old man, I would be a freezing corpse right now. Is a simple "I'm sorry" going to bring me back to life? Wei Yutong seemed to sense my absolute freezing indifference. She stepped closer, reaching out as if to check the temperature of my forehead. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say more. I turned my head, completely dodging her hand and shutting down whatever words she was about to speak. I'm tired and need to rest. Please leave. And don't come back. Perhaps my coldness was too unfamiliar to her. A thread of genuine hurt surfaced in her guilty eyes. Brother Ho Feng, you never used to treat me like this. I turned my head away, closed my eyes, and refused to look at anyone. The hospital room fell into a dead, heavy silence, save for the faint sound of breathing. Old Lan, it's completely Yutong's fault that Hao Feng got hurt so badly and almost lost his life. We came here to sincerely apologize. My father, who was usually the epitome of elegance and gentleness, uncharacteristically cut Uncle Wei off mid-sentence. His voice was laced with a chilling frost I had rarely ever heard. Old Wei, Hao Feng said he doesn't blame Yutong, so don't let it weigh on your mind. Hao Feng is lucky to be alive and that he didn't die in that sewer. We are already extremely grateful. The doctor just said Hao Feng needs strict bed rest. I won't see you out. Exactly. I am their son. We will take care of our own son. We can't afford Wei Yutong's apologies, and we certainly won't be trying to win her favor ever again. Hao Feng needs to sleep. You should leave, and please don't come back. My mom had never been this fiercely cold to Auntie before. She was doing it all for me. Auntie stood at the foot of my bed, calling out to me softly, Hao Feng. I opened my eyes and gave her a small smile. Auntie, I'm really fine. Uncle Wei knew my parents were practically burning with rage, and that saying anything else was useless. He shot Wei Yutong a harsh glare, turned around, and led the way out. Auntie stared at me, telling me to rest well and that she would come see me again. I knew she wouldn't. My mom and I had already shut that door completely. Wei Yutong was the last one to leave. She stood by the door, turning back to look at me for a very long time. It looked like she had a million things she wanted to say. I completely ignored her and turned to my mom, asking her to peel a peach for me. The moment I fell into that manhole, any connection between me and Wei Yutong in this lifetime was permanently severed. Later, when I brought up the topic of moving, my dad said he had already picked out a house and paid the deposit. It was a new residential complex closer to the city center, much farther away from here. The only catch was that it was still under construction and wouldn't be ready until next year. I felt a bit disappointed. If it were up to me, moving out immediately would be the best. I stayed in the hospital for exactly 10 days until my scars were mostly healed. Back home, lying on my own massive bed, there were no IV bags hanging over my head, no doctors or nurses flipping me over like a pancake every morning and night for routine checks. Every pore in my body practically sighed with relief. Around 5 p.m., Auntie came to see me. She dropped off 2 massive bags of fruits and snacks, then went back and brought over 2 huge plates of freshly boiled vegetarian dumplings. I had just woken up from a nap, but my mom didn't know, so she told Auntie I was still asleep. Auntie politely said it was fine, but I could hear the deep disappointment in her voice. She really wanted to see me herself. My mom and Auntie sat in the living room chatting. My bedroom door wasn't fully closed, so I could hear their conversation crystal clear. First, Auntie brought up Wei Yutong and kept profusely apologizing to my mom. My mom calmly brushed it off, saying she didn't blame Auntie and that it had nothing to do with her. Her tone was polite, but incredibly distant. Then my mom mentioned that we had already bought a new house and would be moving out this time next year. Auntie went completely silent for a long time, and then started crying. Whether you believe it or not, my heart truly aches for Hao Feng, seeing him suffer so much, almost losing his life. Auntie sobbed quietly. Hearing her sincere tears, my mom's heart softened. Decades of friendship aren't easily erased. Her tone gentled as she comforted Auntie, telling her not to overthink things. Everything will eventually pass. This disastrous, cursed summer break finally came to an end. Under my mom's endless worried nagging and my dad's reluctant gaze, I embarked on a new journey. For some unknown reason, Wei Yutong insisted on leaving for college on the exact same day as me. I didn't care. If she wanted to leave on the same day, fine. It was just a short car ride to the airport. When we arrived at the airport and got out of the car, Sister Yumeng suddenly video called me. Without thinking much about it, I stepped aside to answer. Let me tell you, Sister Yumeng is a truly brilliant and stunning person. But she has one habit I'll never understand. Whenever she needs to tell me something, she rarely makes a normal voice call. It's almost always a video call. I asked her why once, and she said it was because video call ringtones are louder and harder to miss. It turned out the art department of Yan University was co-hosting a major competition with several top-tier art academies. The judging panel consisted entirely of renowned masters in traditional Chinese painting. Universities could form teams to enter. She was asking if I wanted to participate, and if so, she wanted to team up with me. Honestly, I hadn't interacted with Sister Yumeng that much, but her achievements in traditional Chinese painting were extraordinary. Her soft, elegant, and graceful art style perfectly complemented my bolder strokes. I had learned so much from her. To me, she was both a mentor and a close friend. Traditional Chinese painting was my passion, and teaming up with her was an opportunity I would beg for. Before hanging up, Sister Yumeng said she'd pick me up at the airport when I flew back, so I wouldn't have to lug my heavy suitcases back to campus all by myself. I was genuinely thrilled. After ending the call, I saw Wei Yutong standing by the road not far away, guarding a mountain of luggage, waiting for me, and right next to her, Hua Chu had his arm wrapped around her shoulder a gentle smile plastered on his face. Who were you video calling? He asked me, his smile not matching the coldness in his eyes. I was stunned. None of your damn business. You don't even know her. Wei Yutong looked noticeably displeased. Isn't it obvious? Chatting for that long, looking that happy? It has to be his girlfriend. Suddenly, Hua Chu spoke up. Well, Hafeng, your girlfriend is pretty terrible, isn't she? You were severely injured all summer and she didn't even come to see you once. Look at Yutong. She spent all her free time keeping me company. Now that is what a real girlfriend looks like. Wow, he really was something. If he didn't speak, he was just annoying, but the moment he opened his mouth, pure malice spilled out. Truly disgusting. Too lazy to even acknowledge him, I pretended I hadn't heard a word, grabbed my luggage, and walked away. My flight landed around dusk. I turned on my phone, and it immediately pinged with several messages. They were all from Wei Yutong. Did you land? Brother Hafeng, you have a lot of luggage. Is anyone picking you up? Brother Hafeng, stay away from other girls. You're so naive, I'm afraid you'll get hurt. This clingy, ambiguous version of Wei Yutong was honestly just incredibly annoying. I deleted the messages one by one and replied with 4 words, already picked up. Bye. The other side replied almost instantly, firing off several long voice messages in rapid succession. I didn't even bother listening. I deleted them all and shoved my phone into my backpack. Sister Yameng was waiting for me in front of a black SUV. She looked stunning, her smile as bright as a flower, standing tall and graceful. When she saw me walk out, her eyes lit up. She jogged over and playfully patted the top of my head. Long time no see, Haofeng. You've gotten taller. I shrank my neck a bit shyly, tilting my head to look at her. Sister Yameng, you've gotten even prettier. Getting a compliment from Haofeng, I'm truly honored. But why are you so thin? Have you not been eating properly? She tilted her head, looking at me with concern. For a moment, I couldn't find the right words to answer her. Getting injured twice in one summer, being hospitalized twice, plus dealing with severe depression, my appetite had been completely ruined. I really had lost a significant amount of weight. Sister Yumeng, it's been 2 years and you still remember what I used to look like. I've just been on a diet recently, I lied, rubbing my cheek with an awkward laugh. Sister Yumeng shot me a sharp, knowing glance. You look like you're going to pass out. I don't care if you're dieting or whatever else you're doing. Starting today, I'm going to feed you until you're back to normal. Prepare yourself. My dorm room, unoccupied for the entire summer, was covered in a thick layer of dust. My roommates weren't arriving until tomorrow. I rolled up my sleeves and started scrubbing. By the time I finished unpacking and cleaning everything, it was almost 7 p.m. My back ached and my legs were sore. Just as I was about to collapse onto my bed for a rest, Sister Yumeng sent me 2 documents, followed immediately by a video call. She said the documents contained her initial concepts for the competition. They were a bit rushed, just a general framework, and the details still needed to be hammered out. She wanted me to look over them and see if I could inject any fresh, innovative ideas. We're joining forces to ensure a sweeping victory. Can I look at them a bit later? I just finished deep cleaning my dorm and I'm exhausted. I really need to rest for a bit. I spoke weakly, completely drained of energy. She raised an eyebrow. The feeding plan starts with this meal. I'm coming to your dorm to pick you up. We'll eat first, then you can come back and rest. Honestly, I was dead tired and really didn't want to move, but my stomach was fiercely protesting. I couldn't exactly starve myself, could I? Thinking it over, I agreed. Oh, by the way, do you mind if a few of my classmates tag along? Not at all. The more the merrier. It'll save us from staring at each other in awkward silence. She offered to pick me up, but I declined, telling her to just send me the location and I'd head over myself. At 7:45 p.m., I arrived at the designated spot. It was another hot pot restaurant once bitten by a snake, 10 years afraid of well ropes. Right now, just seeing the word hot pot made me shudder from the bottom of my soul. As soon as I walked through the door, a tall girl stood up from a booth deep in the dining area near the window. She said something to her friends at the table and walked toward me. Wow, she was incredibly tall. I had never really noticed before. Just as I was about to greet them, she smiled at me. Sister Yumeng, did you grow taller? You're so tall. The second the words left my mouth, I instantly regretted it. All the blood rushed to my face and I started sweating from pure embarrassment. Sister Yumeng was already over 20. How could she possibly still be growing? That was the stupidest thing I could have possibly said. Sister Yumeng clearly hadn't expected such a ridiculously random comment from me. She froze for a brief second, then slowly broke into a radiant smile, like a rose blooming in the dark night, beautiful and dangerous. I stared at her, completely mesmerized. I always knew she was pretty, but I had no idea her smile could be this breathtaking. It was almost unfairly gorgeous. Am I pretty? Sister Yumeng asked softly. Yeah, really pretty. Sister Yumeng is the prettiest. I nodded subconsciously. Only today did I realize that I was a total simp for beauty. My absolutely dumbfounded expression finally made her laugh out loud. Sister Yumeng, hurry up and bring the handsome little brother over. The hot pot is boiling. She led me over and introduced her friends to me one by one. Wow, I had no idea Ling University had such a handsome junior. Sister Yumeng, you're so stingy, hiding him from us all this time. Handsome little brother, may I boldly ask, do you have any single brothers at home? Cousins are fine too. Sister Yumeng, I don't want to be your sister anymore. Can I be your sister-in-law instead? Faced with their friendly teasing, my palms started sweating from nervousness. Although I had a relatively outgoing personality and never rejected friendly people, this was still my first time meeting them, and they were all older girls. I was incredibly awkward. From childhood until now, the only women I was truly close to were my mom and Wei Yutong. Of course, it wasn't like there were no other girls. Back in high school, my backpack used to be stuffed with love letters. But back then, my eyes and heart were entirely filled with Wei Yutong. No matter how great other girls were, I never paid them any attention. Naturally, I never appreciated their unique charms. I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth, consider them fed to the dogs. Because of Wei Yutong, I had probably missed out on so much beautiful scenery. Stop talking nonsense. You're going to scare him away. If he runs, you guys are responsible for bringing him back. While she said this, Sister Yeoming kept her head down, carefully peeling shrimp for me. Every time she peeled one, she placed it on my small plate. Watching me eat them, one by one, she would reveal a gentle, soft smile. Sister Yeoming had always been fiercely protective and gentle. Ever since I was a little kid, she had always been like this, constantly paying attention to my feelings. Whenever a situation arose that might make me uncomfortable, she would always speak up immediately to intervene. She knew exactly what I liked and what I didn't. All the food she put on my plate was stuff I absolutely loved, but was too embarrassed to aggressively devour like I would at home. Her classmates were also incredibly kind to me, constantly looking out for me between their jokes. The entire table was filled with constant laughter. The relaxed, joyful atmosphere perfectly melted away my nervousness. As long as I was with Sister Yeoming, I always felt completely at ease. When we headed back, it was raining outside. It was September in the north, and the weather was already turning cold. You had to wear a long-sleeved jacket in the mornings and evenings. When I left my dorm earlier, I was sweating from cleaning, so I just threw on a short-sleeved t-shirt. We finished dinner around 9:30 p.m., and with the rain pouring down, the outdoor temperature had dropped drastically. The moment I stepped out the restaurant doors, the biting autumn chill hit me right in the face. I instinctively hugged my arms, shivering violently. "Are you cold?" Sister Yeoming turned to ask me. I rubbed the goosebumps rapidly forming on my arms and nodded honestly. Suddenly, a jacket carrying her body heat was draped over my shoulders. A faint, elegant scent of perfume instantly enveloped me. Wearing Sister Yeoming's jacket felt like being wrapped in a warm hug from her. My face flushed entirely red, burning hot. I desperately wanted to give the jacket back. This felt way too intimate, but Sister Yeoming already saw through my thoughts. She gently pressed down on my shoulders. "Just wear it. It's not the first time. If you catch a cold, it'll delay our competition." That was a massive guilt trip. Helpless, I was successfully blackmailed into wearing it. Sister Yeoming mentioned that we were entering a team competition, but in reality, our team consisted only of the two of us. The others were just enthusiastic friends helping out behind the scenes. They wouldn't be on the official roster or participate in the actual creation. For university students, this competition was extremely high level. The participants were all the cream of the crop. Standing out in this arena would be incredibly difficult. I calmed my mind and took it seriously. Sister Yeoming said we had to break free from the conventional cliché themes of traditional Chinese painting. We had to take an innovative approach. Otherwise, we had zero chance of winning. I deeply agreed. The real challenge was figuring out how to use the language of traditional Chinese painting to express something entirely new and profound. The competition was at the end of October, which meant we still had nearly 2 months. The time frame was generous, giving me plenty of time to brainstorm. Sister Yeoming and I both stubbornly held on to our own opinions regarding the subject matter of our painting. In this aspect, we were both incredibly headstrong and dominant. Neither could convince the other. Eventually, we decided that we would each sketch out our own rough drafts first. We would then evaluate both comprehensively before making a final decision. This approach was fair, and I agreed. After that, aside from attending classes, I completely immersed myself in creating my draft. Using convenient communication as an excuse, Sister Yeoming practically commandeered a dedicated spot for me in the Yan University Art Studio. I could go over whenever I wanted. Because of her, I became the very first freshman from Ling University who could freely wander in and out of Yan University's inner sanctum. Simultaneously, I became the absolute envy of a massive horde of guys who worshipped Sister Yeoming. My life was simple but never boring. The lingering gloom from the disastrous summer break gradually faded away. Sister Yeoming genuinely treated feeding me as one of her daily mandatory tasks. No matter what time it was, where I was, or what I was doing, she would rapidly finish her own work and drag me out to eat. Often her friends would join us. Over time, I became very familiar with all of them. Because of my connection to Sister Yeoming, they all affectionately called me Little Brother Haofeng. Whenever Sister Yeoming was too busy to look after me, every single one of them would step up to take excellent care of me. With Sister Yeoming around, I felt like a carefree kid, happily soaking in her meticulous care. But it seemed God couldn't stand seeing me live a comfortable life. The day before my draft was due, I actually received a video call from Wei Yutong. I had just finished taking a shower and was sitting at my desk drying my hair when the call came in. Staring at her flashing profile picture, I felt a chaotic mix of emotions. This was the very first time she had video called me since we started college. I had no idea what she wanted, and I really didn't want to answer. I declined it once, but she immediately called back. Reluctantly, I swept the screen to accept. Her face appeared clearly on my screen. "Brother Hafeng, what are you doing?" She was smiling brightly, her eyes practically overflowing with joy. "Just got out of the shower, drying my hair. What do you want? Can't I call you even if I don't need anything?" The corners of her lips curled up high, her eyes rippling with a shallow tenderness. Too bad none of it was meant for me. I gave a dry, hollow laugh, completely ignoring her flirtatious tone. This kind of playful, ambiguous banter wasn't suitable for us anymore. Even when I was madly in love with her, I had never dared to joke around with her so casually. Now it was even more impossible. "I have a favor to ask you," she spoke up again. "What is it?" My eyelid twitched violently. I had a very bad feeling about this. In all my life, this was the first time she had ever used the word beg with me. I wasn't happy about it. In my heart, since we were destined not to be together in this lifetime, we should remain like two parallel lines, never intersecting, never having anything to do with each other ever again. Hua Chu's department is organizing an academic exchange with Ling University. He's heading over to your campus the day after tomorrow. He's never traveled far from home, and his personality is so introverted, I'm worried he won't be able to handle things on his own. Does, so Hua Chu is coming to your place. You need to take care of him. Does he not have hands or feet? Is he mentally deficient or just missing half his brain? Honestly, I absolutely did not want to agree to this. Hua Chu looked like a gentle, fragile scholar on the outside, but I always felt like his stomach was full of dark, scheming venom. He was genuinely worried that if I wasn't careful, he'd kick me right into one of them. On top of that, I was drowning in work for the competition, tired as a dog every single day. If it weren't for Sister Yomong, I probably wouldn't even have time to eat a proper meal. "Please, Brother Haofeng, I'm begging you," she flashed an expectant smile, pushing me again. "Hello, Haofeng. I'll be really well behaved. I absolutely won't cause you any trouble." Hua Chu truly couldn't stand being left out. He was constantly, desperately trying to make his presence known to me. I stared at the bright, smiling face on the screen. The smug triumph in his eyes was blindingly obvious. My head was throbbing. Why didn't she just ask Sister Yameng? Sister Yameng would definitely take much better care of him than I could. Wei Yu Tung coughed awkwardly. "She's so busy, she doesn't have time to take care of anyone." I pursed my lips, completely unconvinced by her excuse. Uncle Wei and Auntie strongly opposed her relationship with Hua Chu. There was no way Sister Yumeng wouldn't know about something as major as her younger sister's lifelong happiness. Wei Yutong was just terrified that Sister Yumeng would despise Hua Chu just as much as their parents did, which was why she came begging me. "How long is this academic exchange?" I asked her. "A month at most." Hearing my question, Wei Yutong's eyes instantly lit up. "Let's get one thing straight," I warned. "I have a lot on my plate right now. I can only do my best. Tell him that if it's an emergency, he can come to me. But if it's nothing important, tell him to stop bothering me. That's all I'm promising." "Thank you, Brother Ho Feng." Seeing that I finally agreed, Wei Yutong grinned brightly, showing off her pearly white teeth. The next morning, Sister Yomeng took me out for soup dumplings. They had my absolute favorite filling, chives and eggs paired with cornmeal porridge. But the thought of Hua Chu arriving soon annoyed me so much that it ruined my appetite. I only managed to eat 2 steamer baskets before I couldn't eat another bite. Sitting across from me, Sister Yomeng asked gently, "Why are you eating so little today?" "Hua Chu is coming," I muttered. "I really hate him." "Who is Hua Chu?" "So what if he comes? What does that have to do with you?" Sister Yumeng looked completely bewildered, entirely unable to understand my gloomy mood, and her reaction left me utterly shocked. Did Sister Yumeng seriously not know about Wei Yutong and Hua Chu? Does that mean she also didn't know about all the messy history between me and Wei Yutong? No wonder ever since we reunited, she hadn't mentioned it once, nor had she ever tried to comfort my broken heart. "He's your younger sister's boyfriend. In the future, he's going to be family. Don't tell me you don't know." I curled my lip, refusing to believe her. Sister Yumeng picked up a napkin, dabbed the corners of her mouth, and set it back down. A mysterious light flickered in her eyes. "Don't make jokes like that. You and Yutong have been engaged since you were kids. It's impossible for her to have another boyfriend in this lifetime." Hua Chu? What a terrible name. So tacky. Looking at Sister Yumeng's genuinely innocent face, I suddenly didn't know where to begin. Sister Yumeng never lied to me. She truly didn't know. She didn't know about Wei Yutong and Hua Chu. The idea that Wei Yutong and I would be together forever had been so deeply ingrained in everyone who knew us. It was just like my senior year of high school, when I stood at the podium in front of the whole class and clarified that Wei Yutong and I were just neighbors. Nobody believed me then either. But the truth was, the road between me and Wei Yutong had reached a dead end. A long time ago. Or more accurately, we never even began. But to find out that Wei Yutong's own biological sister had absolutely no idea about any of this, that was quite a shock. All this time, I thought Sister Yumeng was treating me so well because she felt guilty, that she thought I was an innocent victim and wanted to atone for her sister's sins. But if she didn't know, that meant her kindness toward me had absolutely nothing to do with Wei Yutong. Realizing this actually made me quite happy. Sister Yumeng, I'm not lying. Yutong and I never even started. Hua Chu is in our grade. He and Yutong got together during our senior year of high school. They're both studying at Jing University now. Yutong really loves him. Sister Yumeng slowly put down her chopstick, staring into my eyes in total disbelief, as if trying to verify if I was telling the truth. Perhaps in her mind, everything I just said sounded like a bizarre fantasy, something utterly impossible. I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth, consider them fed to the dogs. Sister Yumeng put down her chopsticks, staring into my eyes in total disbelief, as if trying to verify if I was telling the truth. Perhaps in her mind, everything I just said sounded like a bizarre fantasy, something utterly impossible. As for how much it hurt, I really didn't want to talk about it. Saying it out loud meant reliving it, and I refused to go back to that Mid-Autumn festival ever again. Sister Yumeng, can we please not talk about this anymore? Sister Yumeng just smiled gently. All right, as long as you're happy. Let's go, it's almost time for class. Just remember, Hao Feng, no matter what happens, I will always be right here with you. I was deeply moved. She was always so sensitive, always able to catch even my slightest emotional shifts. Sister Yumeng, why are you so good to me? Hearing my question, she paused. A complex, unreadable emotion surged in her dark eyes, but she quickly suppressed it. She returned to being the gentle, reliable Sister Yumeng I knew. Our Hao Feng is so smart and handsome, of course you deserve to be treated well. That morning, Sister Yumeng walked me all the way to my classroom door. She waited until I found a seat and sat down before turning to leave. Seeing me being personally escorted to class by the goddess everyone worshipped, several guys I knew crowded around me, desperately trying to find out my relationship with her. When they found out I was the goddess's little brother, they all looked at me like I was their future brother-in-law. They kept asking if they were her type, and if they made a move, did they have a chance of winning her heart. Putting on the critical eyes of a responsible brother-in-law, I carefully inspected the guys. This guy's eyes were so small I couldn't tell if they were open or closed. That guy's center-parted hair was completely stuck in the past century. Another was posing aggressively, trying way too hard to look cool. One was wearing a black t-shirt with suspenders. As for the guy next to him, he never let go of his basketball. He was clearly obsessed. After surveying the crowd, I publicly declared that not a single one of them passed the test. None of them were Sister Yumeng's type. The guy holding the basketball asked me in front of everyone, "What is Sister Yumeng's ideal man? What do we have to do to win her favor?" I honestly couldn't answer that. Well, it's definitely not a guy with a center part playing basketball in suspenders. I suppose the flaws I pointed out were just my personal opinions. The guys returned to their seats with shattered hearts. One guy even buried his head in his arms on the desk and didn't get up for the entire class. Unless a miracle happened, he was already fast asleep playing chess with the Duke of Zhou in Dreamland. Despite being a million times reluctant, I still showed up on time to pick Huachu up at the airport. Hao Feng, you really came to get me. You really do grant Yutong's every wish. That's great. Here, carry this for me. My arms were already sore. Huachu was just as obnoxious as always. If I wasn't a man of my word, I would have thrown his luggage right back at him and walked away. He was incredibly annoying, trying to enslave me the moment we met. Keep dreaming. Didn't eat. No energy. I didn't even look at him. With a blank face, I got into the car, leaving him standing outside. He ground his teeth in pure rage. In the end, he had to heave the luggage into the trunk himself. I was genuinely baffled. It was just a 1-month academic exchange. Was it really necessary to bring 3 massive suitcases? Hao Feng, you've been going to school here for over a year and you still don't have your own car. We have to take a taxi. Huachu started complaining out of nowhere. If you don't want to ride, get the hell out. Stop whining like a broken record. Nobody begged you to get in. Do you really think I have such a great temper that you can just bully me however you want? Hao Feng, you promised Yutong you'd take good care of me. Believe it or not, I'm going to call and tell her. I raised my phone, almost shoving it right into his face. Is Wei Yutong your mother? Do you have to report every little thing to her? Call her right now. If your phone is dead, you can borrow mine. I couldn't hold it back anymore and burst out laughing. Losing face completely, Huachu's expression shifted violently between pale white and pitch black. He looked like he wanted to murder me with his eyes. I cheerfully hummed a tune the whole ride, completely ignoring him. I was using my actions to let him know I absolutely loved seeing him despise me yet be completely powerless to do anything about it. When we arrived at the university gates, the 2 cars trailing us also stopped. They were carrying the other exchange students who came with Huachu. After helping him settle into his dorm, I was just about to leave when he called out to me again. Lan Hao Feng, I'm hungry. Treat us to hot pot. Us? My head exploded with question marks. Just how thick was this guy's skin? Yeah, me and my classmates. We're not familiar with this area. Take us out. What a shameless bastard. Treating him alone was already me doing Wei Yutong a favor. Now he wanted me to treat all his classmates too. Did he think I printed my own money? It wasn't that I lacked money, but he simply wasn't worth the waste. No money. Goodbye. I turned around and started walking away. Huachu, didn't you say everything would be taken care of for us once we got here? Why won't he even treat us to a hot pot meal? Is the guy your girlfriend arranged for you broke? Or does he just treat you like crap? Or were you just bragging the whole time and he actually doesn't give a damn about you? I laughed. Truly, birds of a feather flock together. Huachu was vain and obsessed with his image. His face flushed a deep, humiliating red, shifting through every color of the rainbow. Dropping the gentle facade he always wore around Wei Yutong, he was so furious his eyes practically spat fire. Lan Haofeng, if you don't treat us, I'm telling you, Tong. Oh my, how old are you still tattletaling like a kindergartner? How many little red flowers did Wei Yutong give you for being a good boy? Go tell whoever you want. Go file a complaint with the United Nations if you have the guts. The onlookers burst out laughing at my words, giving Huachu absolutely no face, laughing until they were gasping for air. Ah, so this was the legendary Plastic Brotherhood. Enraged, Huachu actually pulled out his phone and made the call. Wei Yutong picked up quickly. He put her on speakerphone so we could all hear every word. Yutong, Huachu's voice instantly reverted to its usual soft, gentle tone. I've arrived at the school. Just calling to let you know I'm safe. What's wrong? Did you catch a cold? Why does your voice sound a bit hoarse? Wei Yutong immediately fired off 3 questions filled with concern. It's nothing, it's just that my classmates want to eat hot pot, but Haofeng. He trailed off, looking at me with a perfectly crafted expression of distress. Here we go again. The overwhelming stench of green tea was delayed, but it still arrived. I snatched the phone right out of his hand. Your boyfriend wants me to treat his entire class to hot pot. I don't have the money. I can't afford it. That's the situation. You guys can continue your chat. Huachu's jaw dropped, his face burning with embarrassment. He probably never expected me to so ruthlessly expose his manipulative act. Wei Yutong fell completely silent. The crowd watched eagerly, waiting for the drama to unfold. Unable to handle the humiliation, Huachu softly called out, Yutong. Finally, Wei Yutong transferred 500 yuan to me. He's paying, she said. Take them out to eat. Huachu cares about his image. Don't embarrass him. I originally didn't even want to reply, but ignoring it made my skin crawl. Swipe, swipe, swipe. I typed a few words and hit send. Don't have time. Wei Yutong's actions brilliantly triggered my absolute disgust. I refunded the money, telling her to transfer it directly to Huachu, sent her the location of a hot pot restaurant, dusted off my hands, and walked away like a boss. That day, Wei Yutong called me several times, but I treated them like white noise and ignored every single one. That night, just as I was about to fall asleep, she sent me a text message. Huachu is introverted and has low self-esteem. Please just be more accommodating. Sending me this in the middle of the night wasn't an explanation. It was yet another warning. Don't upset him. I didn't reply. I treated her like a passing cloud, swiped away the notification, and went back to my peaceful, drama-free life. I don't know what snapped in Huachu's brain, or if my brutal honesty had genuinely wounded his fragile ego, but surprisingly, he didn't harass me for several days straight. I was both thrilled and amazed. The draft for the competition was finally finished. It turned out even better than I expected, and I was incredibly satisfied with it. Just as I was about to call you, the draft is done. Do you want to take a look? Do you want to take on a side job? A really massive, lucrative commission? Her gentle voice came through the phone. Tell me more, I replied, but I might not be able to handle it. One of my classmates' grandfathers is celebrating his golden anniversary at the end of the year. He wants to commission a custom album, a complete visual story of the decades of storms and sunshine the couple has weathered together. He wants it painted and ready to present to the elders on the anniversary, because the quality requirements are incredibly high and the deadline is tight. The pay is exceptionally good. Ever since moving to the north, I had grown deeply appreciative of the straightforward, no-nonsense nature of northerners. I had also learned to express the most accurate meaning with the fewest words possible. 150,000, Sister Yumeng said with a light laugh. Holy crap. 150,000. Her classmate must be incredibly wealthy. But as an unknown college student, could I really meet such high standards? I didn't have much confidence. But Sister Yumeng was like a mind reader. She immediately started cheering me on. You have to believe in yourself. I know you can pull it off perfectly. She had so much faith in me, but with an offer this incredible, why wasn't she taking it herself? If you don't say anything, I'm accepting it on your behalf. Focus entirely on preparing for the competition first. After October is over, you can dedicate all your time to this. The delivery date isn't until after New Year's, so there's no massive rush. Before hanging up, she reminded me, weren't you going to show me your draft? And so, on a crisp autumn night, I hugged my draft and headed to Yan University to find Sister Yomeng. She was waiting for me in the first-floor art studio. I was wearing standard-issue student sneakers, the incredibly comfortable kind that never tire your feet, no matter how far you walk. More importantly, they made absolutely no sound when walking. The rose wall along Yan University's side perimeter was as beautiful as ever. Walking along this path always made me feel incredibly relaxed and at ease. About halfway down, I vaguely heard a faint, inappropriate noise coming from the side. The voice actually sounded familiar. I'm not a gossip, but that familiar voice made it impossible for me to suppress my burning curiosity. I desperately needed to confirm if it was who I thought it was. Following the sound, I quietly crept closer. In the middle of the right side wall was a recessed mini-garden, about 10 meters deep. At the very end was an abandoned shack, rumored to be an old storage room for the agriculture department. The two people were hidden in the deepest shadows of the corridor, tightly locked in an embrace. Under the mottled, flickering streetlights, I finally saw them clearly. A cold sweat instantly broke out over my entire body, and I nearly screamed out loud. It really was Hua Chu. I had finally let it go. Those 20 years of youth, consider them fed to the dogs. I slapped both hands over my mouth, terrified that I might accidentally make a sound and alert this pair of wild lovers. The consequences of being caught would be unimaginable. Terrified, I turned and sprinted away like my life depended on it. Even after I dashed through the main gates of Yan University without stopping for breath, I still couldn't wrap my head around it. Who was that person with Hua Chu? When did they hook up? If it was a new fling, Hua Chu was truly indiscriminate. He'd eat anything that fell onto his plate. But judging by how naturally they were holding each other, it looked exactly like the desperate hunger of lovers reuniting after a long separation. It seemed very likely they had known each other for a long time. If it was the latter, then Hua Chu's academic exchange at Ling University probably had a very dark hidden motive. Did Wei Yutong know? My heart felt incredibly heavy. I couldn't help but think of how devoted Wei Yutong was to him. I thought of all the brutal fights she had with her parents just to be with him. I thought of her absolute, unwavering vow that she would marry no one else but him. If I wasn't the one who saw this today, if it had been Wei Yutong, who trusted him so completely, she would go absolutely insane. Hua Chu was far too greedy. He had Wei Yutong, yet he still wanted to keep one foot in another boat. The human heart is truly terrifying, but why was I the one acting all sneaky and suspicious? Hao Fang! Sister Yumeng's voice suddenly rang out right behind me. It scared me so badly I violently lunged backward, clamping my hand over her mouth and shoving her forcefully back into the building. Unaware of what was happening, Sister Yumeng obediently yielded to my force, letting me push her inside. To stop me from tripping, she even grabbed my arm with one hand, though her eyes constantly scanned our surroundings. Only when we were safely inside the art studio did I finally remove my hand from her mouth. And Sister Yumeng was actually blushing. Deep inside her pitch-black eyes, a fire was faintly dancing. Only then did I realize how incredibly intimate our physical contact just was. The studio was huge, but I stood frozen by the door like a complete idiot. Thank God Lin Fei returned from the bathroom right then, saving me from the suffocating awkwardness. I forced myself to forget everything that just happened and carefully laid my draft flat on the table. I explained the design concept behind my painting and the ultimate visual impact I was striving for. Sister Yumeng listened with intense focus. Her eyes, usually as bright as stars, were now a deep, changing black. Wow. Little brother Hafeng, you truly are a genius. How did you even come up with such a brilliant concept? I grinned proudly, flashing a huge smile. Sister Yumeng looked up at me, her eyes overflowing with absolute admiration. This kid, he's been this exceptional ever since he was little. By the time we finished discussing my draft, it was almost 11 p.m. Sister Yumeng insisted on walking me out. We took the same route past the rose wall. As we walked by the mini garden, I pretended to casually glance around, searching for the pair of wild lovers. Unfortunately, the place was completely empty. Hao Feng, why are you acting like a thief tonight? Are you hiding something from me? I shot Sister Yumeng an annoyed eye roll. Have you seen Hua Chu these past few days? What did you meet her for? It's exhausting enough just dealing with a little pig like you. I don't have the luxury of entertaining a princess. Sister Yumeng's words were blunt but satisfying. I didn't mind listening at all. He's going to be your brother-in-law anyway. Do you want me to bring him over and introduce you? I only care about my future husband. I have no interest in someone else's. Sister Yumeng, where is your future husband? Do I know him? She chuckled. You know him very well. Huh? Sister Yumeng, tell me, who is the person you like? Is it my classmate? Suddenly energized, I spent the entire way using every trick in the book trying to force her to reveal the name. But Sister Yumeng remained absolutely unyielding. No matter how much I pestered her, she just gave me the same answer. You'll know later. Fine, later is fine too. At least I get to keep her to myself for a little while longer. After returning, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The scene I had accidentally witnessed made me feel like I was lying on needles. I couldn't decide whether to pretend I hadn't seen anything and let Wei Yutong continue dreaming her beautiful romance, or to tell her and let her clear out that field of green on her head as soon as possible. I thought about it for a long time but couldn't come up with a good solution. Eventually, I exhausted myself and fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, I still hadn't made up my mind. This whole thing left me distracted for 2 straight days. I didn't even notice Sister Yumeng standing right in front of me for a long time. Hao Feng, what are you thinking about so deeply? Startled, I looked up. Sister Yumeng was looking at me with a raised eyebrow, a teasing smile playing at the corners of her mouth. With the light behind her, the soft lines of her face in the shadows looked like a perfect sculpture. You scared me to death. Her sudden appearance sparked an idea in my head. Seeing my eyes light up, her self-preservation instincts kicked in. She took a half step back and assumed a defensive posture. What are you planning? I rolled my eyes at her. Sister Yumeng, do you know any private investigators? Introduce one to me, please. I leaned in close and asked in a low, conspiratorial voice. She grabbed my shirt, pulling me right in front of her, and studied my eyes for a long moment to make sure I wasn't joking, before she finally spoke. Who do you want to investigate? I thought for a second. It's like this, you know. Last week, a few exchange students from Jing University arrived. There's this one guy who looks familiar, and I want to find out who he is. Really? Looks familiar? So you want to investigate? Is it really that simple? Sister Yumong squinted at me. I was speechless. Of course it wasn't that simple. What else could it be? I shot back. If it's nothing else, then I won't help you. Tell the truth. What exactly are you trying to do? If I tried to be vague, she definitely wouldn't help me, and I couldn't find anyone else. After weighing my options, I finally gave in and told her the truth. Who asked her to be the only capable person I knew here? Besides, I was doing this for the sake of her sister's dignity. I want to investigate Hua Chu. I suspect he's hiding something. I finished and looked at her with eager expectation. Surprisingly, she just stared at me for a long time before saying, Hao Feng, why do you care so much about Yutong's affairs? Shouldn't I care? Sister Yumong, this is about your sister's lifelong happiness. Tell me the truth, what exactly is going on? Her aura was overwhelmingly intense. Even though she always spoiled me, I was a little intimidated. I timidly told her a bit about what I had seen that night. After she heard it, her usually gentle, smiling face darkened like a gathering storm. So, you're doing this to find dirt on Hua Chu and make him break up with Yutong? She asked, her eyes as dark and deep as a bottomless abyss. No way, Sister Yumong. What are you thinking? Even if she broke up with him right now, I wouldn't have anything to do with her anymore. I shook my head vigorously. Regardless of how terrifying her expression was, just based on the times Wei Yutong had disappointed me, I admitted I wanted to know the whole story, but it absolutely had nothing to do with what she was suggesting. I'm innocent, Sister Yumeng. That promise from back then was just a joke. You can't take it seriously. I used to follow her around and she said I was shameless and annoying. I reflected on it later, and I admit I was too full of myself. I apologized to Wei Yutong in front of everyone. I won't bother her anymore, and I certainly won't intentionally ruin her relationship with Hua Chu. My mom even said it. What happened back then was a joke. It's long past. Whether she breaks up or not has nothing to do with me. Sister Yumong observed me carefully for a moment and confirming I was telling the truth. Her expression softened. Then why are you getting so involved? Haven't you been hurt enough? Sister Yumong, we grew up together. Even if we can't be a couple, I don't want to see her being kept in the dark. You're her biological sister. Are you willing to just watch her get cheated on? I can help you, but you have to promise me you will never get this invested in Yutong's affairs again. This is the last time. I held up a single finger. Good boy. Unable to withstand my relentless begging and sincere pleading, Sister Yumong treated me to spicy hot pot and then sent me back. I waited anxiously, hoping to get solid news within a week. I didn't expect her to be so fiercely efficient. By the evening of the very next day, she had the results. The speed left me absolutely in awe. I felt a sense of relief. I was writing off 20 years of youth. Sister Yumeng and I sat in a corner of a milk tea shop, acting like spies exchanging intel. She placed the file folder in front of me and whispered, "Take a look. It's like a soap opera." "Have you read it?" I couldn't help but ask. She nodded, her beautiful face completely composed, without a trace of the anger you'd expect from someone who just learned their sister was being cheated on. Sister Yumong's tolerance was truly something else. I took the folder, opened it, and read page by page. It turned out that female classmate was named Zhang Shuangzi, hailing from a high-ranking family in Beicheng. She and Hua Chu were childhood friends, true sweethearts who grew up together. Both sets of parents were happy to see them so close. Growing up together, they were deeply in love and had long agreed to attend the same university and marry right after graduation. But unfortunately, Hua Chu's father was involved in an incident and arrested. The Hua family fell from grace and was expelled from Beicheng's elite circles. The Zhang family immediately turned their backs, strictly forbidding Zhang Shuangzi from seeing Hua Chu. But she truly loved him, preferring to defy her family rather than give him up. Left with no choice, her parents used underhanded tactics, forcing Hua Chu and his mother out of Beicheng to make a living in Nancheng. Just like that, a pair of lovers was cruelly torn apart. How could there not be regrets? Since then, all contact between the two had been cut off. They thought that was the end of it for this lifetime. But unexpectedly, an exchange program at Jing University brought these ill-fated lovers back together in the vast sea of people. They had never wanted to part in the first place, leaving behind so many unresolved feelings. Meeting again after years apart, it only took a few words before they were locked in an embrace, staging a tearful reunion. The thin two-page document only detailed the history between Zhang Shuangzi and Hua Chu. There wasn't a single word about Wei Yutong, yet every word screamed the fact that she was being cheated on. I finished reading quickly, unable to suppress a wry smile. The fact that Hua Chu could start secretly meeting Zhang Shuangzi late at night, right after reconnecting, showed how deep his feelings for her were. Even with a beautiful new girlfriend like Wei Yutong, he couldn't forget her. People say first loves are the hardest to let go of. Maybe Zhang Shuangzi was Hua Chu's true love. Even if she died, Wei Yutong would never guess that the boy she loved with all her heart was hiding such an enormous secret. That field of green on her head was thriving. Honestly, It was a bit unkind of me, but I was definitely gloating a little. But after the gloating passed, I was still at a loss. I had absolutely no idea how to handle this. Regardless of our past unpleasantness, Wei Yutong and I had grown up together. I actually pitied her for being kept in the dark like this. But then again, pitiful people often have themselves to blame. She brought the situation upon herself. She deserved it. To decide whether to tell her, I specially invited Sister Yomeng out for a spicy dry pot to discuss it. We sat face to face in the most popular shop on the campus food street, a freshly cooked pot of spicy food steaming between us, 2 bowls of rice on the side. Sister Yomeng, do you think we should tell Yutong? This was the core of my dilemma. She glanced at me, her eyes shining like jewels. Are you close with Huachu? Not really. Still haven't forgotten about Yutong? She pressed. No way, I kicked her out of my world a long time ago. We have absolutely nothing to do with each other now. Then why are you agonizing over this? You have too much free time. Why don't you focus on your painting? Sister Yomeng scolded me with a dark expression, looking like she was disappointed in my lack of ambition. I ground my teeth in frustration. I came to you for advice, not to give you an excuse to lecture me. Besides, she's your biological sister. If you didn't know, fine, but knowing and just standing by, isn't that a bit cold? Put yourself in her shoes. If your boyfriend was cheating on you, would you want to be kept in the dark for the rest of your life, happily wearing a green hat? Or would you want to know the truth and see the bastard get what he deserves? Hearing this, Sister Yumeng's pretty face immediately darkened. She grabbed a tissue box and smacked me on the head. You're the one being cheated on. Keep talking nonsense and I'll deal with you. I'm not saying you are, I'm just giving an example. Don't take it personally, I rubbed my head. Examples aren't allowed either, she huffed. Fine, no examples. Then tell me, are we keeping this a secret or blowing the whistle? Sister Yumeng put down the box, thought for a moment, and said, she's treating trash like treasure. She deserves it. I couldn't understand her reasoning. Watching her own sister get cheated on and remaining completely indifferent, it even felt like she was waiting to watch the drama unfold. There's nothing to expose. Huachu will inevitably slip up, and Yutong will find out on her own. She's completely blinded by that guy right now. She doesn't even listen to my parents, so why would she believe you or me? We'd be doing it for her own good, but she'd just question our motives, and it would only ruin our relationship. I didn't know what to say. Her logic was sound, but something still felt off. Given the strained relationship Wei Yutong and I had over the last few years, she definitely wouldn't believe me. She'd probably just assume I was trying to drive a wedge between her and Huachu. So I temporarily abandoned the childish idea of snitching. But considering we grew up together, I felt I still had to give her a little hint. Whether she understood it or not was up to her. I could only do my best. The rest was up to fate. That night, lying in bed, I agonized for a long time before finally sending a message. I told Wei Yutong she should video call Huachu more often when she had free time. After all, having someone else look after him couldn't replace his actual girlfriend. She was surprised that I initiated contact and her replies came one after another, all just superficial pleasantries. At this point, did she really think I was in the mood to chat? I replied a couple of times before getting annoyed, turning off my phone and going to sleep. The next day my mom called. Remembering the Huachu situation, I told her about it. She stayed silent for a long moment before telling me to just mind my own business and stay out of it. She said Yutong wouldn't believe me anyway. I'd just end up looking malicious, and it would only deepen her prejudice against me. Often, good intentions lead to bad outcomes. My mom said we shouldn't fear gossip if our conscience is clear, but there's no need to invite trouble. Sister Yumeng and my mom were on the same page. The anxiety I'd been carrying for days finally dissipated. As for Wei Yutong, I had already given her a warning. The rest was entirely up to her. With that decided, I dropped the mental baggage and threw myself completely into preparing for the art competition. After Sister Yumeng reviewed my concepts, we decided to go with my vision. We spent nearly a week refining it, finalizing the creative direction, and planning to start painting the next day. I had been studying art for a long time and had participated in my fair share of competitions, but this level of prestige and working as a team, this was a first. I was rubbing my hands together in excitement, determined to win a top prize. I turned my room upside down, digging out all my pigments, raw schwan paper, size schwan paper, and brushes. I was still missing a few things that I needed to buy immediately. There was a stationery store on campus, but it kept standard 9 to 5 hours, and they were long closed. There was a comprehensive stationery supermarket on the street behind the school that had everything. After dinner, having nothing else to do, I dragged my roommate Chin Hang out under the guise of buying supplies. Of course, the supplies were the main goal. Not far down the street, we saw a long line at a takoyaki stand. The smell had my mouth watering. I mentioned it to Chin Hang, and he agreed, so we joined the queue. Are people nowadays just this shameless, acting all sweet and innocent during the day and then rushing off to get a room at night? Morals are truly decaying. Chin Hang clicked his tongue and shook his head like an old man, heavily emphasizing the word day. The disgust on his face was palpable. I laughed and followed his gaze. What's it to you? Why do you care so much? But when I looked, I was shocked. I cursed my excellent eyesight. I couldn't even pretend I had recognized the wrong people. Huachu and a woman were standing in the shadows by the entrance of a small motel, locked in an embrace, completely ignoring the strange looks from passersby. I couldn't help but sigh. Were they that desperate? Couldn't they wait until they were inside? Did they really have to put on a public performance? These two were certainly uninhibited. Do you know them? I asked Chin Hang. Yeah, the girl is Zhang Shuangzi, finance major, I think. Word is her family is loaded, and a lot of guys are after her. Rumor has it she just spent a fortune on some freshman guy. She's a bit of a minor celebrity around here. And the guy, he's one of those exchange students from the South. They've got some nerve. I just saw them making out in the restroom the day before yesterday, and today they're going straight to a motel. Ah, youth, such stamina. It's not that surprising, though. Like 5 or 6 days ago, I saw them passionately hugging in the art gallery. Chin Hang was a true northerner, straightforward, sharp-tongued, and with an incredibly strong moral compass. He absolutely despised this kind of degenerate behavior. We paid, and each holding a skewer of takoyaki, we headed into the stationery supermarket. My mind was a mess. I grabbed a bunch of stuff and went to pay, completely forgetting the pigments. Chin Hang had to remind me before I realized, and I hurried back to pick them out. After finishing our shopping, I was in no mood to browse. I hugged my supplies and practically fled back to the dorm, terrified that Hua Chu would spot me and realize I knew his secret. Once I was safe, I frantically sent a WeChat message to Sister Yumeng. Sister Yumeng, I just saw them going to get a room. Should we go catch them in the act? I confessed to my childhood sweetheart of 20 years, only to be brutally humiliated as she turned and threw herself into the arms of the school idol. When she finds out she's been cheated on and comes crying back to me full of regret, I'll have already started my new life, and I'm never looking back. Sister Yumeng, I just saw them. Should we go catch them? She replied almost instantly. You're studying the wrong major. Go transfer to the police academy. Fine, we won't go. Why tell me to change majors? Sister Yumeng was too much. She could insult you without ever using a dirty word. Speechless, I tossed my phone aside and went to sleep in frustration. Right before I drifted off, it suddenly hit me. Why was I, a bystander, hiding like this? Hua Chu wasn't afraid of being exposed for two-timing, so why was I the one acting guilty? I wasn't the one cheating. The next day, Chin Hang and I went to the school cafeteria for lunch. As soon as we walked in, we saw Hua Chu and Zhang Shuangzi eating together. Ever since Sister Yumeng returned, she had been keeping me well fed, so I rarely ate at the cafeteria. If we weren't going out to eat, she was ordering delivery to my dorm. That day, Sister Yumeng had to leave campus and wouldn't be back until evening. She had offered to order me food, but thinking about eating with my roommates, I politely declined. Hua Chu had sharp eyes. As soon as he saw me approaching, he immediately put some distance between himself and Zhang Shuangzi, pretending nothing was going on and waving at me. I couldn't be bothered. I treated him like air and ignored him. How Feng Yutong specifically asked you to look out for me. Is this how you do it? Disappearing for days is one thing, but you don't even call. Poor Yutong still considers you a friend. She still considers you a friend, but it turns out you're the kind of person who acts one way to her face and another behind her back. She really is blind. Speaking of acting one way to someone's face and another behind their back, that really applies to some people. I shot back, putting up a front as a deeply devoted boyfriend while behind her back, tisk, tisk, tisk. I'm too embarrassed to even say. I shrugged, leaving my sentence unfinished. What do you mean? Speak clearly. Hua Chu slammed his chopsticks down and demanded loudly. Zhang Shuangzi looked up, her gaze carrying an undeniable hostility. It was lunchtime, and the cafeteria was packed. Hearing the commotion, everyone turned to look. How desperately did these two want to be the center of attention? It means exactly what it sounds like. Don't understand. I had intended to just turn and walk away, but after taking a step, I stopped, walked back to Hua Chu, and delivered one more blow. Oh, by the way, have you ever heard the saying, if you don't want anyone to know, don't do it? If you don't have the capability to back it up, don't act so arrogant, buddy. Maybe it was a guilty conscience, but Hua Chu's face instantly went pale. He stared at me, panic flickering in his eyes. I haven't done anything. Stop spouting nonsense. I gave him a look that clearly said, I see right through your BS. I didn't even say anything specific. Why are you reacting so strongly? Hua Chu and Zhang Shuangzi exchanged a glance and stayed silent. Instead, Zhang Shuangzi put down her chopsticks and slowly stood up, walking over to me. Lan Hafeng, right? We're all in the same school. We're bound to run into each other. Even if you see something, you should pretend you didn't. The secret to a long life is minding your own business, do you understand? After saying that, she turned and left. Hua Chu sat in his seat, his face the color of wax. My intuition told me that Zhang Shuangzi was dangerous. She might even try to cause trouble for me. I only had one class that afternoon and was free by 3 p.m. I was free by 3 p.m. I went for a walk alone by the lotus pond near the academic building. Just as I found a spot to sit down, Hua Chu appeared, blocking the narrow path. What did you mean by those things you said? Talk about a lingering spirit. I couldn't escape him. I couldn't be bothered. I stood up ready to leave, but Hua Chu stepped right in front of me, his gaze fixed on me like a poisoned arrow. This was the real Hua Chu. The gentle, gentlemanly act he put on for Wei Yutong was all a lie. A boy from Beicheng's upper crust received a multifaceted education from a young age. I suddenly remembered the conversation I had overheard outside Auntie's garden that evening. I couldn't help but admire her perceptiveness. Hua Chu was definitely not simple, I sneered, and stepped closer to him. Hua Chu was nearly 1.8 meters tall, which is considered quite tall in the south. But I was an anomaly, 1.85 meters tall, which is respectable even in the north, where the average height is among the highest in the country. In a standoff, my height advantage was overwhelming. Hua Chu had to tilt his head back to look up at me. Hua Chu, whether I saw something or not doesn't matter. What matters is that you should ask yourself, is your conscience truly clear? A final piece of advice, stay away from me. Don't provoke me. I brushed past him and walked away. A few days later, Wei Yutong called to tell me that due to some special circumstances, Hua Chu's exchange program was ending a week early. During the call, I could tell she was very happy. Honestly, I was happy too. After all, out of sight, out of mind. With Hua Chu completely gone, I could finally have some peace. He was like a ticking time bomb. Keeping him around meant disaster was bound to strike eventually. I couldn't help but compare Wei Yutong and Sister Yumeng. Whenever I was in trouble, Wei Yutong either didn't know or just abandoned me. But Sister Yumeng, whether intentionally or accidentally, she was always protecting me. Aside from my parents, Sister Yumeng was arguably the person who cared about me the most. I had single-handedly completely monopolized her free time. Sometimes when she was too busy and we didn't see each other for 2 or 3 days, I'd feel this panicked emptiness, like something crucial was missing. Sister Yumeng seemed to understand how I felt. No matter how busy she was, she always found time to call me. Before he left, Hua Chu came to see me. Head bowed, looking utterly devastated. He put on a show of coming clean. I knew his true nature too well. I didn't even want to look at him. I just told him to spit it out and stop wasting my time. Don't try that routine with me. I'm not Wei Yutong. Even if you died right in front of me, I wouldn't feel an ounce of pity. Looking aggrieved, Hua Chu lied through his teeth, swearing that Zhang Xuanzi was just a girl from his hometown, that there was absolutely nothing going on between them, that it was all entirely innocent, and that I shouldn't overthink things. I thought about his situation with Zhang Xuanzi and realized that telling Wei Yutong would only be a thankless task. So in the end, I just warned him. Go back and treat Wei Yutong well. She truly likes you. After putting him on the plane, I sent Wei Yutong a photo telling her that he was returning in one piece. She politely replied with a thank you. Even through her text, I could feel her joy. Tisk tisk. I just hoped she could still smile like that when she finally learned the truth. In the blink of an eye, the National Day Golden Week arrived. Most students were heading home like swallows returning to their nests, lugging their suitcases. Others formed small groups for short trips. I had already told my parents I wasn't coming back and had planned to go see the red leaves at Fragrant Hills with my roommates, Jiang Zuqi and Qin Hang. My travel bag was already packed, but then Sister Yomeng suddenly announced that the competition deadline had been moved up, and we had to submit our work by the 4th. She even got a professor to vouch for it. So I watched Jiang Zuqi and Qin Hang happily board the airport bus, disappearing in a cloud of dust, while I was dragged back to the Yan Garden Art Studio by Sister Yomeng for the grueling final push. A perfectly good trip, cancelled. My mood was incredibly foul. I couldn't muster the energy for anything. To use Sister Yumeng's words, I spent days with a face full of bitter resentment, without a single smile. Most teachers and students had left campus. The already quiet studio was entirely empty, except for the two of us. Aside from making sure I ate, Sister Yumeng spent all her time reminding me to focus and put my heart into the painting. It was so desolate I could have cried. The National Day holiday. Completely wasted. On the night of the 3rd, I worked straight through until 9 p.m. I was so exhausted I kept whining about wanting to go back and sleep, saying we could finish tomorrow. But Sister Yomeng absolutely refused. Using a mix of coercion and coaxing, she dragged me through the final stretch. At 10:45 p.m., I finally made it back to my dorm building. After 3 days of working day and night, my head hit the pillow and I was instantly asleep. In my dream, Zhang Zuqi and Qin Hang were sitting in a roast duck restaurant, grinning like idiots and showing off the photos they took at Fragrant Hills. I was so mad I wanted to reach through the dream and beat them up. I had thought that with nothing left to do during the holiday, I could just sleep like a log. But before the sky was even fully light, my phone started screaming like a banshee. Assuming it was my mom, I sleepily picked up and mumbled, "Mom?" There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then came a soft chuckle. It was so familiar it made my ears tingle. I woke up instantly and instinctively looked at the screen. Sister Yumeng was smiling like a siren. "It's a long holiday. I finished all the work. Why are you harassing me at the crack of dawn?" My morning crankiness hit its absolute peak, and I yelled at the top of my lungs. She only laughed harder, her eyes sparkling mischievously. "Stop sleeping, you lazy pig. I'm taking you out to play." I refused. So Sister Yumeng patiently described how delicious the food was, how beautiful the scenery was, and how many painters practically fought for a chance to sketch there. She said that if I went, I probably wouldn't want to come back. Her sweet voice was like a hook. Sister Yumeng wasn't just a master of traditional Chinese painting. She was also an expert at brainwashing. By the end of it, I felt that if I didn't go this time, it would be one of the greatest regrets of my life. I was successfully conquered by her sweet talk. When I finally walked out of the dorm building with my backpack, she was standing quietly under a tree waiting for me, a gentle, lingering smile on her lips, her eyes filled with points of tender light. The morning sun filtered through the leaves, dappling her. She looked like someone stepping right out of a painting, so beautiful it made my heart flutter. By the time I regained my senses, I was already in the car. It was too early. I didn't have time to take you out for breakfast. I bought this on the way. It'll have to do. She placed a bag in my hands. I opened it and saw shrimp dumplings and multigrain porridge from my favorite place. That shop was pretty far from Lynn University, and the sun had barely risen. How early did she have to wake up? As the warm porridge slid down my throat and into my stomach, it was so comforting I could only sigh in contentment. She caught me staring, glanced back at me, and teased with a smile. Satisfied with what you see? Sister Yomeng loved to smile. Sometimes it was like a fresh spring breeze, other times warm and serene, always making me feel comfortable and relaxed. It reminded me of the day we first met when she teased me just like that. Sister Yameng, once this busy streak is over, I'll paint a portrait for you. I specialize in figures, and it would be a crime against art to let a masterpiece like you go unrecorded. I'd love that, she replied. We laughed and chatted all the way, the atmosphere light and pleasant. I pestered her to tell me where we were going so I could look up a travel guide and make the most of these 4 days. But she remained mysterious, refusing to say a word no matter how much I asked. She only said I'd know when we arrived and promised I would love it. We crossed a mountain, climbed a slope, passed through a forest, and crossed several bridges before finally reaching our destination. As expected, I loved it. The Yanghugo Ecological Area, nestled in the autumn hills of the Changbai Mountains. It was a vast expanse of primeval forest with rich vegetation, green hills, clear water, and blue skies. After getting off the bus at the dirt road, it was less than a 30-minute walk to the forest park entrance. Cars could actually drive in, but Sister Yomeng said traveling is about the journey. Driving would cause us to miss too many details, so we hiked. She bought the tickets, and I followed her like a little assistant. There weren't any flashy amusement rides here, just pure natural scenery. We watched the mountains and waters along the way, and I was jumping around with joy. She joked that I was like a restless monkey. Since it was peak tourist season, the place was crowded with people discussing how the autumn leaves here were the most beautiful. Sister Yameng leaned in and whispered, "What you miss wasn't meant for you. What's right in front of you is your true scenery. Do you like it?" Do I like it? Her words felt a bit philosophical, and I only half understood. Is this my early reward? She walked past me quickly, neither confirming nor denying. When we finally got tired, we sat side by side on the ground. She flipped through a photo album she had put together of the pictures she took of me. "Hao Feng, look how handsome you are. Sister Yameng, your photography skills are amazing, just as good as your painting," I exclaimed. Was there anything she wasn't good at? Just like when we were kids, she took my hand as we strolled along the mountain paths. She told me stories of legendary folk painters, shared her unique insights on traditional Chinese art, and reminisced about the paths she led me down when we were little. Above us was the vast blue sky, and the sun was a glowing orb. With picturesque views on both sides, being immersed in this landscape brought an unexpected peace to my heart. Sister Yumeng, it's so beautiful here. How did you find it? This is just the beginning. There's even more beauty ahead. Want to see? Her voice was soft and melodic, like a cello playing amidst the breathtaking scenery. When the car finally stopped in front of a small village, I was stunned once again. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I never would have believed such a sanctuary existed. If what I saw earlier was a paradise for immortals, then what lay before me now was the perfect harmony of human life. "Sister Yumeng, where are we?" I whispered in awe. "This is Yanghugo Village, also known as the Painter's Village." Painter's Village? Does everyone living here paint? No, but the beauty here attracts artists from everywhere to sketch and paint. Many artists live in the village now. Unfortunately, no matter how beautiful the brushwork, it can never fully capture these magnificent mountains and waters. That's why I brought you here, to see it for yourself and burn it into your memory. Perhaps at some point it will trigger your inspiration. I stared blankly at the scene, feeling my hands itch to grab a brush. Want to paint? Let's eat first. We'll capture the sunset later. Sister Yumeng expertly found a guest house. The owner heard the car and rushed out, greeting her like an old friend. "Yumeng, it's been so long. You finally brought a boyfriend. That's great. Now I don't have to worry about you anymore." "Hello, uncle. I'm Lan Haofeng. I'm her brother," I replied, feeling embarrassed at being mistaken for her boyfriend. Before she could even speak, I rushed to clarify. The owner laughed heartily and told us to make ourselves at home while he prepared our stay. That night, we ate traditional northern farm dishes. The taste was incredible. I ate so much I could barely walk. "Sister Yumeng, is there a lake here? Why is it called Yanghugo?" I heard that in the past this place was occupied by Huzi, bandits. It used to be called Yanghugao, the lair of the bandits. Somewhere along the line, it evolved into Yanghugo. What are Huzi? A type of snake? Growing up in the south, I had no idea what the term meant. Hearing her say they prowled the area, I assumed they were some kind of reptile. Sister Yumeng laughed again and patted my head. "Huzi means bandits." I smiled sheepishly, feeling quite ignorant. No wonder she was laughing. That evening, she opened the trunk of her car, and I was shocked by what I saw. She had brought a full set of professional painting supplies. After setting everything up, she sat me down at the easel and placed a brush in my palm. "I'll paint with you," she said. I sat motionless, painting for 4 solid hours. The sun dipped below the horizon, the moon rose, and the lights in the corners of the guesthouse courtyard were turned on to illuminate our work. After 4 hours, I had only managed to sketch the general outline. The colors would have to wait until I returned. For the next 2 days, we explored every corner of the village. I memorized every detail of the lush scenery and took countless photos. I wanted to use my brush to capture these endless views once I got back, to make them eternal. Good times always fly by. The road back seemed much shorter. Sister Yomeng dropped me off at my dorm, telling me to rest well and promising to pick me up for dinner to submit our final competition entry. I felt the weight on my shoulders finally begin to lift. I began focusing on the commission for the Golden Soul Elderly Couples album. Initially, I thought about using traditional Chinese painting, but after checking, I realized they wanted colored pencils. Honestly, I've studied traditional painting since I was a kid and knew some sketching, but I'd never really tried colored pencils seriously. However, I've never been one to give up. Sister Yumeng recommended a course, and as I learned and painted, I gradually started to enjoy it. It became easier and easier. I had originally planned to use scenes provided by the client as backgrounds, but the landscapes of Yanghugo kept flashing in my mind. A new idea struck me. I would use the beauty of Yanghugo as the backdrop, letting that couple who had been in love for half a century live forever in that glorious world. Sister Yomeng relayed my idea to the clients, and to my surprise, they agreed. They even said if the work was good enough, they'd pay extra. What a lucky break. Excited, I painted with even more fluidity, as if I were a fish in water. Painting always brought me joy and helped me slowly forget the unpleasant memories of the past. One day, while I was wandering near the basketball court, a handsome upperclassman called out to me. "Len Hafeng, right? I hear everyone calls you little brother Hafeng, so I'll do the same. I'm Tu Jiang, a junior in the design department. I've liked Sister Yomeng for a long time, but I haven't found the right chance to confess. They say you're her brother. Can you give this letter to her for me?" I was stunned. This senior liked my Sister Yomeng. "But Sister Yomeng is really hard to pursue," I warned. "I know that, of course. Just help me pass the letter to her. I'll figure out the rest myself. I'm confident I can make her fall for me." I gripped that delicately folded love letter, feeling as if my arm had turned to lead. It felt heavy and aching. Afraid he'd be disappointed if I refused, I reluctantly agreed. When Chin Hang saw me walking in with my right arm raised stiffly, he asked, "What's with that pose? You look like an Indian ascetic. Is life too good for you? Are you trying to renounce the world?" I rolled my eyes and ignored him, placing the letter on the desk. "Oh ho! The great handsome Lan received a love letter? Come on, let me see which beauty is so bold. Don't touch it." I slapped his hand away. "This is a love letter from Senior Tu Jiang for Sister Yumeng." Chin Hang's jaw dropped in disbelief. "Holy Lan Haofeng, do you even have a heart? You're actually taking a love letter from my goddess. What's the big deal? A good woman is sought after by many. Whoever has the skill wins her over." Chin Hang looked at me like I was a complete idiot, but eventually my calm expression defeated him. He mumbled, "Fine, Hafeng, you're ruthless. I won't say anything else. Think about it yourself. But let me tell you, if you dare give that letter to my goddess, I guarantee she'll explode. Just you wait and see." "No way. Sister Yumeng has never lost her temper with me. I'm helping her find a match. Isn't that a good deed? Why would she be mad at me? What can I even say to you? Just don't regret it. In nearly 20 years, I've never met someone so clueless about romance. I give up." He slapped his forehead in exasperation, then turned around and threw himself onto the bed, ignoring me. October 15th was Sister Yumeng's birthday. I had prepared a gift and planned to present the senior's love letter alongside it, the perfect cherry on top. That day, her friends organized a gathering. My 2 roommates came along as well. About a dozen of us sat around, lively and cheering. When it came time for gifts, everyone brought out their presents with the usual cliched well wishes. Sister Yumeng accepted them all with a smile. When it was my turn, the room suddenly went dead silent. Everyone stared at me with expectant eyes, like mothers hoping their son would succeed. "Sister Yumeng, I have 2 gifts for you. Good things come in pairs. One is something I prepared a long time ago, and the other is the cherry on top. I had spent 20 years loving my childhood sweetheart only to be humiliated watching her run into the arms of the school idol. But by the time she realized she was being cheated on and came back full of regret, I had already started a new life and refused to look back." Sister Yumeng nodded with a smile, her eyes swirling with a gaze as warm and sweet as honey. "All right, Hafeng, don't keep us in suspense. Bring it out. Can't you see Yumeng's eyes are practically glued to you?" Da-da-da-da-da. I hummed the rhythm and pulled out a long, small box tied with a red ribbon, presenting it to her like a trophy. Everyone in the room swarmed behind her, eyes glowing as they urged her to open it. She looked at me with a smile, opened the box, and pulled out a roll of swan paper, unfurling it in front of everyone. "Wow. As expected of the prodigy the professors talk about. It looks just like her. Little brother Hafeng, your painting of Yomeng is amazing. It looks better than a photo. Look at the hair. Every strand is perfect." Everyone chimed in, unanimous in their praise of how vivid the painting was. It was a portrait I had painted by hand, To finish it, I hadn't slept for several nights, focusing entirely on capturing her specific expression. If I compared all the portraits I had ever done, this was the smallest, yet it was the absolute peak of my technical skill. In the painting, Sister Yumung's chin was slightly tilted, her hair flowed like silk, and her eyes were like stars. Her gaze into the distance was deep and long-lasting. The slight curve of her lips gave the whole piece a sense of warmth. "Do you like it, Sister Yumung?" I asked proudly. I was confident she would. Sure enough, she nodded. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with starlight. The corners of her mouth lifted, and her voice was soft, carrying an irrepressible joy. "I love it. Hao Feng's gift is my favorite." I cheered loudly upon hearing that and then held the love letter out to her with both hands. "I knew you'd like it. This is the second gift. Everyone, let's clap. Sister Yumung is about to get a boyfriend." As that thin piece of paper was placed in her hand, I saw a surge of joy in her eyes that was impossible to ignore. So much so that her hand holding the letter was slightly trembling. "Sister Yumeng, keep it together, will you? At least think about your brother Haofeng's feelings. Is Senior Tu Jiang's letter really that exciting?" "Haofeng, is this from you?" "Sister Yumeng, why don't you open it and see?" I asked with a grin. She carefully tucked the letter into her pocket. "No rush. I'll read it when I get back." The crowd started teasing her, saying she wanted to savor it alone and was too stingy to let anyone else know what was written. She didn't argue. She just sat there smiling, glancing at me with sparkling eyes. Her smile was so beautiful it made my head spin. Everyone was happy, except for Qin Hang, who let out a long sigh and shook his head. Qin Hang sighed deeply and shook his head with a toxic, "Honestly, you should read it now. If you wait until you get back, you might actually cough up blood." "What do you mean?" Han Wei whispered, leaning in. Qin Hang gave him a look that said, "You know why." He gestured toward me with his chin and gave me a quick, sharp glance. Standing next to Sister Yumeng, I suddenly remembered what Qin Hang had told me that night. I began to feel that maybe today wasn't the best time to give her that letter. But it was too late for regrets. Sister Yumeng seemed to sense my unease, or perhaps she realized something herself. She pulled out the letter, opened it, and read it line by line. Her face suddenly changed. By the time she reached the signature on the last page, her face was dark and her eyes were cold and bloodless. A chilling aura began to seep from her body. She turned her head and gave me a cold stare. Terrified, I took 2 steps back, trying to escape the blast radius of her icy aura. She folded the letter back up, put it in her pocket, and asked, "Hao Feng, is this your wish?" Her gaze was cold and distant. Panic surged through me. I realized I had done something incredibly stupid. Just as I was about to shake my head and deny it, she returned to her seat, picked up a full glass of wine, and downed it in one go. I was stunned. How did delivering someone else's love letter turn into my wish? For a moment, I couldn't understand why she was so angry. I looked at Qin Hang for help, hoping he'd explain, but the moment our eyes met, he turned away as if he didn't even know me. Dazed, I sat back down. Even with a table full of delicious food, everything tasted like ash. Sister Yumeng sat with a dark face, saying nothing. Everyone else acted like ostriches, burying their heads and eating in silence. The atmosphere at the table became suffocating and bizarre. Until the very end of that meal, she didn't look at me once. I knew she was mad, and this was the first time she had ever been angry with me. After the birthday dinner, we were supposed to go to a KTV, but she simply said she was tired and ended the party. I was disappointed. I had practiced 2 songs just for her birthday, and now I wouldn't even get the chance to sing them. The restaurant wasn't far from school, and as the group walked back in small clusters, I habitually went to find her. The weather that night was beautiful, with more stars than I could count. I walked while admiring the sky, hoping she'd watch with me, but she ignored me completely. She walked coldly the entire way, not even sparing me a glance. Once back at the dorm with Qin Hang, I followed my eager-to-learn spirit and tried to discuss why she was so angry. I thought my roommate would enlighten me, but after he finished washing up, he just gave me a look of pity and went to bed, leaving me standing there in a daze. I lay in bed, unable to sleep, her cold face replaying in my mind. I pulled out my phone and started a message bombing campaign, sending over a dozen texts, but they all vanished like stones dropped into the ocean. She didn't reply to a single one. It was useless. I tried calling, but the automated voice told me her phone was off. She must have been truly furious. I had no choice but to give up, telling myself everything would be better tomorrow before finally drifting into a hazy sleep. The next day, I woke up extra early. Under the hopeless case stares of my 2 roommates, I happily grabbed my textbooks and ran downstairs to meet her. Usually, if she was on campus, she'd definitely come to pick me up for breakfast. I ran to the dorm entrance and scanned the area, searching for her. There was nothing blocking the view, but even after my eyes grew sore from staring, I didn't see her. I figured she must have slept in after drinking so much the night before. I tried calling again, and at least the phone was on this time. The rhythmic ringing went on, but nobody picked up, and it eventually timed out. "Sister Yeoman, wake up. It's time for breakfast." I sent a message figuring it was just inconvenient for her to talk. Then, I waited. But just like the night before, there was only silence. I eventually had to go to class on an empty stomach. For the first time ever, she had stood me up without any notice. Missing one breakfast wasn't the problem, but I had grown so used to having her around that her sudden disappearance left me feeling hollow. I couldn't even focus on the lecture. The professor had to tap my desk twice to get my attention. At noon, it was the same story. I waited for over half an hour, but there wasn't a trace of her. I couldn't catch even a glimpse of Sister Yumung, and panic began to set in. I pulled out my phone and called her repeatedly, but every single one went unanswered. Had something happened to her? Terrified, I took off running, cutting through the wall of the flower gallery. I sprinted all the way to Yan Garden and then rushed to the arts building, only to find the gates tightly locked. No matter how hard I pounded on the doors, there was no response. It was over. I couldn't find her. I returned to the dorm like a lost soul, with no appetite to eat. By the time night fell completely, I had sent dozens of texts and made nearly 50 calls. But Sister Yomeng remained silent. Had I been abandoned again? After the lights went out, I lay in bed, my mind a chaotic mess. If even Sister Yomeng had left me, I'd be all alone again. It reminded me of the Mid-Autumn Festival during my senior year, when I started following Wei Yutong around, only to end up drifting alone. During that time, my heart felt empty every day, as if the entire world had discarded me. Now it felt like I was right back in that dark place. I woke up early the next morning, telling myself I had to learn how to adapt to a solitary life. After washing up, I headed straight for the cafeteria. Lin University had 4 student dining halls with cuisines from both the north and south, so food was never an issue. However, with so many students, long queues formed at every popular stall during peak hours. If you didn't arrive early, the best dishes would be gone. When I arrived, the place was already bustling. 20 or 30 people stood in line for soup dumplings, and the line for dumplings was even longer. I obediently joined the queue for soup dumplings, waiting about 15 minutes for my turn. I took my tray and found an empty seat nearby. I started eating, focusing intently on each bite of my bun and sip of porridge. "Is that you, Hao Feng?" A voice drifted from across the table. I looked up to see Senior Tu Jiang standing there. My heart sank. Truly, the world is a small place. You never run into the people you want to see, but you can't escape the ones you're trying to avoid. "So, Hao Feng, did you give my letter to Yomeng? Did she say anything?" He set his tray down and sat directly opposite me. I forced a weak smile. "Senior, I gave her the letter, but she didn't say a word. If you want to know the result, you'll have to ask her yourself. I haven't had a chance to see her these past few days." I finished every bite of my breakfast and got up to return the tray. For a split second, I thought I saw a familiar, graceful figure out of the corner of my eye, but when I looked closer, there was nothing. For 3 straight days, Sister Yomeng and her friends seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. I didn't try calling her again. Instead, I put all my effort into relearning how to take care of myself, terrified that someone would call me shameless or clingy again. On the afternoon of the 4th day, I finally saw her on campus. She was walking side by side with Senior Tu Jiang. I don't know what he said, but the smile on her face was incredibly gentle. I had spent 20 years loving a girl only to be humiliated while she ran to the school idol, and now that I was finally moving on, I refused to ever look back. But seeing Sister Yumeng on that 4th afternoon changed something. She was with the senior and they looked so happy together. Part of me wanted to run over and ask where she had been or why she hadn't answered my messages, but seeing her so joyful, I didn't want to intrude. I turned and walked away. On the 5th day, I ran into her in the sunshine corridor. She was as beautiful as ever, but when she saw me, she froze for a moment, her brow furrowing deeply. Just as I was about to speak, Senior Tu Jiang caught up from behind. Sister Yamong gave me a cold, distant look and walked away with him. The words I wanted to say died in my throat. Still, I felt a small spark of relief. At least I knew she was safe, and that was enough. I skipped dinner that night, sitting outside until the dorms were almost at lockdown. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. Seeing her with Senior Tu Jiang felt like a physical weight on my chest. But I had brought this on myself, hadn't I? I was the one who acted as their matchmaker. My head throbbed painfully. I couldn't eat, and my sleep was plagued by dreams. I wanted to call my parents, but I was afraid they'd hear the distress in my voice and worry, so I suffered in silence. Chin Hang told me I'd lost weight and that the light had left my eyes. He said it pained him to look at me. I think I was truly falling ill. My head hurt so much I lacked the strength to walk, and my vision kept fading to black. By the morning of the 6th day, everyone on the floor was up, but I remained still in bed. Chin Hang finally realized something was wrong. I was actually conscious and could hear everything around me, but I couldn't open my eyes. Every bone in my body ached with a dull, throbbing pain. I heard Chin Hang whispering to our other roommate. "He's burning up. He's going to turn into an idiot if this fever doesn't break. He spends all his time sitting in the wind. He was halfway to being an idiot anyway. Stop talking and get him to the clinic." The pain in my head intensified. Suddenly, I thought I smelled Sister Yomeng's scent. My throat was parched. I woke up coughing, feeling a weight on the edge of my bed. I turned my head to see Sister Yumeng, looking exhausted and bleary-eyed as she watched over me. Her eyes, usually filled with starlight, were now brimming with surprising guilt. It really was her. "Hao Feng, you're awake. Do you want some water?" She looked haggard, her voice rasping and dry. "I can get it myself." "Thanks, Sister Yumeng." I struggled to sit up. The water was on a small cabinet just a few inches away, but before I could reach it, a warm hand pressed against my shoulder, gently forcing me back down. She poured some warm water into a cup, inserted a straw, and held it to my lips. I reached out to take the cup, but she pulled it back. "Don't push yourself. Just drink. I looked at her in disbelief, but my throat was too sore to argue. After a few sips, the relief was immense. My throat felt much better, but I kept my gaze fixed on her. Sister Yumeng, I'm fine now. You should go finish your work. I'm not busy today. She tucked my hand back under the covers and adjusted the blanket around my feet. How did you manage to wreck yourself like this the moment I stopped watching you for a few days? All that weight I helped you put on is gone. I turned toward the window, refusing to answer. Talk to me. Why didn't you eat? She flicked my forehead with her finger, but I tilted my head to avoid her touch. Why didn't you answer my calls? Did I do something wrong? I couldn't hold back the question any longer. Fine, I'll tell you. I'm an adult, Hafeng. I know what I want. I can handle my own romantic life. I don't need you pushing me toward other people. Her voice was soft, yet it carried an underlying edge of steel. I wasn't pushing you. I just helped someone deliver a letter. Senior 2 was so persistent, I figured even if I didn't give it to you, he'd find another way. I never wanted to push you away. Sister Yumeng let out a soft huff of a laugh. Is that so? Then tell me, are you going to keep taking letters from other guys for me? I shook my head honestly. No more. And are you still going to try and set me up? She teased. Never again, Sister Yumeng. I'm sorry. I apologize sincerely. It turned out she was just angry that I had acted as a messenger for another guy. Looking back, I realized how reckless and thoughtless I had been. Good. I knew Haofeng was a good boy. She smiled gently. I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have left you alone for so many days. It won't happen again. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Sister Yumeng opened it to reveal Senior Tu Jiang walking in with a basket of fruit. He set it on the cabinet and sat at the edge of my bed. Haofeng, how are you feeling? Anywhere else hurting? I forced a smile. Having made up with Sister Yumeng, my mood was actually quite good. We chatted for about 10 minutes before the senior said he had other things to attend to, and left. After wishing me a swift recovery, Sister Yumeng adjusted my blankets and stepped out to see him off. It was a standard 6-person ward, but I was currently the only patient, and there was no private bathroom. Having just finished my IV drip, I needed to use the restroom, which meant walking to the public stalls outside. Since it was my first time in this hospital, I didn't know the layout and ended up wandering half the ward before finding it. Just as I was about to open the door, I heard voices coming from the adjacent lounge. They weren't loud, but I could hear them clearly. Why stop the act? You were worried, weren't you? It was Senior Tu Jiang. I couldn't bear it. Sister Yumeng's voice was as gentle as ever. I really didn't expect someone like you to, well, never mind. Just take good care of Haofeng. If you need help, you can find me anytime. Even if I don't have a chance to be your lover, at least leave a spot for me as a friend, right? Of course. I'm sorry for the trouble this time. Sister Yumeng's voice was smiling. After returning from the restroom, I insisted on being discharged. She took me to see the doctor, but he refused, saying my throat infection was serious and I needed 2 more days of observation until I was stable. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days and she took care of me meticulously throughout. On the day of my release, she personally escorted me back to the dorm, drawing envious stares and attention from the entire building. Since our reconciliation, she had become even more attentive and gentle. I greedily soaked up her care, wishing these days could last forever. Her work at the studio had suddenly picked up, leaving her incredibly busy, yet she always squeezed out time to be with me. When she was truly swamped, she'd order me delivery. I went back to being my happy, carefree self. Time flew by, and soon it was November. It grew cold outside, and students began swapping their light jackets for heavy coats. I remember it was late afternoon, and the sunset was breathtaking. Sister Yumeng messaged me to come down, saying she had something important to tell me. I threw on my coat, stuffed my phone in my pocket, and ran out. A light snow had fallen that morning, and the white flakes clinging to the branches sparkled like silver in the fading light. She was standing under a tree, waving at me with an excitement she couldn't suppress, as if something incredible had happened. Did the competition results come out? I asked, charging toward her like a cannonball. She nodded, her eyes shimmering. Haofeng, guess what place we got? It couldn't be first, could it? I ventured a guess. She burst out laughing and pulled me into a hug. Of course it's first. Our Haofeng is the best, #1 in the world. That evening, amidst the light snow on campus, the two of us were jumping and dancing with joy. She hopped onto my back, and I gave her a piggyback ride, sprinting through the grounds and drawing jealous looks from everyone we passed. In the past, I would have wanted to share every victory with Wei Yu Tong. But that day, I didn't even think of her. To celebrate our first place win, Sister Yumeng treated me and her close friends to dinner. By the end of it, my roommates and I were a little tipsy, stumbling along the quiet night streets and singing off-key at the top of our lungs. She remained sober and walked me all the way to my dorm entrance. She watched me go inside before turning to leave. Haofeng, the way that Sister Yumeng treats you, she treats you like a king. The way she looks at you isn't right. What are you thinking? Don't just leave her hanging. I sighed. Not again. Ever since we made up, people kept trying to link us together. I had explained 100 times she was my Sister Yumeng, the person who had looked after me since we were kids. In her heart, I was the younger brother, and she was the elder sister. That dynamic was set in stone. I couldn't even be bothered to explain anymore. I just rolled my eyes and pretended I hadn't heard a word. Zhang Zuqi nudged me with his elbow. Keep being oblivious. I'm genuinely worried for her, given your emotional intelligence. We laughed and joked until we reached the fourth floor, where we ran into Chin Hang, who had just returned. We followed him into the dorm, but he and Zhang Zuqi immediately teamed up to grill me again. They both insisted that she liked me and that I should cherish her and make it official. I was too tired to explain, so I just played dead and went to sleep. I thought I'd be spending the winter break alone, but on the morning I was set to leave, I walked out of the dorm to find her waiting under the tree with her suitcase. She hadn't been home in nearly 2 years, and her family wanted her back for the new year. I jumped for joy and asked why she hadn't told me. She said she wanted it to be a surprise. Well, it was certainly a surprise. Having her with me made the journey home so much better. I felt like a child again, meticulously cared for by her. When my mother opened the door and saw us together, she froze for a second before greeting her with a huge smile. Yumeng, you're back. You're even more beautiful than before. I hope Hao Feng didn't cause too much trouble for you at school. My mother took my luggage and warmly invited her inside. Of course not. Hao Feng is very sensible. He's no trouble at all. After chatting with my mom for a bit, Sister Yumeng went next door to her own house. Within seconds, a high-pitched scream from her aunt pierced the air, making my ears ring. Look how happy she is, my mother said with a smile as she unpacked my things. She told me how much her aunt had missed her, constantly bringing her up in conversation. Her return was a complete surprise to her parents. Even Wei Yu Tong was thrilled. She had arrived home a day later than us because Hua Chu wanted to spend some time exploring the capital. On the day she returned, her parents organized a gathering. It had been 2 years since Yomeng had been home for a meal, and both families wanted to have a proper reunion. We were told to go directly to the restaurant, but that reunion dinner didn't go as smoothly as planned. Hua Chu showed up alongside Wei Yu Tong, which took everyone by surprise. I felt a sense of finality. 20 years of my youth were now behind me. My parents, who were initially joyful, immediately lost their smiles when they saw them. They gave her a polite greeting and then fell silent. Her parents' expressions also soured, especially her mother's. She kept casting awkward and frustrated glances at me and my mother, unable to hide her annoyance. I suppose those unpleasant memories were still fresh in everyone's minds. Sister Yumeng sat beside me, quickly picking up on the shift in atmosphere. She noticed the shadow on my face caused by their sudden appearance, and quietly reached over, gripping my hand tightly. So tightly my knuckles hurt. The sharp sensation brought me back to reality. If you're unhappy, don't force it. Want to go for a walk? She was always so gentle. I smiled and shook my head. No, I'm fine. The food was served quickly, and the uncle urged everyone to start eating. Everyone complied, but the meal was silent. Even my father and her father, who usually shared a few drinks, just stared quietly at their chopsticks. The fish head here is delicious. Hua Chu, you should try some. Wei Yu Tong broke the silence, placing a piece of food on his plate. But despite her recommendation, she had accidentally given him a piece of broccoli. It seemed she wasn't as composed as she appeared. Hua Chu didn't eat the food. Instead, he stared directly at Sister Yumeng. Yu Tong, is this Sister Yumeng? Her hand paused midair. She looked at her sister. Yeah, she graduated from Lin University, the same one Hao Feng is attending. Don't you know Sister Yumeng, Hao Feng? When Hua Chu went to Lin University, you didn't even take him to meet her? I was speechless. Why was she dragging me into this instead of introducing her own sister? Just as I was about to snap back, Sister Yumeng pressed her hand over mine. Her face darkened. Who is Hua Chu? Why would Hao Feng bring him to see me? Even if a total stranger wanted to see me, I'd have to decide if I have the time. And frankly, I don't. That was brutal, and I loved it. Hua Chu had clearly intended to cozy up to the Wei family, but Sister Yumeng didn't give him an inch. His face turned a magnificent shade of purple from the humiliation. Seeing him like that, Wei Yu Tong couldn't bear it. She slammed her chopsticks onto the table. Sister, how can you say that? Hua Chu is my boyfriend, not some random nobody. Sister Yumeng slowly raised her eyes, staring at Wei Yu Tong with a gaze that was sharp and icy. If he's your boyfriend, why wasn't I told? And since he's a junior, why didn't he even greet me at Lin University? Does he simply have no respect for me as your elder sister? That was a masterful move. I was thrilled. Having Sister Yumeng back me up was the best feeling. You're always so busy. This isn't a big deal. Why should I have bothered you? Just focus on your own life. You don't need to worry about her affairs, Auntie chimed in, placing a freshly peeled shrimp into my bowl. Your father and I are still alive. It's not up to anyone else to run this household yet. Hao Feng, eat up. Uncle Wei glanced at the dish. Mena, peel a few more. Hao Feng loves these. And you too, Yomeng. Hao Feng grew up under our eyes. You have to take good care of him over there. I'm peeling them, aren't I? I'm just slow, why don't you help? Auntie grumbled. No need, Mom and Dad, you guys eat. I'll peel them myself, Wei Yutong said, trying to regain some ground. After weighing the situation, she finally softened her tone. Hua Chu, let me formally introduce you. This is my sister, Wei Yu Meng. Sister, Hua Chu and I have been together for a long time. I didn't want to disturb you because you were so busy. It was thoughtless of me. I'm sorry. I was surprised to see Wei Yutong actually back down. Hua Chu, realizing the tide was against him, forced a smile and obediently called her sister Yu Meng. She barely glanced at him, tossed her napkin aside, and spoke coolly. I heard there's a young master in Beicheng named Hua Chu. I wonder if it's the same person. Sister, you know about that? Wei Yutong interjected quickly. It's him. His family ran into some trouble, so he moved here with his mother a while ago. Sister Yumeng watched the two of them huddled together, her expression unreadable. Did I remember correctly? She continued. Weren't the Hua and Zhang families in Beicheng planning a marriage alliance? Why come all the way to Nancheng did the Zhang family back out because the Huas lost their status? The moment she mentioned the Zhang family, Hua Chu's face went pale. His body stiffened like a stone. My parents pretended not to hear, quietly discussing whether the garlic broccoli should have red chili rings. Uncle Wei and Auntie remained silent, their faces grim. Sister Yomeng and Wei Yutong were locked in a silent standoff. This meal was exhausting. As I was lost in thought, Hua Chu suddenly glared at me. His eyes were like knives filled with heavy resentment. He clearly thought I was the one who told Sister Yumeng about his cheating. It made sense for him to suspect me, considering I was the only one who knew the truth about his time at Lin University. The atmosphere at the table was suffocating. I greeted the elders and stepped out. Hua Chu could think whatever he wanted. I wasn't going to take the fall for his mistakes. The restaurant was built like a traditional residence and had a surprisingly large backyard. A stone path divided it into two sides, vegetables on the left and a bamboo tea table with a few chairs on the right. I retreated to a rattan chair to scroll through my phone, far away from the drama. After a while, a voice drifted over. So this is where you're hiding. I looked up. It was Wei Yutong. I placed my phone face down on the table and gave a small smile. Why aren't you with Hua Chu? He went home. I didn't ask why, and she didn't volunteer the information. We sat in a silence so heavy it felt like the other person didn't even exist. Wei Yutong, are you and Hua Chu doing okay? I asked tentatively. She turned to look at me, a trace of warmth appearing in her beautiful eyes. The kind of smile she only ever had when thinking of him. We're great. As for what my sister said about Beicheng and the Zhang family, Lan Haofeng, shut up. Since when did you become someone who gossips? So what if it's Beicheng or the Zhang family? Everyone has a past. You and I were linked by our families for 18 years. Am I supposed to carry that burden forever too? She suddenly exploded with anger. I just smiled. You really can't save someone who's determined to ruin themselves. If she wanted to keep wearing that green hat, so be it. I ignored her outburst and walked out of the backyard. Where have you been? Why do you look so annoyed? Did someone upset you? I ran into Sister Yumeng near the restrooms. Just got bitten by a stray dog. I grumbled. Her eyes darkened immediately. Did Yutong bother you again? I shook my head. No, I just realized I shouldn't have meddled in things that don't concern me. She understood immediately and gave my back a gentle, comforting pat. Didn't we already know it would end like this? Why speak up at all? You've heard the saying about no good deed goes unpunished, right? I didn't know what happened after I left, how Hua Chu departed or why Wei Yutong stayed in the backyard for so long. Regardless, that reunion dinner ended on a sour note. A few days later, I ran into Hua Chu at a drink shop. He looked haggard and said he wanted to talk. Remembering the way he looked at me at dinner, I decided it was time to clear the air. What is there to say? Speak quickly. I don't have time to waste. He looked up. Did you tell Wei Yutong about what I did at Lin University? I scoffed. He was basically confessing. Did you actually do something at Lin University? He choked on his words, seemingly surprised by my response. He studied me suspiciously, trying to see if I was lying. If that's why you sought me out, let me tell you, walls have ears. You'd do well to be careful. Haofeng, we're classmates. You should understand me. Zhang Shuangzi, she's just a good friend from back home. We really have nothing going on. I wanted to tell Yutong, but it wasn't a big deal and has nothing to do with our relationship. I was speechless at his sheer audacity. If kissing someone until sparks fly counts as nothing, then going to a motel together probably counts as studying in his book. Hua Chu, if you want to clarify your relationship with Zhang Shuangzi, you should tell Wei Yutong, not me. I stood up to leave. Lan Haofeng, I'm spending Chinese New Year with Yutong this year. The pride and provocation in his eyes were unmistakable. You could spend it with a stray dog for all I care. I'm not your father. You don't need to report your schedule to me. I turned and walked away, leaving him glaring at my back in a fit of rage. Sister Yumeng confirmed later that Hua Chu staying over was the result of Wei Yutong's relentless fighting. Her parents disliked him and strongly opposed the idea, but she went as far as a hunger strike to get her way. When I mentioned this to my mom, I told her I didn't want to spend New Year with the Wise anymore. Hua Chu's character was repulsive. Being around him would ruin my holiday. Who wants to start the year feeling disgusted? My mom agreed, saying she hadn't planned on a joint celebration either, but just hadn't found a polite excuse yet. My dad, ever the head of the household, stepped up in the final moment. With a flourish of brilliance, he decided we were all going to High City for the holidays. He booked 3 tickets using our IDs immediately. Auntie Mayna only found out on the day of the preliminary New Year. She broke down in tears, covering her mouth as she cried. My mom felt terrible too, and they spent the whole morning talking. For the first time in 2 days, our 2 families ate the preliminary New Year dinner separately. I don't know how it was at their house, but the 3 of us were quite happy. As my mom brought the dishes to the table, my dad opened a bottle of red wine. Just as I was about to give a festive toast, there was a knock at the door. I jumped up to open it. Sister Yumeng, I was shocked. Auntie, I've come to join you for dinner. Am I welcome? My mom was thrilled to have someone to chat with. Of course, Hao Feng said another place. Throughout the meal, Sister Yumeng kept telling my parents how excellent I was at school. She said my work was used as a model by the professors and that I had already earned nearly 200,000 through my own skills. She told them they'd surely be living a life of luxury because of me. She had my parents beaming with pride, constantly piling food onto her plate, while I, the actual son, became a mere background character. After dinner, my parents started cleaning up and I pulled Sister Yomeng into my room. I finally had a chance to ask what had been on my mind all night. Sister Yomeng, why did you come here to eat? Isn't Auntie angry? My mom wished she could come too. Why would she be angry? She smiled gently. I leaned over the table, my face inches from hers. A faint fragrance drifted into my nose. All I could think was how beautiful she looked. With a bit of wine in her system, her smile seemed even softer. Looking at her silky long hair, my hands felt itchy. Before I could move, she reached out and steadied my head, stopping me from getting any closer. I playfully tilted my head to shake off her hand and leaned in again. I'm not doing anything, I just want to know what you meant by that. She gazed at me tenderly for a long moment. Suddenly, she leaned in until we were less than 5 centimeters apart. I could see her eyelashes trembling and her lips pressed together, as if she were suppressing something. I had never been this close to a girl before, not even Wei Yutong. My heart started thumping wildly in my chest. In a panic, I tried to pull my head back, but I moved too fast and whacked the back of my head against the bookshelf. Ow, ow, ow! Sister Yomeng sat back as if nothing had happened. Why are you so hard on yourself? It was your fault. Why did you get so close? You scared me, she teased me, looking at my flushed face. I just wanted to see if you had sleep crust in your eyes. You're the one with sleep crust. I instinctively rubbed my eyes, only to find there actually was something there. She burst out laughing. Later, she told me that their dinner was ready, but then Huachu showed up outside. Since it was a holiday, her parents couldn't exactly turn him away, even if they were unhappy about it. Honestly, Sister Yumeng, I admire you. Your future brother-in-law comes over for the holidays and the elder sister just runs away. That's cold. She smirked. I don't care. Eating at the same table as a person like that makes my skin crawl. Our family set off for our trip on the 28th. Sister Yumeng had a dark expression as she saw us off at the airport, ignoring me the whole time. It took a lot of coaxing before she finally told me to come back early. Spending New Year away from home was a novel experience. On New Year's Eve, we joined people from all over the country for a grand dinner in the hotel lobby. There was music, dancing, and a festive atmosphere. By the time we returned to our room, it was 9 p.m. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the city lights and the fireworks reflected in the sky. My heart felt exceptionally peaceful. My phone rang with a video call. I knew it was Sister Yumeng without even looking. In the video, I told her I wanted everyone to be happy, that I wanted to hear her sing live, and that I hoped she'd keep getting more beautiful. I told her I wanted to earn more money to make my parents' lives comfortable. She chuckled and called me a good boy, urging me to come back soon because Huachu was driving her crazy by visiting every day. If your family doesn't open their doors soon, I'm going to end up a wanderer on the streets. Of course, she was exaggerating, but I laughed until my stomach hurt. She complained that the New Year dinner was boring and that Huachu was being incredibly unpleasant. Apparently, no one in the family liked him except for Wei Yutong. She grumbled that she had finally come home for the New Year, only for us to go on a trip, leaving the neighborhood cold and quiet. If she had known, she wouldn't have come back. We chatted for an hour until I promised to return as soon as possible. As she hung up, I thought I saw a flicker of reluctance and loneliness in her eyes. Under her daily pestering, my parents and I finally headed home on the 8th day of the first lunar month. Auntie Mena immediately started organizing another reunion dinner. This time she said we'd eat at home rather than a restaurant. My mom was too tired and wanted to rest, so she declined. Honestly, we've developed a bit of a trauma regarding these reunion dinners over the last few years. When I woke up from a nap, the sky was dark. I heard laughter from outside and saw Sister Yomeng helping my mom wash vegetables. They were chatting away happily. After 10 days, she was still as breathtakingly beautiful as ever. Her eyes brightened the moment she saw me. Later, my mom whispered to my dad. Yumeng seemed a bit distracted at first, but the moment she saw our son, her eyes practically lit up. Do you think she has feelings for him? My dad always agreed with my mom. He nodded solemnly and whispered something back that I couldn't quite catch. That night, Sister Yumeng stayed for dinner. Actually, she was the one who cooked most of it. It was the first time I had tasted her cooking, and it was delicious. Watching her in an apron, the warm kitchen light reflecting off the water on her slender fingers, it was a sight for sore eyes. Afterward, she took me out to see the night views. There was a performance happening in front of a large shopping mall. The music was deafening. We stood at the edge of the crowd, unable to see the stage clearly, but the atmosphere was electric. Sister Yumeng leaned in close, shouting over the music about how much she missed this. I looked at her, the neon lights dancing in her eyes, and suddenly realized that the sister I'd relied on all my life was someone I never wanted to let go of. We shared a quiet moment amidst the chaos, a silent understanding passing between us. As the fireworks began to explode overhead, signaling the true end of the festivities, she took my hand. It wasn't the tight, bone-crushing grip from before, but a soft, warm hold that felt like a promise. We stood there together, two shadows against the brilliant sky, finally ready to face whatever the new year had in store. My parents and I had finally settled back into our routine. Auntie Me and I invited us over for one last meal, insisting on cooking it herself this time. We tried to decline, but she wouldn't hear of it. "It's just family," she said, though we all knew that meant something different now. My mom was tired, and I was still feeling the weight of the last few days. When I woke up from a late nap, the house was filled with the sound of laughter. I walked out to find Sister Yomeng and my mother in the kitchen, their heads together as they prepped dinner. She looked up and smiled, and in that moment, all the bitterness and drama of the past year seemed to melt away. My mother gave me a knowing look, but for once, I didn't feel the need to argue. Her eyes light up the moment she sees him, my mom whispered to my dad later. He just nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. I watched them from the doorway, feeling a strange sense of peace. That night, the dinner was quiet, but it wasn't the suffocating silence of before. It was comfortable, filled with the easy conversation of people who had known each other forever. Afterwards, Sister Yumeng and I walked out into the cool night air. The city was still alive with the remnants of the holiday, but we found a quiet spot away from the noise. We didn't say much, but as we looked out at the lights, I knew that things would never be the same again. And for the first time, I was perfectly okay with that. I collided with Sister Yumeng's tender and affectionate gaze. She was watching me with a softness in her eyes that felt like a vast, boundless ocean, completely surrounding me. Even though the square was packed with thousands of people, and despite the moon and the city lights shining so brilliantly, in that moment, the only thing I saw in her eyes was a tiny, stunned version of myself, frozen in a daze. Sister Yumeng didn't say a word. She just kept watching me like that, yet it felt as if she had already said everything there was to say. Every unspoken word resonated deep within my soul. My heart suddenly began to throb wildly, and my eyes grew hot with an uncontrollable heat. It was past 10 o'clock by the time we headed back, and I was still buzzing with excitement, rambling on to her about the performance we had just seen. She listened patiently, occasionally offering a soft response, but otherwise her gaze never left me. I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination, but the way she looked at me felt increasingly intense. At times I could almost swear that look meant she loved me.
I confess my love to Qingmei, whom I have loved for 20 years, but he humiliated me severely, and turned around and threw himself into the arms of the schoolgirl. After he found out that he was cheated, I regretted coming back to me, but I had already started a new life and would never look back. When I walked to the unit door, a small figure caught my attention. "It's Wei Yutong. Why did you come back so late? I wonder if Auntie will be worried." Wei Yutong came up to me and asked me softly. Sister Yumeng raised her eyebrows after hearing this. Just when I was about to say something, she already spoke in a cold voice. "Why are you worried that Haofeng will be left behind again? Not everyone is like you." Wei Yutong looked at Sister Yumeng, then at me, and finally turned back without saying anything. It was almost midnight when I lay in bed after washing up at night. Wei Yutong sent me one. The message is still just a few words. "Are you having fun? Happy or not?" He just saw it. Why would he ask again? I only replied to him with 2 words, happy. The other party replied instantly, "Hofeng." These simple words between you and my sister made my heart go cold. I couldn't understand his position and intention in asking this question. I replied to him, "What do you want to say?" He sent me a voice message, which was not long, more than 10 seconds. But I didn't listen, so I deleted it and blocked his WeChat account. On the 10th day of the first lunar month, Wei Yutong came to my house to find me. He said that Sister Yumeng had an appointment with a classmate that day, and that he was not interested and wanted to chat with me. He didn't mention anything about WeChat, which meant that he didn't send me any more messages after that night. It's boring. I went to find Hua Chu. "Why did you come to my house? You better come less often. Come to me. I'm a little impatient." Wei Yutong sat slumped on the sofa, his head resting on the back of the sofa. He went back to Beicheng to worship his ancestors. I looked at Wei Yutong with pity, and there were so many thoughts in my mind. When Hua Chu returns to Beicheng at this time, he really doesn't get into trouble. I go back. Maybe my eyes were too serious, so he raised his hand to block my eyes from me, preventing me from looking at him, and then he yelled at me to go out to dinner with him. I refused without hesitation. The memory of last time was still fresh in my mind, and I didn't want to make the same mistake again. "Don't worry, it's winter now, and there won't be that much rain." "Go ahead, I'm so lonely." "Wei Yutong, you have a boyfriend now. Hua Chu is already jealous of me, so we still have to avoid suspicion. I don't want him to misunderstand anything." "Brother Hafeng, you were not like this before. You used to only sleep and go to the toilet. You're always by my side. Why are you so angry with me now?" He asked me in a resentful tone, and I smiled calmly. "This is your choice. We will never be the same again." He was stunned and said no more. After a long time, he opened the door and left my house. I watched him go out calmly and calmly. There are no emotional ups and downs. The 15th day of the first lunar month is a traditional day, and it is also my birthday. Dad made a reservation for the hotel he went to last time a day in advance. This was a strong request because I loved the food and the backyard setting. After packing up, I went out. Today's program was booked 2 days in advance. Go to the haunted house in the amusement park, and then also play the now popular script killing game. Unexpectedly, as soon as I opened the door, I saw 2 figures standing at the door. One has a nonchalant look on his face. Sister Yumeng of Yu, and the other one is Wei Yutong. "What's going on?" Sister Yumeng asked me 2 days ago how I planned to spend my birthday. I said I wanted to go to the amusement park, and she said she had nothing to do and could play with me. She treated me to a birthday treat at noon. It was normal for me to bump into Sister Yumeng at the door of my house. Not Wei Yutong. I haven't communicated with him about my birthday at all in the past 3 or 4 years. With how bored he is with me, it's impossible for him to remember when my birthday is. But looking at his casual attire and the fact that he was with Sister Yumeng, he obviously meant to go with us. I looked around a little fearfully. If Wei Yutong goes, will Huachu also go? The birthday girl is ready. Let's go. I've got the car. Sister Yumeng smiled and was about to take me away. Will Wei Yutong go too? I asked Sister Yumeng. Me? I didn't invite him. Wei Yutong's face was expressionless at first, but after hearing these words, his face darkened. I'm alone. Huachu hasn't come back yet. Wei Yutong obviously understood what my point was and quickly explained. It looked like he had to go. Okay, just go ahead and stay away from him when you play for a while. The car parked in front of the amusement park, and we met up with those who had arrived first. They are all former high school classmates, both boys and girls, and they all played well in high school. Even though we went our separate ways during the past few years of college, we still kept in touch. We got off the car first, and Sister Yumeng went to look for a parking space. Zhang Qing and I were walking side by side, and Wei Yutong was walking to my left, less than 2 steps away. He sat quietly along the way, barely speaking, and occasionally took out his cell phone to look at it. Heavy all the way. It seemed that he was not there. As soon as he showed up, someone started teasing us. Is the winged bird still flying together? Have you thought about when to land and build a nest? The girl who spoke is called Li Mei. She was a chubby kid when she was in school. I failed every physical education exam and was often asked to lose weight by my physical education teacher. Once I was scolded to the point of crying, but her personality is very cheerful. She turned around with a smile on her face. Everyone liked her very much. My classmates all said that she liked me, and some even said that she had written me a 7-page love letter. Unfortunately, I didn't receive those words, so I just took them as a joke. After 3 years of separation, Li Mei actually got rid of all the fat. She became a great beauty. In terms of appearance alone, he is by no means inferior to Wei Yutong. What does it have to do with you? Leisure Wei Yu. He glanced at Li Mei and said, Oh, Wei Yutong, my son is aloof. I spent a lot of effort writing the love letter to Hofeng back then, but I heard that you kept it secretly. If there's no room for appreciation, can you give it back to me? Wei Yutong's expression changed drastically. Li Mei dared to say it in public, which shows that she really wrote a letter to me back then. Someone did tell me about Li Mei's letter to me back then. No wonder I didn't receive it. It turned out that Wei Yutong intercepted it. Finally, we had a gathering. Something happened before it even started. It was an old incident and everyone was a little embarrassed. The weather was very cold, but Wei Yutong's face was so red that it seemed like it was about to bleed. Her eyes swept over Sister Li, paused on me, turned away from everyone, and said, I'm afraid that messy things will affect your study. I just collected it for you, if you want. I'll return it all to you when I get back. Li Mei exploded when she heard this. Wei Yutong, you look like a human and a dog. Why can't you speak human language? A dog can't spit out ivory. Is there really such a mess? Who knows? Wei Yutong was not willing to be outdone. Arguing with Li Mei with a cold face, the two of them quarreled more and more fiercely. The other 2 girls tried their best to persuade them, but the more I listened, the more something seemed wrong. Wei Yutong actually hid a love letter someone else gave me. He doesn't like me, so why did he hide it? Isn't it to practice reading comprehension skills? So you intercepted not 1 or 2 letters? Wei Yutong, why do you accept my things? You're sick, I yelled angrily. Just for a moment, my anger has reached its peak. It's so irritating. Wei Yutong and I were looking at each other angrily when Sister Yumeng parked the car and rushed over, stand beside me. Ask me what happened. Why am I so emotional? I took a deep breath and told Sister Yumeng what had just happened. Sister Yumeng gave Wei Yutong a disappointed look. Then he smiled and said to me, Okay, little beast heart, today is your birthday. Don't be angry about things that have passed. If you have anything to do, we can talk about it later, okay? So many people are waiting for you. Sister Yumeng is right, Haofeng. Let's go in and play. Don't be angry because of the scumbag. Zhang Qing came to hug my shoulders. Li Mei also knew that what she did was wrong, and she kept apologetically saying that she was sorry and that she would go back and talk about something. Everyone is here to celebrate your birthday. Be happy, Hofeng. Sister Yumeng put her hand on my shoulder and comforted me in a gentle voice. Well, I don't want to ruin Sister Yumeng's face, nor do I want to make everyone unhappy. I had no choice but to agree against my will. As for this old debt with Wei Yutong, I will settle it with him properly after I go back. They are all young people in their 20s. Quickly forgot the unpleasantness just now and threw myself into the game. The entrance to the haunted house is under an old locust tree, and there's a deep well there. There was a sign at the mouth of the well that read, "You're here too." The staff carefully explained the rules of the game and emphasized that playing is an atmosphere. The ghosts inside are all pretended by the staff. They may be a bit scary, but they won't really take us away. Everyone laughed after hearing this. Go down to the bottom of the well one by one. When I went down, there were only 2 people left on the ground, Wei Yutong and Sister Yumeng. Follow me, don't be afraid. Sister Yumeng held my hand, walk with me into the middle passage. This is my first time walking into the haunted house. The air was filled with gloomy winds, and the eerie ghost cries were very close. It was as if it was right next to my ears, making my scalp tingle. Someone screamed in front of me, followed by loud cries to get away. "Don't come here! Get out of here!" I felt very nervous. I was observing the surrounding environment carefully, and suddenly something fell from above. There was a buzzing sound less than half a meter away from my face, and the will-o'-the-wisp lighted up so I could see clearly that the thing was actually a hanged ghost with blood dripping from its tongue. There seemed to be something crawling in the two black holes above his eyes, which was scary and disgusting. The ghost appeared so suddenly that I couldn't control my shouting. I raised my legs and wanted to run away. Sister Yumeng grabbed me and whispered into my ear, "It's fake, don't be afraid. By the way, work. Did you tell me it was fake? What are you afraid of?" I plucked up the courage to continue walking with Sister Yumeng. But for some reason, I always felt like something was following me. No matter how far you go, you can't get rid of it. I looked back several times, but the light was too dark and it was impossible to see the two people face to face. I don't know how long it took. My eyes lit up and I reached the exit. It turns out that everyone has come out. Turning around, I saw Wei Yutong standing behind Sister Yumeng with a livid face. It looks like it just came out. If you put it this way, the ghost that has been following me and can't get rid of me is him. He was not invited. He insisted on following. Everyone was playing games and he followed behind as a follower. He was really very sick. After everyone rested for a while, they went to the game field where the script was killed. We went a little late, and all the good scripts were picked. After being taken away, there was only one saving prince left, and everyone despised him. We all come here for suspense or horror scripts. Several people withered at that time. I'm quite disappointed too. Looking at my phone, it's already past 10 o'clock. So why not go out and find a place to eat? Everyone is here, why don't you play? Besides, isn't it our dream since childhood to be a prince? The players raised their hands. Zhang Qing raised his hand first. When he started, everyone seemed to think of their childhood dreams of being princes, and they all became interested. The next step was to draw characters, and I was the last one to take after everyone had finished drawing. When he opened it, he saw that it was actually a prince. The funniest thing is Wei Yutong. She actually slapped the little maid who was being beaten. It was so funny to me. Sister Yumeng is standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He looked at me with a soft smile. He was a few years older than us after all. If it wasn't for my birthday, he wouldn't have gone crazy with us little devils. It is even less possible to play these tricks. Sister Yumeng, who did you smoke? I want to go over and see Sister Yumeng's role. Wei Yutong stood in front of me, as if he wanted to say something. I ignored him and ran directly to Sister Yumeng. Sister Yumeng unfolded the paper ball in her hand and asked me to see it. My face turned red. On that small piece of paper, the word princess was neatly written on it. The final ending of this fairy tale is that the princess kisses the prince and wakes him up, and they live happily ever after. That is to say, Sister Yumeng and I are going to shoot a kiss scene. The kiss scene? This is too outrageous. I finally let go. I spent 20 years of my youth just to make this fairy tale end with the princess kissing the prince and waking him up. Live happily ever after. That is, it is too outrageous to say that Sister Yumeng and I are going to shoot a kiss scene. Sister Yumeng, this is a game, no need for a real kiss, right? I discussed it in a low voice with Sister Yumeng. This was my first kiss. I couldn't lose it just for a game, right? Sister Yumeng looked at my flushed face. There was a smile in his eyes. Ho Feng, do you want a real kiss? I turned my head away, trying my best to avoid Sister Yumeng's gaze. Borrowed, of course. Game started soon, and everyone took their places. I only had 2 scenes. In the first scene, I was cursed by a witch and fell into a coma. From then on, I lay in bed and slept, waiting for the princess to wake up with a kiss. After the first scene, I just lay on the bed and waited for the princess. I don't know which part has the problem. I waited and waited, but the princess didn't come either. This made me anxious. It's very warm here, and the fragrance of roses lingers faintly. The sun shone warmly on the top of my head. Everything was so comfortable, and I actually fell asleep without any hope. Suddenly, I smelled a familiar aroma in my nose. Opening his hazy, sleepy eyes, he saw a face in front of him. I screamed and remembered, and finally met the slightly pursed lips. Suddenly, the room was quiet, and I could only hear the pounding of my heart and the buzzing of the wind in my head. It's over. We really kissed. Sister Yumeng straightened up quickly and turned her face half sideways. I saw Sister Yumeng's red earlobes. Sister Yumeng blushed, and my face started to feel feverish. The atmosphere was very awkward for a while. What are you doing so close to me? I said angrily. Aren't you borrowing a seat? I'm looking for a place to borrow a seat. You woke up, and before I had time to react, you kissed me, making me blush even more. Sorry, Sister Yumeng. I fell asleep. Haofeng, this is my first kiss. Even though she apologized, Sister Yumeng was still unyielding and aggrieved, just like a good woman who was taken over by a wealthy landlord. Suddenly, the loudspeaker installed somewhere rang. The princess successfully kissed the prince and woke him up. In the next scene, the prince carries the princess out of the palace. Aha, what about that? Sister Yumeng shouldn't have to carry you out, right? Sister Yumeng suddenly came over again. Haofeng, it's just a game. In the end, I still couldn't overcome my conscience. I didn't want the game that everyone participated in to fail, so I had no choice but to carry Sister Yumeng out obediently. After leaving the door of the prince's bedroom, the king and queen stood at the door with a look on their faces. They were waiting for us impatiently, but in the open space over there, the housekeeper Li Mei raised her hand and was about to slap the maid Wei Yutong. Although the game tries its best to restore the plot, slapping someone in the face involves human dignity after all, so it is better not to slap someone if you can. Sister Yu Meng also saw the stalemate between the two of them, with a dark expression on her face. The princess successfully kissed the prince and woke up the game. Everyone jumped up and cheered in unison. Li Mei never raised her hand. Looking at my watch, it's lunchtime at 11:15. There's a Sichuan restaurant opposite the playground. Sister Yu Ming said it tasted very good. We had already reserved a seat before starting the game, and after the game, a group of us went over to eat. Sichuan food is the favorite of our group, and everyone ate it heartily. The gift Zhang Xing gave me was a music box that can be controlled by voice. What Li Mei gave me was a homemade paperweight. It was made of an unknown material and had a faint fragrance. When it was Wei Yutong's turn, he took out a red box. It's a bit heavy. Open it in front of everyone. It is a portrait of me. In the painting, I'm holding a big school bag and sitting on the steps, looking up at something. The light in his eyes was filled with happiness. He painted me in high school, and what I'm looking at should be him on the badminton court. The classmates who didn't know the truth burst into laughter and said that his paintings were so realistic and made them see me again as a child. I feel restless in my heart. What on earth is Wei Yutong doing? He hasn't been feeling well these past few days. Is he trying to get out and go crazy? I'm debating whether to return the painting to him. Sister Yumeng, he reached for the painting, put it away again, and put it into his bag. The painting is good. Sister Yumeng will hold it for you. This is my gift to you. Open it and see if you like it. What Sister Yu Meng brought to me was a purple box, square in shape. I gently opened the lid and found an obsidian bracelet lying quietly inside. The workmanship is exquisite. The style is beautiful and generous. Do you like it? The style is designed by myself. Sister Yu Meng's voice like concentrated fruit wine rang in my ears. I like it, I really like it, and I'm also very touched. This was specially designed for me by Sister Yu Meng. This should be the most ideal birthday gift I received today. Just like it. Sister Yu Meng smiled with tenderness in her eyes. After a lively meal, it was already past 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone dispersed with unfinished business. Lin Bianjun was still shouting that he was very happy and went out to play every day. Everyone left, only Li Mei still stood there, apparently waiting for me. What are you looking at? Get in the car. Sister Yu Meng stood beside me, staring at Sister Li displeased. I smiled and said, wait for me for a while. She might have something to say to me. Uneasy and kind-hearted, Sister Yu Meng muttered unhappily like a child who didn't get candy, which is quite cute. I asked Sister Yu Meng to get in the car first and wait for me, then turned and walked towards Sister Li classmate. Hoffing, I had a lot to say to you, but I saw that Wei Yutong couldn't control himself. I'm sorry for ruining your birthday. Li Mei's face was filled with guilt, but it was nothing, it was all over. We are all classmates, why are you so polite? Lan Hofeng, he looked startled and actually called me. It's all about you. There were so many emotions in his eyes, they were so complicated that I couldn't understand them. I'm leaving, I will never come back again. I've liked you for so many years, but I can't get you to take a good look at me. I can only say that we are not destined. 3 years of high school, I wrote you 11 letters, each of which was filled with my heart, but each of them fell into disrepair. You were kind to me during those 3 years, but others thought I was fat. You don't want to play with me, but you always smile and never dislike me. I asked Wei Yutong to bring the letter to you, but you never gave me any response. I never got even rejection. I was quite grateful to you at that time. I thought you didn't reject me because you were worried that it would make me sad. Until I come back from this winter vacation, I accidentally learned that those letters from back then were intercepted by Wei Yutong. He told others that I was not worthy of writing to you, and all the classmates knew it. What do you think of Wei Yutong? But I like you so much that I mustered up the courage to write to you one after another. I was a little shocked that he had liked me for so many years. Perhaps my consternation pleased him. Li Mei pulled up the corner of her mouth and smiled. After knowing the reason, I was very angry. I tried to argue with him several times, but it had been so many years, it's boring to mention it again. I haven't been back much in the past few years, and I didn't know until yesterday that you and Wei Yutong were not together. Sister Li, I really don't know what happened back then. I'm really sorry for wasting your time. I stayed here specifically to explain all this to you, not to make you feel guilty. Hoping Wei Yutong is not worth it, but you can definitely find the person who loves you the most. Sister Li, you too. You will definitely find the boy who only belongs to you. He stopped Liang. As we got into the taxi, the afternoon sun shone on his face. It wasn't that strong, but I saw 2 glistening dots in the corner of his eyes. Those clear eyes were filled with sadness. Will we meet again? I forced a smile. Where in life do we not meet? He waved goodbye to me. Then he quickly disappeared from my sight as if he was escaping. I looked at the direction in which he disappeared for a long time. Get in the car. If you stand for a while longer, why don't you stand like a stone? Sister Yu Meng came over with a dark face and pulled my arm, and then the car drove smoothly out of the parking lot. Wei Yutong, please return my letter to me. I stood beside his sofa and asked for something angrily. Wei Yutong raised his eyes and glanced at me. Times have changed. What use do you need it for? Then leave it alone and hurry up. Give it to me, Hofeng. Aren't you treating Li Mei? I suddenly became irritable. What I do to Li Mei is my business? Don't say it's useless. Give me the letter quickly. I don't have time to waste time with you. Wei Yutong's eyes darkened. Do you really want to know what he wrote, isn't it? You are over 20 years old and you still believe in those children's stuff. Do you care? Give it to me quickly. I don't have time to talk nonsense with people like you. I really don't have the patience to deal with Wei Yutong now. Wei Yutong sat on the sofa and looked at me intently for a while, then got up and went back to the room. I took out a blue box and put it on the coffee table. It's all here. I picked up the box and opened it. There was a pile of letters inside with the words Hofeng personally written on it. I opened the letter and took a look. It was signed Li Mei, and there was a drawing of a chubby cartoon character holding it. The little box returned home and took out the letter he had just opened. Just as I was about to read, someone knocked on the door, and the voice was quite urgent. When I opened the door, I saw it was Sister Yu Meng. Sister Yu Meng, are you okay? I blocked the door. Don't want her to come in. Sister Yu Meng didn't say anything to me at all and leaned forward. I subconsciously ducked, and she took the opportunity to walk in. She sat down where I was, picked up the letter, and started reading. Hello, classmate Hofeng. You're like heaven. I rushed over in a few steps. Covering his mouth with one hand, she snatched the letter from his hand with the other hand, put it back into the box, and asked him with a dry smile if he wanted to drink water. Don't drink. Those are all written by Li Mei to you. Sister Yu Meng pulled off my hand, her eyes still glancing into the box. Probably I haven't had time to see what's underneath. So many. Many years have passed. Why are you coming back? Do you really care about Li Mei? Sister Yu Meng raised her eyebrows. Her tone was the same as her eyes. His gaze swept across my face like a searchlight. Sister Yu Meng, there's something wrong with what you said. Whether I have feelings for Li Mei is one thing. My things should always be returned to their original owners, right? What's the point of letting others go? Even if I don't want it, I should throw it away myself. Will it be Wei Yutong's turn? Forget it. I happen to be out, so I can just throw it away for you, saving you the trouble of having to go out. Goodbye. That's it. My sister Yu Meng didn't ask my opinion. I grabbed the box and took it with me, along with the letters I hadn't read yet. In the first semester of my senior year, my father had a minor heart problem. After staying in the hospital for almost a month, my mother almost fainted from crying because of this. That's when it was the busiest time before the internship, and I didn't have time to go back to see my dad. I can only see him lying on the hospital bed through video calls every day, and he has no strength to walk. My mother was suffering at home, and I was also exhausted mentally and physically at school. I called several times a day to pay attention to my father's condition. During that time, I was like a little lunatic and was in a particularly bad mood. I want to go back and see my dad. My mother wouldn't let me say anything. She said she wanted me to study here with peace of mind. Going back would increase my father's psychological burden. Sister Yu Meng has always been with me. He coaxed me with all his good words, and it wasn't until my father was discharged from the hospital and personally called me via video message to tell me that he was completely fine that I felt completely relieved. I was very happy that day. I took Sister Yu Meng out to have a barbecue to celebrate my father's recovery. The classmates all started internships. Tianan, the separation of North and South. 4 years of college life will soon come to an end. My grades were excellent, and I was admitted to graduate school by the school. Because I was worried about my father's health, I chose to study at Beijing University, which was closer to home. In this way, if something happens at home, I can rush home faster. During the winter vacation of my senior year, our family finally moved to a new location. The Lan family and the Wei family officially ended the situation of living next to each other for more than 20 years and became independent. But my mother still likes the small garden of the original house. The old house was not sold. Occasionally, I would stay there for a day or two. In my dad's words, keep both houses and alternate between living in them. Just think of it as traveling. The car slowly stopped in front of the house. 4 empty nesters stood at the door of the unit. Parents, uncles, and aunts. We are back. I jumped out of the car first and my son came back. Come in quickly. Your mother came here early in the morning and is busy making food for you. My dad waved to me. Aunt Mina held my hand with a smile on her face. But we were all so happy when we heard that you were back for the holidays. We meet again here after a long absence. While they were chatting happily, Wei Yutong and Hua Chu pushed their suitcases to the door of the unit. When Aunt Mina saw Hua Chu, her smile obviously faded a lot. Hua Chu greeted him, he responded politely, and then there was no further communication. Although the situation was so embarrassing, Hua Chu still gritted his teeth and persisted. This guy has really thick skin. Okay, don't say it at the door, come inside quickly. The pot has been boiling for a while. Mom pushed me with her left hand, pushing Sister Yu Meng with her right hand. Wei Yutong also thought about it under Hua Chu's instruction. Follow me. Sister Yu Meng curled her lips in displeasure and went back to each house to find a mother. Don't go to the wrong door. After saying that, she followed my mother into my house. The moment I closed the door, I saw my uncle and aunt staring at my daughter in confusion. Could it be that he is stupid? Why did he even enter the wrong door of his own house? Sister Yu Meng, why did you come to my house? Shouldn't everyone go back to their respective homes to find their own mother? Did you go to the wrong door? I twisted my neck and asked her, throwing the coat I took off into the dirty clothes basket in the bathroom. Sister Yu Meng, wash your hands. He went directly into the kitchen, picked up a box from somewhere, took out the bottles and jars inside, and placed them on the condiment table. Don't you want to eat the sauce I prepared? Yes, Sister Yu Meng, are you going back to eat after mixing the ingredients? Your sister is back with her son-in-law. This is a great reunion for your family. One day, I was lying on the doorframe of the kitchen watching Sister Yu Meng mixing the hot pot sauce. This man is so beautiful that even a few mahjong games are so pleasing to the eye. Sister Yu Meng kept moving her hands, still maintaining a half-bowed posture, but she just raised her eyes and rolled her eyes at me. Mom raised her hand and patted me on the forehead. What nonsense are you talking about? You, Sister Yu Meng, have been busy all morning shopping and making soup. I have to pick you up and mix the sauce for you. Why are you so heartless? Sister Yu Meng was quick and ready. The four of us sat at the table and started eating. When we were enjoying the meal, Wei Yutong knocked on the door, and I opened it. Our home has an open living room and kitchen, and the dining room is diagonally opposite the door. That is to say, you can see it all standing in front of my house. Panoramic view of the restaurant. I opened the door and Wei Yutong said, "Come and see Sister Yu Meng and go back for dinner." Huichu stood behind Wei Yutong and kept looking at the restaurant with a greedy look on his face. Is something wrong? I asked angrily, saying that I didn't want to talk to them. Lan Hafeng, I came to see my sister. The food at home is ready. Why doesn't she come back? After saying this, Wei Yutong immediately wanted to walk into the house. You saw it with your own eyes. Why are you asking this nonsense? Eye problems or mental illness? I stopped him and refused to let him in. A good hot pot meal. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Lan Haofeng, what are you doing? We really just came to see Sister Yu Meng. Auntie prepared the meal. I even brought you food. If you don't come to eat, just forget it. You won't let us find Sister Yu Meng. Isn't that bad? The true nature of tea, I want to try it. Don't even dare to tell the truth. You want to bring trouble to me? What is it? Sister Yu Meng? Your sister and her boyfriend are here to pick you up and take you home for dinner. I guarded the door tightly. He turned back and shouted in the direction of the restaurant. Sister Yu Meng actually heard it a long time ago, but she just pretended not to listen. At this time, I called my name and pulled out a napkin. After testing the corners of my lips, I slowly took it and stopped half a step behind me with a somewhat impatient tone. I told my parents a long time ago, eat here, go back. It's nothing important, so don't bother me again. Don't come if you have something important to do, just call. When it's time to go home, I will go back. Don't get lost. No one needs to pick you up. After saying that, Sister Yu Meng shut the door with all her might, isolating the pair of bitches from our world. Dad drank a lot, sort of. Drunkenly was helped back to the room by my mother to take care of me, leaving me to clean up the kitchen. Looking at the messy fighting situation in the kitchen, I feel like crying but I don't know where to start. In the end, it was my good sister Yu Meng who stepped in and demonstrated step by step to help me solve this big problem. Looking at the clean and refreshing kitchen, I couldn't help but sigh. My dear sister Yu Meng, I really don't know which family has a man so lucky that he can be with you for the rest of his life. The next morning, I was awakened by the ringing of the phone, only to find that my high school classmates were already in a frenzy. It was rare for the squad leader to come back, so he suggested that all the students in Nanchang come out to get together at noon. Sister Yu Meng walked Wei Yutong and I to the door of the hotel and then left. She asked us to notify him when we were done to pick us up. Gatherings between classmates should be simple and happy. Everyone talks about each other. Situation just count the friendship between classmates back then, but there are a few rats like that who keep flaunting how outstanding they are. No matter how much money you make, you just turn the friendship between classmates into a competition. If I had known that the party would turn out like this, I don't think I would have come. While they were having a drunken fight, I found an opportunity to walk out of the box and went to the balcony to hide. This hotel was the same one where Wei Yutong brought Huachu home for the first time. Over the past few years, the decoration style of the hotel has changed. If it weren't for the fact that the name of the hotel was still there, I wouldn't dare to recognize it. It's like I'm still Lan Hofeng. He is still Wei Yutong. But the changes of time have made us no longer the same people we once were. If the memories were not still there, we would have never found the original place. Just sat there for less than 10 minutes. Someone found me and sat down next to me. Almost 6 years later, Wei Yutong sat so close to me for the first time. So close that I could smell her familiar scent. It's a pity that the pounding heart that year has become as calm as water. It's too noisy inside. She held a can of Sprite with her slender and beautiful fingers and handed it to me. She smiled lightly with peace between her brows. I have always been a Buddhist. Never actively caused trouble. I took the Sprite and didn't open it. Sister Yu Meng has always prohibited me from drinking this kind of carbonated drinks. After a few years, I got used to it, putting my backhand next to me. Have something to do with me. Wei Yutong raised his eyes to look at me, and then quickly opened his eyes. She stared at a small patch of damage on the floor tile in front of her for a while before speaking. After so many years, I actually owe you the truth. I'm truly sorry. And Hofeng, don't stop me and let me say everything. Otherwise, it will be too uncomfortable to hold it in my heart, and it will make me scratch my head every time I think about it. I nodded. Okay, you said what happened that year was because I was too impulsive and didn't take you into consideration. It was my fault. Actually, I'm not targeting you. I just simply resent that adults always talk about us together. It feels very bad to have our lives arranged by others. In the past few years, I have been thinking, why did you do so well that year? After you left that day, my parents scolded me severely. At that time, I calmed down and knew that what I did was wrong. I just can't accept their theory. I said nothing, but in my heart, I thought that I must break free from the shackles of my elders at all costs. I don't know what kind of wind I'm having. I regret it. Really. And your two? The two injuries were actually completely avoidable. I caused you to suffer a lot, and they are all over. What else to mention? I didn't blame you. My indifferent smile has indeed passed. Looking back now, I can no longer remember the humiliation and pain I felt back then. He smiled bitterly and lowered his head. Being with Huachu was purely by chance. It seemed to be raining heavily. He didn't have an umbrella and injured his leg. He was sitting alone in the heavy rain. Whole body was soaked. I just thought at that time we are all classmates, so I can help if I can. As a result, I was attracted by his eyes for some reason. He was not popular in the class, no one liked him, and he was sitting alone in the corner, looking very pitiful. After getting along for a long time, I also knew that he was good-tempered and gentle. Ru is his disguised weapon. In fact, he is often sarcastic and mean. Especially when he treats you, he is not friendly to you. It's not that I can't see it, I've reminded him several times, but he always says he has nothing. Just me. After so many years, accompanying him has become my obsession. Can you understand, Brother Haofeng? That's your business and doesn't require any understanding from me. Just think it's right. Don't worry about my opinion. Wei Yutong looked straight into my eyes as if he wanted to see through the true thoughts behind my words. Haofeng, were you very sad during that time? He softened his voice, and it was gentle and caring that I had never heard before. Lingering? How is it possible? I must have heard wrong. It's been too long, I forgot. I really forgot. Wei Yutong was stunned for a moment, then smiled miserably, but nothing was said. Yutong, since she has decided to give her life to Huachu, then love him well. After sitting for a while, I left first. After saying this, her expression did not calm down until she got into Sister Yumeng's car. Sister Yumeng asked me what happened with her eyes. I shrugged and said silently that I didn't know. I really don't know. The source of her emotions was not her conversation with me. One afternoon, the weather was gloomy, and it started to rain lightly. I was sitting at the table coloring the drawings, and my phone suddenly rang. Picked up the phone and took a look, couldn't help but laugh. It was Sister Yumeng, who had been missing for several days, who sent me a video application. Sister Yumeng, you haven't answered my calls or replied to my messages for several days. I thought you were missing? I almost went to the police station to report the crime. Sister Yumeng's laughter spread. It spreads into my eardrums, so gentle that my heart trembles. Haofeng, go downstairs. I looked at the originally gloomy sky. The rain stopped at some point, and the sky turned clear and blue. Go downstairs, there is a surprise for you. I picked up my coat, threw it on haphazardly, and hurried down the stairs. The air after the rain is particularly fresh, and there is a figure under the dark green trees. It lit up my eyes. Sister Yumeng, why are you here? When I suddenly saw Sister Yumeng, I was so happy that I went crazy. Really, I never knew true happiness was like this. I haven't seen Sister Yumeng for almost 3 months, which is a bit difficult for me, who has been living with Sister Yumeng in Linda for the past 3 years. I've long been used to it. As soon as I opened my eyes, there was news that she had invited me downstairs for breakfast. I was used to her being by my side and pampering me every day. I'm afraid that you will miss me. Here you go. How are you? Miss me? Missing Sister Yumeng? I miss you so much. Why did you come? I happily talked to Sister Yumeng all the way. I told her that Professor Jin came and took me to participate in a competition. Xiao Yang has finished it, and he can help me take a look. Sister Yumeng just looked sideways at me with a smile. Listen to me chattering like a crazy idiot. Those eyes as bright as the stars were as gentle as the sea. I am already 22 years old, real adult. Usually in front of my classmates and teachers, I give them the impression of being elegant and easygoing. I heard that some junior students even follow me specially, just to learn from my quiet temperament. But none of them could have imagined that in front of Sister Yumeng, I was actually a spoiled fool. Let me? Unexpectedly, he met Wei Yutong on the road. Her eyes fell on the hands held by Sister Yumeng and I subconsciously wanted to take my hand out. Sister Yumeng didn't let her squeeze my hand and walked over calmly. Sister, Wei Yutong said softly, "Well, have you eaten? Do you want to come together?" Sister Yumeng smiled and said. Wei Yutong hesitated for a moment, then quickly took out his mobile phone and sent a message, then followed us. The prosperity of Kyoto is not comparable to that of Nanchang, where high-end restaurants can be seen everywhere. Sister Yumeng chose a Hunan restaurant. The environment in the restaurant was very good. It's a bit like a botanical garden, with the simplicity of nature in its tranquility. In the 4-person booth, Sister Yumeng and I sat on one side, and Wei Yutong sat on the other side. There is soft music flowing overhead and air conditioning. After driving to a comfortable position, I habitually leaned on Sister Yumeng's shoulder and looked at the electronic menu on the table with her. Sister Yumeng here, Wei Yutong and I get along much more comfortably. At least we don't have to worry about being criticized by Huachu. The food arrived quickly and the 3 of us started eating. Sister Yumeng didn't eat much, so she kept picking up food for me. Every time I look up, I will always see Sister Yumeng looking at me. Gently, quietly. It feels warm as if in this world, she only has eyes for me. There's an unknown emotion that is struggling, trying to break through and sprout. Wei Yutong didn't speak much. He kept his head down while eating, but his face didn't look very good. After talking for a while, I realized it turns out that Sister Yumeng had already graduated from graduate school during my freshman year. In the last 3 years of my college, she was actually when I was studying for my PhD. I always showed up at the Yan Academy. It's because he is working as a teaching assistant for a professor. I'm a new boss, and I have never asked Sister Yu Mang about these things in detail. So what are you doing at Jinda? This is my biggest concern. Come take care of a puppy while studying for graduate school, and be a university teacher at the same time. Sister Yu Mang patted my head without hesitation. The pampering in his eyes remained the same as before. Who is the puppy? I'm obviously a handsome guy. After understanding what Sister Yu Mang said, I consciously put myself into Sister Yu Mang's words. Okay, handsome guy. Our Hofeng is really a handsome guy now. Wei Yutong looked up at me and then at Sister Yu Mang. Such a big thing. Why didn't you tell your parents? Sister Yu Mang served me food without raising her head. What can I say? My parents don't understand this, so it's up to me to say no. Make up your mind, and I think my parents will be happy with my decision. After all, they always felt that they owed Hofeng, and having me take care of him would also make my parents feel at ease. Wei Yutong didn't answer, and watched the intimacy between me and Sister Yu Mang with cold eyes, lowering his head in boredom and eating wildly. Halfway through my meal, I turned around by chance. He found Hua Chu standing outside staring at Wei Yutong. He felt extremely upset and quickly tapped the edge of the plate with his chopsticks to signal him. Wei Yutong was a little surprised when he saw Hua Chu pick up the phone and leave. I really felt sick to my stomach when I saw Hua Chu, and I couldn't help but say something unpleasant. Wei Yutong, let's not meet again in the future. He turned his back to me and was silent for a while, without saying anything, and then walked away again. It's finally over? Sister Yu Mang held the wine glass and asked me with a sideways face. It's over a long time ago, from the day in the Mid-Autumn Festival of that year, when he said I was shameless and wanted me to stay away from him. It was officially over. Sister Yu Mang smiled after hearing this. What are your plans for the future? He, of course, cast the net over a large area and focused on fishing. My eyes fell on his face, looking for the other half that I like and likes me. Sister Yu Mang raised half of her wine glass and suddenly stopped. She turned her head and stared at me. His eyes were long and full of stars, and then he smiled. Well, Sister Yu Mang's smile could kill someone. My heart couldn't help but beat a few times. Sister Yu Mang was hired to teach at Jinda University. Today is her first day of reporting. She still has many things to do and doesn't have time to take care of me for the time being. Nothing much to do at night. After dinner, I walked alone in the corridor of the grove. I felt that when I first came here, this place is especially like the Rose Flower Corridor near Lin Da Research Institute. I always can't help but want to go shopping. Over time, I develop a habit. If I don't come for a day, I feel like I'm missing something. I'm such a long-term person. Once you fall in love, it lasts a lifetime. Wei Yutong was a variable in my life. Looking back now, maybe my feelings for her at that time were not considered love. It is an obedient boy's recognition and obedience to his parents' orders or his appreciation of beautiful things. After walking around for half an hour, I was about to go back. Wei Yutong actually showed up, and it seemed that he was specially waiting for me. The shadow in my heart that was tortured by him and Hua Chu in the past was very heavy. The after effect is that just seeing one of them will make you feel uncomfortable all over. I haven't seen the two of them acting together recently, so I thought they were in peace. But I don't want to bump into each other at noon, and again at night. I turned around and walked back. Wei Yutong ran a few steps in front of me and stopped me. Lan Hafeng, are you avoiding me? Wei Yutong, I have said many times that we don't want to meet again. Even if we meet by chance on the street, please pretend that we don't know him. Okay, why? Didn't you like following me the most? Why are you avoiding me now? You also said that was the past. For these past times, I have poured money for you, solemnly in front of the elders. Please don't come to me again. It's really annoying. It's annoying to death. I couldn't suppress my angry roar. Couldn't suppress the irritability in my heart. Wei Yutong's body shook violently, and a heavy sadness filled his eyes. After saying that, I discovered, the words he said to me back then are intact today. I returned it to him without moving, and I suddenly realized that I had completely recovered from the hurt of that year. Wei Yutong and I are just passersby in life. Nothing more. It's okay. I'm leaving. Don't come to me again. I turned around irritably. Lan Hofeng, don't leave. He lowered his voice, sounding a little pleading, a little weak. If there's anything else to say, let's say it clearly once and for all. I just want to ask, Hofeng, are you and Sister Yu Mang together? I finally let go and regarded my 20 years of youth as nothing. I turned around in confusion, and there was a look of embarrassment in his eyes. But he was observing my expression carefully. How about being together? So what if we're not together? No matter who I am with, it has nothing to do with you. Hofeng, I just want to tell you that you and Sister Yu Mang are not suitable. She is so much older than you, and it's inappropriate. That's between me and Sister Yu Mang. It has nothing to do with you, and you can't control it. I know I have no right to interfere, but you can find anyone, except Sister Yu Mang. I'm happy. I want to be with Sister Yu Mang. What's wrong? What's bothering you? Wei Yutong, are you sick? Get out of here. Maybe my emotions are too intense. Wei Yutong glanced at me again, turned around, and slowly leave my sight. A good night was ruined by Wei Yutong. I turned around and took a few steps before Sister Yu Mang appeared. Was it fun to eavesdrop? I complained angrily. Over the years, Sister Yu Mang's habit of listening in corners has not changed at all, so it is not considered eavesdropping. I came here specifically to find you, but I didn't expect to run into Yutong. I'm afraid that you won't be able to perform well because of my existence, so I have to do it as a last resort. He hid for a while. Guess who would believe it? I whispered, are you done with all the important things? Why do you have time to come see me? No, I have to go back and get busy soon. I just came to see what my boy was doing. Otherwise, I would always be worried, combined with what Wei Yutong just said. My face actually felt a little hot. Sister Yumeng sent me back to the dormitory and then went back to work. She told me to go to bed early and she would pick me up for lunch at noon tomorrow. Got up early the next morning and went downstairs for morning exercise diligently for the first time and unexpectedly met Wei Yutong and Hua Chu again. I walked well on the playground. They both came towards me, leaving me unable to avoid them. I wanted to pretend not to know each other and miss it, but Hua Chu actually ran over and tried to pull my arm with a smile. In response, I quickly shook it off and took a few steps back. Watch his every move with vigilance. Stand there and speak if you have anything to say and don't touch him. I'm not familiar with you. Hua Chu was quite thick-skinned and didn't care about my loss at all. He took 2 steps towards me enthusiastically. Today is my birthday, Yutong, and I want to treat you to dinner. Hofeng, you must reward me. I'll go. I made an appointment with Sister Yumeng. You guys can eat by yourselves. Sister Yumeng will come too, right? Yutong. Hua Chu smiled and turned around to ask Wei Yutong. Wei Yutong had no expression on his face and remained silent for a long time before squeezing out a favor from his throat. That's okay, I'll go when Sister Yumeng goes. You can just send me the address on your mobile phone. After all, she is Sister Yumeng's younger sister and future brother-in-law, so she cannot embarrass Sister Yumeng. For Sister Yumeng's meal, I ate it. After class at noon, Sister Yumeng called and said she had something to do and would be late and wanted me. Go there first, I will look for it according to the address Hua Chu sent. When they got there, Wei Yutong and Hua Chu were already sitting firmly. But Hua Chu frowned, as if he was worried. Wei Yutong coaxed him softly. Isn't it my birthday? Be happy. My intuition told me that this meal was not that delicious. As soon as I sat down, Hua Chu started. Yutong, please talk to Hofeng, I'm really worried. If you have something to say it directly without the hassle of laying the groundwork. I spoke impatiently. Wei Yutong was silent for a while. He seemed to be considering his words. Hofeng, you have never had a girlfriend. Hua Chu is very insecure. Why don't you talk about it? Yes, Hofeng. There are several Baifume in our department. You want me to introduce it to you? Hua Chu didn't think it was enough, so he added another punch. I have a classmate who met you not long ago. He has a good impression of you. Ask me to set up a line for you. Wei Yutong took out his cell phone, found a number in the phone book, and showed it to me. This was his number. I sneered in my heart. Turned out that he was trying to persuade me to find a girlfriend because he was looking at me as an eyesore, because I was single. Didn't you say yesterday that Sister Yumeng and I were inappropriate? I am anxious to get out of singles today? Or is it that he is afraid that I will be with Sister Yumeng, so he is eager to push me to someone else? Are you two mentally ill? Do I have a girlfriend that you guys have an affair with? You take yourself too seriously. I was so angry that I knocked over the teacup on the seat. Hofeng, don't worry. Hua Chu just doesn't feel safe. I'm not forcing you to find a girlfriend. I just feel that you have reached your age and you should have someone by your side to take care of you. Whether Hua Chu feels safe or not depends on you. Wei Yutong, not me. Lan Hofeng. I have rain. Sister Yumeng will take care of me, so you don't need to worry about me blindly. Stop dictating my life and stay away from me. I really didn't expect that. Wei Yutong could actually do this for Hua Chu. You talk about your love and I hit my bachelor? Does it have anything to do with you? I turned around and left. Wei Yutong called me several times, but I ignored him and ran all the way back to school. During lunch break, the corridor is empty. I sat in the corner sulking alone. Sister Yumeng found me and sat next to me. What happened? Talk to me. Sister Yumeng coaxed me softly. I took a deep breath and calmed down. Wei Yutong said that I had been single and Hua Chu had no sense of security and wanted me to find a girlfriend. Then find one. You are 22 years old, it's time to find a girlfriend. They asked me to look for them, so I looked for them. Why should I listen to them? The more I mention this, the angrier I get. I'm just talking about the matter. You've been alone all this time and you know what's going on. Others will think you care about Wei Yutong. Does anyone think so? I've never thought of it that way, but if that's the case, then I really should find a girlfriend. My girlfriend is not a carrot or cabbage in the field. How can you say just look for it? Besides, I want to find someone 100 times better than Wei Yutong. Hua Chu was so angry that he was quite angry. Sister Yumeng raised her eyebrows and teased me, eyes glowing green. So where can I find it for a while? Sister Yumeng suddenly looked over, and their eyes met. Wasn't there one in front of her? Why don't you choose? Isn't that Sister Yumeng in front of you? My face suddenly turned red and I was hiding from her, not daring to look at her. Who are you? I'm Sister Yumeng. How do I choose? Sister Yumeng's eyes were full of tenderness and her face was serious. Hofeng, do you want to piss Hua Chu off to death? The easiest way is to marry me. Let them call you brother-in-law every day, and you can teach them a lesson legitimately and make them unable to tell them about their suffering. Right. Sister Yumeng is so gentle. After saying a few words, my heart was beating wildly. My throat was dry and I wanted to drink some cold drinks to cool down. The conditions are too tempting. I really want to agree, but you don't like me. Didn't I make it obvious enough? I like you, and it has never changed in 22 years. I was stunned and stared blankly at Sister Yumeng. I saw my little me again in her eyes. I have noticed that Sister Yumeng likes me, but I still couldn't believe it. But think about it carefully. Sister Yumeng's pampering care and love for me. Everything seemed to tell me that she liked me. Although what she said makes sense, she turned Sister Yumeng, whom she had always relied on, into her girlfriend. I felt too awkward. Hofeng, do you think I'm not as good as your girlfriend or worthy of you? I don't feel the sadness that Sister Yumeng mentioned. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Sister Yu Meng's confession came too suddenly, and my mind went blank. Sister Yu Meng is very good. It can be said that she is the best person of the opposite sex to me besides my mother. During the more than 20 years of getting along with her, I have become very dependent on her, probably because I regard her as my sister. If Sister Yu Meng becomes a girlfriend, I don't know if I can still get along with her the way I used to. And she is Wei Yutong's biological sister, whom I was with back then. Wei Yutong's incident has almost become known to the whole school. If I fall in love with Wei Yutong's sister now, it will cause an uproar if word gets out. Sister Yu Meng, give me time to think about it. Sister Yu Meng's expression darkened, but it only passed by for a moment, and she quickly put a smile on her face again. Okay, in a daze, I suddenly figured out something. I've rarely seen Sister Yu Meng since I was 15. At that time, Aunt Mina always said that she was so busy that no one was seen all day long, and I thought she was just busy with schoolwork. Now, I understand that she was trying to avoid me. When you were in your senior year of high school, every time I called your family, I would try my best to ask you which university you would apply to. My mother Yutong, and I even asked my aunt, and everyone said you would apply to Beijing University. Actually, at that time, there's something to look forward to. I want you to go to Lin University to study, so that I can see you every day and grow up with you. On the day the college entrance examination results were released, I knew in my heart that you were definitely going to Beijing University. With your grades, you can easily pass the exam, but I still ask where you will pass with a little bit of hope. The moment I heard that you were admitted to Lin University, I was so happy that I had never been so happy in my life. Ho Feng, I have been happy and blessed every day for the past 3 years, and that is enough. If you insist on Yutong, I can help you as long as you're happy. My heart started to hurt again. I didn't know what happened to Wei Yutong, but I still have the guts to really love someone, because I'm afraid that if I can't be my lover, I will lose my sister too. Sister Yu Meng touched my head. No, yes, forget everything I just said, and treat it as if it never happened. I'm still your sister Yu Meng. You're still the younger brother I watched grow up. Sister Yu Meng will still take care of you in the future, in a way that you like and accept.